Black Tiger's resurgence. The organizer of the Western Island Masters struck the hatch with a fist, laughing heartily. I knew it. As an SSS-level terrestrial creature, how could it possess such limited abilities? It has yet to unleash its true power. In the next instant, the dolphin's fateful horn erupted from the sea, striking the Black Tiger's foot with painful precision. The Black Tiger let out a cry, leaping several meters into the air, and the colossal water column dissipated back into the ocean. The creature felt its entire body begin to numb, losing consciousness as it approached Yichuan, propelled by inertia. At that moment, everyone was momentarily stunned. With such ferocity in its actions, how had it devolved into such a pitiful state? One could not help but question whether this being was truly an SSS-level creature or merely a jester in this battle. Yichuan, without a moment's hesitation, leaped high into the air, his spear extending with explosive force. In an instant, he concentrated all his might upon the tip of the weapon and struck fiercely at the Black Tiger. Although the Black Tiger's defenses were formidable, the recent injury combined with this new wound created a gaping hole in its body, causing its SSS-grade inner core to be violently dislodged. With a mighty roar, Yichuan sent the creature hurtling towards Turtle Island. Setting aside other considerations, the SSS-grade being was a treasure trove in itself, and such a prize could not be squandered. In that moment, silence enveloped the battlefield. Both the lords of the Jeojo Islands and their foreign counterparts were awestruck by Yichuan's formidable prowess. Particularly the organizer among the Western Island lords, who appeared as if trapped in a dream. The tide of battle seemed irrevocably turned, with the Jeojo Island lords facing imminent annihilation, paving the way for the Western lords to dominate the seas. Yet now, Yichuan sought to conclude the conflict swiftly. Stretching languidly, he ambled across the water towards Turtle Island, casually remarking. Lu Yuewei and Blueberry Jam exchanged mischievous smiles, immediately executing a barrage of ground-to-ground strikes, followed by the launch of a super missile. The ground-to-ground munitions served as distractions, guiding the missile to its targets among the more than 2,000 warships and aircraft carriers still capable of combat, culminating in the final showdown. In an instant, all long-range and close-in defenses erupted into action, attempting to counter the ground-to-ground assault. Yet, the warheads detonated mid-air, suppressing all defensive artillery and creating a vacuum for the super missile to traverse unimpeded. With a resounding explosion, the super missile detonated, unleashing an unparalleled force that reduced the ships and carriers within a kilometer radius to mere rubble. The ensuing shockwave radiated outward, inflicting damage upon nearly every Western vessel present. The cataclysmic waves spawned by the explosion surged forth like an apocalyptic tide, crashing toward the Jeojo fleet. Chapter 466. The Multinational Alliance, surprisingly strong. A sense of dread washed over the Jeojo Island lords as they beheld the towering waves, reaching heights of over 100 meters. Just as they had managed to avert disaster and escape peril, a new calamity emerged, leaving them to wonder if fate itself wished to see them perish. Meanwhile, viewers in the live stream were equally bewildered. What was happening? Had the goddesses annihilated the Western Island lords only to inadvertently harm the Jeojo lords? What did this mean? If the Jeojo lords too were to be obliterated, what significance would this battle hold? Oh heavens, have mercy. Please, do not let any further misfortune befall the Jeojo lords. Alas, I can scarcely bear to watch. In a moment that left everyone in disbelief, the sea turtle unexpectedly appeared before the fleet of the 9 provinces. Following a display of levitation, it unleashed an absolute gravitational force that crashed down upon the sea's surface. This formidable power generated a colossal wave that collided with another massive surge, the sound reverberating across dozens of nautical miles. The clash of these two titanic waves ultimately dissipated the tumultuous waters. Although the surface remained tumultuously agitated, the tremendous impact had vanished. All the lords of the 9 provinces collapsed helplessly to the ground, as if still entranced by a dream. After a substantial pause of over 10 seconds, one finally broke the silence, incredulously asking, "Did we win?" Soon, the entire fleet of the 9 provinces erupted into thunderous cheers, celebrating their hard-won victory. Each lord had come voluntarily, driven by pride. They did not wish to be humiliated before the lords of the Western Islands. Thus, they arrived with a resolve to face death for the glory of the 9 provinces. Not only had they turned the tide of battle, but they had also witnessed an exhilarating confrontation that left them utterly exhilarated. The lords of the 9 provinces were destined to rise. As the battle concluded and the ultimate warship vanished, Zhao Taifeng and several organizers among the lords ascended Turtle Island. They bowed deeply to Yichuan, expressing their gratitude. "Lord Yi, we thank you for everything you have done for the 9 provinces, on behalf of all the island lords." I am also a person of the 9 provinces and one of its lords, Yichuan replied, slightly waving his hand. Although we may have our internal conflicts, when faced with a common enemy, we shall not stand idly by. What I do pertains to the honor of the 9 provinces. I merely wish to convey to the West that we, the 9 provinces, cannot be trifled with in any domain. Indeed, Zhao Taifeng narrowed his eyes and remarked coldly, the lords of the West are deluded if they think they can weaken the lords of the 9 provinces through this battle and seize the opportunity to reshape the maritime world. Such aspirations are mere fantasies. Lord Yi, it was I who discovered this treasure trove, a lord interjected at that moment. As a token of gratitude, I would like to present it to you. Please accept it graciously. That is unnecessary, Yichuan replied, waving his hand once more. If you are sincere, let it be opened together with all the lords who participated in the battle, and we shall divide it equally. As for my share, taking a portion of the warships from the Western lords will suffice. Then I shall comply with your wishes. The lord was taken aback, but then bowed again to Yichuan. Commander Zhao, do you know where the multinational alliance is located? Yichuan inquired, nodding as he turned his attention to Zhao Taifeng. Zhao Taifeng was momentarily taken aback and quickly replied, I am not entirely certain about the specifics. The multinational alliance is composed of the most formidable island masters from 73 nations, established a decade ago. They seem to have opened a new dimension and routinely issue commands to us island masters. However, we are quite unclear about their exact location. I sense that certain regulations ought to be reconsidered. Yichuan spoke candidly. The multinational alliance excessively favors the Western island masters while neglecting those from the 9 provinces. I am inclined to inquire why this is the case. Zhao Taifeng regarded the young man before him with disbelief. The multinational alliance was indeed terrifying. Although their influence was primarily confined to the outer seas, they represented the pinnacle of power in that realm. While Yichuan was undeniably powerful, Zhao Taifeng did not believe he could confront the alliance. Taking a deep breath, Zhao Taifeng solemnly remarked, the might of the multinational alliance is so formidable that even after decades of diligent effort at sea, I would scarcely amount to 1% of their strength. I believe it prudent to deliberate this matter further. Remember, the multinational alliance once sent over 300 warships to besiege the cunning-handed octopus, only to be nearly annihilated. They dared not make a sound, and it was ultimately us who vanquished the creature, Xiao Feilong nonchalantly interjected. Even if they are powerful, how formidable can they truly be? That was merely because they allocated a budget of only 300 warships against the cunning-handed octopus. If they wished, they could easily deploy 3,000. Zhao Taifeng shook his head, offering a wry smile. Their intent in capturing the 12th tentacle of the octopus was for treasure. However, after losing 300 ships, they deemed the pursuit of treasure futile and chose to abandon it. Do you genuinely believe that the multinational alliance possesses only that much strength? Is that true? Xiao Feilong murmured in surprise. Thus, I urge you to consider this matter thoroughly. Zhao Taifeng stated with utmost seriousness. Master Yi, I recognize your current strength is impressive, indeed. But the multinational alliance is not to be underestimated. Among them, there seem to be formidable beings at the transformation level. Thank you for the warning. I am aware. Yichuan nodded but remained resolute. Do you have any idea of their general location? I only know they are situated at the junction of the Outer Sea and the Forbidden Sea, Zhao Taifeng sighed, then continued. It is said they intend to dominate the entire Forbidden Sea, which is why they relocated their headquarters there in the past year. As for the precise location, I only know it lies to the southwest of our current position. Thank you. Yichuan nodded. We should take our leave now. Until we meet again. Until we meet again. Zhao Taifeng and the others had no further words to exchange. They promptly departed from Turtle Island. With a wave of Yichuan's hand, 1,000 warships were summoned into the system's inventory as they swiftly headed southwest. Meanwhile, the system's voice resonated, detected that the host has represented the 9 provinces to suppress the Western Island Masters. The hidden mission has been completed, and a surprise gift package has been obtained. Would you like to open it? Yichuan's lips curled into a slight smile as he promptly declared, Commence. Chapter 467. The Ultimate Battleship Upgrade, The Forbidden Vessel. Exciting surprise package unlocked. Congratulations, host. You have received Evolution Value Package 1, Resource Package 1. Exclusive Nutrient Solution from Magical Tree Species X5, Absolute Defense X5, Super Missile Set X1. The system's voice resonated in the air. Yichuan nodded in satisfaction. It must be said that the rewards from the hidden tasks had indeed increased compared to before, particularly the super missiles, which he had been acquiring frequently of late, proving advantageous in his battles against the multinational alliance. It appeared that this alliance was akin to the greatest boss lurking in the outer seas. Only by overcoming them could one truly claim victory over these waters. What astonished Yichuan was the audacity of the multinational alliance, which harbored ambitions of dominating the entire Forbidden Sea. It was difficult to ascertain just how formidable this alliance truly was. However, all these questions could only be answered upon encountering the multinational alliance. System, is it possible for the ultimate battleship to undergo further upgrades? Yichuan inquired, stretching lazily. By adding 100 more battleships, it can be upgraded to its ultimate form, the Forbidden Vessel, the system promptly replied. Indeed, there was still room for advancement. Yichuan's face lit up with a smile as he confidently stated, "So, I currently possess 3 ultimate battleships and 2 super battleships. In addition to utilizing 300 battleships to acquire 3 forbidden vessels, I could also transform the remaining 700 battleships into forbidden vessels for the 2 super battleships. Wouldn't that grant me 5 forbidden vessels? That is theoretically accurate," the system explained. "But you would still only have that one ultimate battleship enhanced with blue steel essence as the strongest. That is only natural. As the soul of the Wanderer resides within that ultimate battleship," Yichuan nodded, then decisively exclaimed, "Let us proceed with the upgrade. Upgrading and merging, please hold on." The system announced without delay. Though located within the confines of the sealed bottle and the system's inventory, with those words, the 3 battleships began to undergo monumental transformations. Before long, 5 forbidden vessels, each 3 kilometers long and over 700 meters wide, boasting a displacement of 100,000 tons, emerged. At first glance, Yichuan was taken aback. It was indeed his first encounter with such enormous warships. Beyond their magnificent grandeur, he found himself at a loss for words to adequately describe them. In that moment, Yichuan waved his hand, bringing forth the forbidden vessel he had been utilizing onto the surface of the sea. Upon its appearance, Zhao Feiyu and the others were equally astonished. Rushing to the shore to behold the behemoth, even sea turtles seemed diminutive in its presence. Xiao Feilong struggled to swallow, exclaiming, "Brother, this thing is over twice the size of the ultimate battleship. It's utterly terrifying." "This is the ultimate version of the ultimate battleship, the forbidden vessel," Yichuan replied with a grin, 3 kilometers long and 700 meters wide. "Impressive, truly remarkable." Xiao Feilong shook his head in disbelief, giving Yichuan a thumbs up. "All aboard." Yichuan chuckled, and the 7 immediately boarded the forbidden vessel. The wandering spirits remained the same, yet the weaponry aboard the warship had undergone a complete refurbishment. Not only had the caliber of each weapon doubled, but their quantity had also increased significantly, presenting a rather splendid sight. I had a deficit of 10,000 tons of high-alum explosives, which were directly upgraded alongside the original weaponry during the enhancement of the ultimate warship. Yichuan remarked with a smile, "Fortunately, the supernuclear batteries can still power the enlarged forbidden vessel. Otherwise, we would have to seek a new energy source, which would indeed be troublesome. Traversing from one end to the other would take approximately 45 minutes. Zhao Feiyu spoke solemnly. With such a massive warship, its combat power must be formidable enough to contend with SSS-level marine creatures, wouldn't you agree? I'm not entirely certain about that. Yichuan replied with a shake of his head. Regardless, along our journey, we are bound to encounter some formidable beings, and we shall conduct an experiment then to ascertain our capabilities. Living aboard such a colossal warship is, in essence, no different from residing on land. Moreover, with this tonnage, sailing through the oceanic expanse, one would scarcely notice any turbulence. Even those prone to seasickness would feel none of its effects. Lu Yue grinned and said, "Brother, this is truly your magnum opus in the oceanic realm. To call it a magnum opus might be an exaggeration, yet I remain confident that, although there may be 2 or 3 ultimate warships in the entire ocean world, our forbidden vessel is undoubtedly unparalleled." Yichuan replied with a beaming smile. To construct such a formidable warship, perhaps they lacked the requisite technology. Elation swept over them as they erupted into hearty laughter. Setting aside previous concerns, knowing that even the former ultimate warship left no trace from missiles, the current forbidden vessel instilled a sense of invincibility. Initially, there were hesitations regarding an assault on the multinational alliance, but with such a terrifying asset at their disposal, one could only proclaim, "What of the multinational alliance?" Yichuan then allocated another 10,000 tons of high-alum explosives for the production and replenishment of other weaponry, before finally storing the forbidden vessel. Currently, over 200 warships remained in use. After a moment of contemplation, Yichuan decided to manufacture 2 more ultimate warships. Although they lacked a power source, one could never know when they might acquire supernuclear batteries. He contacted Zhang Haixia, providing her with several hundred billion for the continued procurement of high-alum explosives, and then glanced at the turtles. At present, He had accumulated 284,500 evolution points, which would allow him to upgrade them once more. Without delay, Yichuan gathered the 5 turtles and promptly allocated 60,000 evolution points to one of them. Then opened its panel. Island Master. Yichuan type. Sea Turtle level. 21,070,000. Skills. Water Bomb. Advanced. Backflow Technique. Advanced. Absolute Gravity. 40,000 tons. Absolute Claw. Intermediate. Talent. Longevity. Rapid Healing. Crawling. Levitation. 500 centimeters for 30 minutes. And Swift. The Sea Turtle has upgraded to level 21. And aside from a slight enhancement in other skills and talents, it has acquired a new talent, Swift. However, this swiftness is contingent upon the ability to levitate. While utilizing levitation, the Sea Turtle can achieve a speed of 1,000 nautical miles per hour. Nonetheless, the levitation can only be sustained for 30 minutes, thus limiting the maximum distance of the Sea Turtle's speed to 500 nautical miles. Even so, this talent is indeed impressive. Yichuan nodded with satisfaction and allocated 40,000 evolution points to the dolphin. The dolphin began to grow slowly, prompting Yichuan to immediately access the dolphin's information panel. Name, Dolphin level, 21 evolution points, 60,000 skills, Sonic Disruption, Advanced, Absolute Impact, Advanced, Symbiotic Transmission, 1 minute, Fate's Horn, Anesthesia Time, 15ths. Talent, Deep Dive, 10,000 meters. Note, Absolute Impact allows the dolphin to attack with its head, with a medium impact equivalent to a collision force of 20 tons. Sonic Disruption can launch sound wave attacks within a range of 1,000 meters, disrupting the actions of the target. What? When ascending from level 19 to level 20, there were changes in skills and talents, yet at level 21, there appears to be no transformation at all. Yichuan scratched his head and inquired, System, why does my dolphin show no changes? Is this a bug? Chapter 468. Zhao Tiefeng's persuasion. The system offered no explanation, but instead presented a reward. Dolphin upgrade complete. Congratulations. Host, your contracted beast has reached level 20 and has received an upgrade gift package. Would you like to open it? Yichuan was momentarily speechless. However, since the system was unwilling to explain, he nodded and said, open it. Opening upgrade gift package, please wait. Congratulations, host. You have received 4,000 growth points. Rio 20L, Temporal Super Defense 2, Super Shockwave 2, and 10 special nutrient solutions for unique tree species. To his surprise, he also received Rio. Would it be better served chilled? Finally, Yichuan took out 150,000 evolution points and distributed them among the 3 little ones. Subsequently accessing their information panels. Name, Albatross level, 21, mature stage, evolution points, 60,000 skills. Diving talents, can lift objects weighing 4 tons, flame feather arrows, 20, manned ascension. Talents, diving, fishing, flying, long voyage. Damn it, even the flame feather arrows did not increase this time. This is truly disappointing. Albatross upgrade complete. Congratulations, host. Your pet has reached level 20 and has received an upgrade gift package. Would you like to open it? Albatross upgrade complete. Congratulations, host. Your pet has reached level 20 and has received an upgrade gift package. Would you like to open it? The system, remaining enigmatic, once again issued a reward inquiry, to which Yichuan could only acquiesce. Open all. Congratulations, host. You have gained 4,000 growth points, 398 wooden planks, and 311 stones, along with a set of super missiles. Congratulations, host. You have gained 4,000 growth points, 423 metal sheets, 378 glass, and a time-sensitive defense level 2. Congratulations, host. You have gained 4,000 growth points, 438 plastics, 354 wooden planks, and a super shockwave level 1. This time, there were no lucky blind boxes. However, 3 super shockwaves arrived at once. Yichuan couldn't help but sigh, then spoke up. I must say, system, the abilities of the 3 little ones accompanying me have not been enhanced this time, which I can tolerate for now. However, shouldn't the usage rights for the super shockwave be correspondingly relaxed? Perhaps allowing me to use it 2 or 3 times consecutively like last time. The system remained silent, as if it had encountered a glitch. Yichuan persisted, isn't that rather unfair? Please grant the host the ability to use the super shockwave consecutively. The system, seemingly yielding to Yichuan, directly responded. Now that is more like it. Yichuan felt a sense of satisfaction. Next, he looked forward to how Turtle Island would evolve by the next day. In the evening, to celebrate the suppression of the foreign island lords and to assert their prestige. On Saturday, A grand feast was prepared. The group gathered together, engaging in discussions about life and ambitions. Even the bougie giant ape and tree king, along with the three little ones, joined the table. In a moment of excitement, Yichuan gifted the tree king a special nutrient solution exclusive to rare tree species, which thrilled the tree king immensely. After all, this specialized nutrient solution contained at least 20 times the energy of ordinary solutions and had significant effects on their advanced plant species. Even just one vial nearly healed the tree king's previous injuries inflicted by Yichuan and his companions. Everyone was in high spirits. And as the clock approached 10 in the evening, Zhao Feiyu's phone rang. It was a call from Zhao Taizhan. This unexpected communication caused Zhao Feiyu's expression to shift slightly. His father, a man of many responsibilities, had never contacted him directly before. The personal call prompted Zhao Feiyu to wonder if something significant was afoot, and he quickly answered, "Dad, I heard from Tiexing that you all plan to take down the multinational alliance." Zhao Taizhan wasted no time in getting to the point. "Yes. The multinational alliance has been consistently protecting the Western Island lords while suppressing our Jiuzhou Island lords," Zhao Feiyu replied solemnly. "Ridiculous." Zhao Taizhan interrupted. "Do you even comprehend how terrifying the multinational alliance is? There are those who believe they cannot even contend with an SSS-level cunning octopus. They simply disdain to engage. If the multinational alliance possessed only such limited capabilities, do you genuinely believe they would have the audacity to conquer the entire Forbidden Sea?" Zhao Feiyu was momentarily taken aback, feeling as though he had been caught in crossfire. They possessed not only formidable beings of transformation, but also super S-class marine creatures. Zhao Taizhan spoke coldly, revealing their annihilation plan aimed at eradicating half of the SSS-class marine life in the Forbidden Sea, which includes that enigmatic octopus. The 300 warships are merely a probe into the SSS-class marine entities of the Forbidden Sea. Feiyu, I recognize that your current strength is formidable, able to navigate through thousands of warships and aircraft carriers with ease, yet the multinational alliance is far more complex than you perceive. We shall proceed with caution and deliberation." Zhao Feiyu inhaled deeply and promptly responded in a hushed tone. "I do not wish to elaborate further. Since you began to comprehend the world, I have nurtured you as the strongest warrior of the 9 provinces, intending for you to inherit your second uncle's legacy." Zhao Taizhan sighed, evidently. "Your current prowess may have surpassed that of your second uncle, but the oceanic realm is profoundly intricate, far beyond the reach of novices like you who have just emerged as island lords. Uncle, rest assured, we are mindful of our actions." Yichuan interjected at that moment. "Yichuan, I hold you in high regard," Zhao Taizhan remarked after a brief silence with genuine admiration. "Ah, thank you." Yichuan was taken aback and couldn't help but smile. Zhao Tiexan's unexpected call brought attention to this matter, prompting Yichuan to contemplate carefully. After all, with a deeper understanding of the multinational alliance, it was evident that this organization was not as straightforward as initially presumed. Meanwhile, lying on his bed, Yichuan habitually checked the messages in the public chat room. Today's events were truly exhilarating. That formidable figure emerging from the novice zone indeed proved to be terrifying, incapacitating thousands of warships. It is said that the son of a military elite is a younger brother to this novice powerhouse. Even the super internet celebrity Blueberry Jam must address him as elder brother. Who else can claim such stature? However, their intention to confront the multinational alliance seems rather imprudent, akin to a mayfly attempting to shake a mighty tree. What? Who did you hear that from? Furthermore, is the multinational alliance truly that impressive? Not just impressive. They are extraordinarily formidable, and they are already aware of this situation, dispatching an experienced island lord. Upon reading these messages, Yichuan couldn't help but chuckle and shake his head, realizing that the multinational alliance was indeed informed and had sent an island lord to thwart him. Yet, he suddenly recalled an individual belonging to the Ocean Intelligence Association. Surely, that island lord would know the intricacies of the multinational alliance, right? Chapter 469, The Multinational Alliance Approaches. To facilitate matters, he had previously added this individual's friend. Upon locating him, Yichuan inquired directly, "Do you know the details of the multinational alliance?" The response was instantaneous. The multinational alliance is a dominant force in the outer seas, possessing terrifying strength. Investigating them will require some time and a substantial fee. Name your price. Yichuan stated bluntly. 10 LS class freshwater, the other party promptly declared. This price indeed seemed rather steep. Yichuan expressed a sense of helplessness. 8L was within his capacity to bear. As a formidable figure capable of annihilating foreign island masters, could he not produce even 10 LS level freshwater? The counterpart sent a gesture of surrender, which left Yichuan momentarily stunned. He had never disclosed his identity, and despite the battles, only blueberry jam had been conspicuously prominent. It was astonishing that this individual was aware of his true identity. Indeed, he was worthy of being associated with the Ocean Intelligence Association. Without hesitation, Yichuan handed over 5 LS, level freshwater, stating, "This is a deposit. The remainder will be provided once the matter is resolved, no later than 24 hours. After delivering this message, the other party ceased further communication. Yichuan felt a sense of relief and promptly retired for the night. Detection indicates that the host has yet to check in. Would you like to check in? The next morning, the system's voice resonated. Check in. Yichuan replied as he rose slowly. Check-in successful. Congratulations, host. You have received 2,000 evolution points and an evolution value package. Upon exiting his bedroom and surveying the changes on Turtle Island, Yichuan was taken aback. The island, which had merely grown to 21,000 square meters, now appeared to encompass 30,000 square meters. The additional 10,000 square meters of forest was lush and vibrant, under the care of the Tree King, surpassing the aesthetic appeal of any previous evolution. The small hills were nearly monumental, standing majestically behind the villa, now the highest point on Turtle Island. Indeed, Turtle Island was increasingly resembling a genuine island, a delightful transformation. The others had also noticed the alterations on the island. After breakfast, Blueberry Jam and Lu Yi Wei, hand in hand and with cheerful expressions, inquired, "Brother, we plan to venture into the woods to gather some lychee mushrooms. Surely it should be safe now?" Of course, Yichuan shrugged. Since the Tree King has taken residence in the forest, it will no longer undergo changes. The ruler within remains the Tree King, and under its jurisdiction, if it is not safe enough, then it too should be eliminated. Consequently, Xiao Feilong and the others followed into the forest for exploration. Meanwhile, Yichuan circled the island, marveling at its expansion to 30,000 square meters, which significantly enhanced Turtle Island's size. He felt immense satisfaction. From a few hundred square meters, the island had gradually evolved to 30,000 square meters. The trials endured along the way were known only to him, yet the outcome proved worthwhile. Truly remarkable. Over 2 hours later, as Yichuan returned to the villa, the super radar suddenly began to sound an urgent alarm. He observed a colossal presence approaching Turtle Island from 1,000 nautical miles away. It appeared to be a whale. Xiao Feilong and the others gathered around, voicing their bewilderment. "This is quite exhilarating. Who would dare to seek us out in these outer seas?" "This can only mean one thing," Yichuan replied solemnly, "that this whale belongs to the Multinational Alliance. Have you seen the messages in the public chat room? Are you implying that the Multinational Alliance has dispatched island masters against us?" Zhao Feiyu immediately inquired in a deep voice. "Do you suspect that this whale is connected to the island lords of the Multinational Alliance?" "It seems quite likely," Yichuan replied solemnly. "My tortoise's strength is formidable even among SSS-class marine beings. It is unlikely that an ordinary marine creature would dare to provoke us. Surely, it cannot be merely an Ultra S-class marine creature, can it? Did you not observe the small label? It is indeed an SSS-class great whale. Then there is nothing to fear. We shall simply eliminate it." The little dragon stuck out its tongue and burst into laughter. As noon approached, a warning call from the dolphins echoed, prompting Yichuan to employ the semi-transmission technique for a glance. Indeed, there was a whale measuring nearly 100 meters in length, entirely cloaked in a gray exoskeleton, resembling a skeleton at first glance. Upon it stood an elderly man with long white hair, vainly attempting to appear gallant as he clasped his hands behind his back, squinting against the gusts of wind. At this moment, Yichuan and the others had already reached the shore. Observing the great whale charging towards them with no intention of halting, it crashed forcefully into Turtle Island. However, the tortoise was not to be trifled with. It unleashed an overwhelming force directed at the massive whale. Despite the whale's aggressive approach, this strike forced it to retreat, sending the elder atop it soaring into the sky, where he brandished a spear aimed directly at the tortoise's head. A water bullet was released, colliding with the spear, and as the water bullet dissipated, the elder deftly landed back on the whale's back. "This old fellow comes out swinging without so much as a greeting," the little dragon muttered quietly before shouting, "Old sir, we have not provoked you. There is no need to attack us right away, is there? I am Chen Sanjin, an envoy of the Multinational Alliance," the elder replied, stroking his beard with a smile. "You have come to our Multinational Alliance with intentions that may bring harm. As a representative, I wish to dissuade you. I always believed the Multinational Alliance comprised solely Westerners. I did not realize there were also individuals from Juzhou," the little dragon exclaimed in surprise, watching as the Multinational Alliance bullied Juzhou. As a fellow Jiuzhou person, are you not protesting? Instead, you choose to aid the oppressors? The multinational alliance has its own considerations, the elder chuckled, shaking his head. How can you still smile? The little dragon sighed, lamenting, traitors are not frightening. What is truly terrifying is when a traitor attempts to reason with others. I must ask, are you still a Jiuzhou person? Has your conscience been devoured by dogs? You. Chun Sanjin's expression darkened. You insolent child, how could you possibly understand the difficulties faced by the multinational alliance? As an elder, I can only impart one piece of advice to you. Eat excrement. The little dragon scoffed. I extend my good intentions to you, and yet you respond with vitriol. Do not blame me for being merciless. Chun Sanjin's countenance grew stern, and the spear in his hand emitted a faint ringing as it hurtled towards the little dragon on Turtle Island. The little dragon remained unfazed, not moving an inch. Bang! The long spear struck the protective shield with a resounding impact, startling Chun Sanjin momentarily, causing his entire body to nearly collide with it. With a sudden push from his feet, he stood atop the shield, coldly remarking, "No wonder you are so audacious. You have this layer of protection." With that, he spun the spear, making it whirl like a gyroscope, and began to penetrate the shield. Chapter 470. This is the terror of the transformation realm. Is he a fool? Watching Chun Sanjin fervently bore into the shield, his companions appeared somewhat bewildered. He was a master of the insight realm. Each one directly spoke. Perhaps he has spent too long in the multinational alliance, as he seems somewhat naive. At that moment, the bone whale launched another attack. It could continuously expel airwaves from its mouth, and the force of its assault was formidable enough to rival that of the sea turtle's water bullets. However, its attacks were utterly ineffectual against the protective shield. Each one intended to confront this creature first, and with a swift motion, he launched the peacock feather directly at the bone whale. Yet, the bone whale's bones were unexpectedly resilient. Only the tip of the peacock feather penetrated its flesh, the toxin failing to infiltrate deeply. Consequently, the bone whale merely felt a sharp pain, not succumbing to the venom. It opened its massive maw and let out a roar, violently swinging its enormous tail, measuring over 20 meters, towards Turtle Island. This move seemed to exhaust all its strength, causing even the steadfast sea turtle to be pushed aside. Yichuan furrowed his brow. This creature's defenses are indeed formidable. Even the peacock feather, capable of boring a hole through the shield, merely pierced its skin. I must drive the entire feather deep into its body. With that thought, he shifted his form and soared into the sky, subsequently unleashing the forbidden spear, which descended powerfully upon the bone whale's head. The bone whale glared at Yichuan with venomous eyes, unleashing a barrage of airwaves that nearly sealed off all his escape routes. Yichuan couldn't help but smirk. He lightly struck the spear against one of the airwaves, then swiftly maneuvered to the side of the bone whale. The spear expanded dramatically, striking the peacock feather with tremendous force. Bang! Roar! The peacock feather was entirely driven into the bone whale's body, its agonized scream resonating across hundreds of nautical miles. Chun Sanjin, who was diligently boring into the shield, also changed expression, staring incredulously at the bone whale before unleashing a furious roar and charging at Yichuan. The bone whale's body visibly turned green at an alarming rate, the agony of being ensnared by the potent toxin rendering it nearly breathless. This was the first time in many years that it had experienced such pain, its cries echoing incessantly. Die! Chun Sanjin bellowed, aiming his spear at the leaping Yichuan. Though Chun Sanjin had entered the frame, he had never commanded any respect from Yichuan. At this moment, as he charged forward, Yichuan merely diverted a fraction of his power, sending him hurtling away. Immediately thereafter, an absolute force of gravity was unleashed, and with a length of several dozen meters, the forbidden spear pierced through Chun Sanjin's very bones, forcefully embedding itself within his skull. Thus, a legendary SSS-level marine creature fell from grace. No. In that fleeting moment, the vanquished Chun Sanjin let out a piercing scream. Zhao Feiyu and the others stood in disbelief. It was crucial to note that this was an SSS-level marine being, capable of overwhelming the entire novice zone. A scourge of the outer seas, yet Yichuan effortlessly dispatched it, a display of terrifying power that was hard to fathom. The transformation was indeed formidable. Chun Sanjin, channeling his sorrow into strength, spun rapidly in midair before finally landing steadily on the protective shield, his blood-red eyes fixed on Yichuan. You scoundrel! How dare you slay my bone whale? Oh, what a claim! You came here to kill us. Should we simply stand by and allow it? Should we not resist? Yichuan scoffed, questioning the logic. If you possess the courage, step outside the protective shield, and let us engage in a battle to the death. Chun Sanjin tightened his grip on the spear, his face darkening as he commanded. Yechuan did not hesitate. With a swift motion, he ascended to the protective shield, fixing his gaze upon Chen. As a citizen of Juzhou, aiding the multinational alliance in their assault against us, had I not arrived at a critical juncture, would not over 1,500 battleships and tens of thousands of lives from Juzhou have been slaughtered by the Western Island lords? That is because you fail to comprehend the multinational alliance's strategy, Chen retorted through gritted teeth. If their strategy requires the sacrifice of over 10,000 lives from Juzhou, I would vehemently oppose it. Yechuan shook his head. I believe all of Juzhou would share my sentiment. Regrettably, you lack the authority to decide such matters. Chen bellowed. And in an instant, his form vanished. A terrifying force seemed to surge from all directions, nearly overwhelming Yechuan like a tidal wave. Yechuan smiled coldly. Since Chen intended to forego further discourse, he had already decreed his death sentence. With a slight shake of his head, he swept the forbidden spear fiercely, then turned to strike at a specific location with precision. Clang! In that moment, the tip of the spear collided violently with Chen long spear, halting his descending assault. Accompanied by the explosive shockwave, Chen was once again sent flying. Yet this time, Yechuan showed no restraint. As Chen soared backward, Yechuan was already above him, raising the forbidden spear to deliver a crushing blow from above. Chen pupils constricted as he braced himself with his spear. But the forbidden spear struck with such force that it shattered his weapon into two pieces, continuing its relentless descent, striking squarely against Chen chest, ultimately crashing him into the protective shield, which trembled violently in response. Puff! A mouthful of blood spewed forth, and Chen breathing became rapid as he gazed incredulously at Yechuan. No wonder you are so fearless. You are indeed a formidable master of the transformation realm. He could hardly fathom that a novice island master, who had barely entered the oceanic world for less than half a year, had ascended from an ordinary individual to such heights, accomplishing tasks that would take other island masters a century to complete. It was utterly terrifying, even as an ordinary person. Witnessing the multilateral alliance suppressing Juzhou, I would resolutely defend Juzhou, rather than become a lapdog of the multilateral alliance like you. Yechuan remarked calmly. Chen do you truly believe you deserve the surname Chen? You. Chen trembled at Yechuan's mocking expression, staring at him in disbelief. Elder brother, stop wasting words with him. Just send him on his way. Xiao Feilong chuckled. He is merely a traitor to Juzhou. His death is of little consequence. Considering you still count as a Juzhou person, I shall grant you a moment to utter your last words, Yechuan said, swirling his spear nonchalantly. There exists a treasure map within the multilateral alliance. Hidden somewhere in the Forbidden Sea, concealing another part of the Forbidden Spear, Chen weakly replied. You would do well to find it before you break through into the water realm. Otherwise, this spear cannot withstand the force of your movements at that level. Chapter 471. The Multilateral Alliance. Indeed, very powerful. Yechuan narrowed his eyes. Previously, Zhou had mentioned before his demise that the Forbidden Spear was incomplete. He had not anticipated that this old fellow would speak of the same matter at his end. However, Zhou knew the location of the other part of the Forbidden Spear, implying that he was aware of the treasure's whereabouts. Yet, this old man claimed that there was also a treasure map within the Multilateral Alliance. Surely, it could not be like the 12 routes of treasure maps from before, having multiple copies, could it? Zhou had just perished. As one approaches death, their words often bear wisdom. However, Yechuan could not help but ask solemnly, so what? This treasure map is one I discovered and presented to the Alliance leader, yet it remains unfollowed. Furthermore, he possesses several treasure maps from the Forbidden Sea, even from regions classified as life-threatening zones, Chen weakly stated. I can assist you in retrieving all the treasure maps. Ultimately, you merely wish for us to spare your life. Xiao Feilong replied irritably. Your Alliance leader has treasure maps. Do you think we cannot seize them ourselves? Must we rely on you, this decrepit old man? All his treasure maps are secured in a safe, which will initiate a self-destruct sequence if forced. You will never be able to obtain them. Chen said, his tone earnest. Only I can retrieve them when he is unprepared. I am truly of great value to you. You should seriously consider this. At present, I am akin to a walking treasure map, worth at least 10 trillion. Elder brother? Noticing Yechuan's silence, Xiao Feilong quietly inquired. Yechuan, however, merely smiled and shook his head, slowly advancing toward Chen Do you believe I could be threatened by a dying man? Chen complexion changed dramatically. If a person were to forego treasures worth at least 10 trillion and still seek to kill you, then they are indeed intent on your demise. Chen clenched his fists and surveyed his surroundings before forcefully kicking off the protective shield, plunging directly into the water. He possessed a modicum of understanding about underwater combat, believing that perhaps he still had a fighting chance beneath the surface. However, the moment he submerged, a long and sharp horn viciously pierced his backside, unleashing an indescribable agony that elicited a cry from him as he soared skyward. Yet, before he could begin his descent, a profound numbness enveloped his body, rendering him as if he were no longer his own. In that instant, everything felt alien. He could neither move nor speak, and even the simple act of blinking seemed a luxury. The dolphin, coldly observing him, took its chance as he fell into the water, its fateful horn striking again, piercing his heart and violently tossing him aside, whereupon he was promptly devoured by a passing school of sharks. Such a grim fate. Witnessing Chen demise, Xiaofilong and the others were left speechless. A once formidable figure, a powerhouse within the multinational alliance, ultimately met his end at the jaws of a horde of sharks, leaving not even a bone behind. "Well done, my friend," Xiaofilong exclaimed, turning to give Yechuan a thumbs up. "We must not let anyone intimidate us. So what of the treasure map? With our combined efforts, surely we can unravel its mysteries." "One step at a time," Yechuan replied with a slight shrug. "If we succeed, the treasures shall be ours. If not, it simply means they were never meant for us." He added, albeit regretfully, that his super tablet had not been brought along, for it could have yielded some profit. Indeed, laughter erupted among the group. After a midday meal, Yechuan basked in the sun on the beach when he received a message from his informant. "My friend, we have thoroughly investigated the matter." With that, the informant provided Yechuan a compressed file, stating, "All the information is inside. Take your time to review it." "Excellent," Yechuan responded, immediately exchanging the remaining 5 LS level freshwater for the data. "Your efficiency is commendable. To obtain such detailed information from a powerhouse like the multinational alliance, it seems there will be ample opportunity for collaboration in the future." "Absolutely," the informant chuckled. "Our Ocean Intelligence Association can probe into anything, as long as the payment is right." "What would it cost to investigate the Sky City?" Yechuan inquired without hesitation. "Sky City?" The informant seemed taken aback, quickly adding, "We are known as the Ocean Intelligence Association precisely because we only investigate matters pertaining to the oceanic realm. As for the Sky City, an entity shrouded in taboo, we lack the authority to investigate it, nor would we dare to. Is the Sky City even more terrifying than a forbidden zone?" This statement piqued Yechuan's interest. "Let me put it this way. Even an ordinary tree in Sky City possesses strength at the Super S level." With that, the connection was severed, leaving Yechuan in a state of bewilderment. While one may acknowledge the extraordinary prowess of the Sky Castle, it is truly astonishing to realize that even an ordinary tree can wield an S-tier level of power. One can only imagine the terrifying capabilities of those residing above. Is there a tier beyond S, perhaps one that is forbidden? Nevertheless, Yechuan merely contemplated this briefly before dismissing the matter entirely. After all, his interest in the Sky Castle stemmed solely from its association with the miraculous tree. He had yet to comprehend the mysteries of the Forbidden Sea, so provoking the Sky Castle was far beyond his intentions. At that moment, Yechuan promptly opened the compressed file and began to read intently. The so-called multinational alliance bore a striking resemblance to the micro-businesses of centuries past on Blue Star, where the larger entities overshadowed the smaller ones. Astonishingly, there were 2,000 island lords at the lowest tier, commanding a fleet of 10,000 warships. Above them were 200 elite island lords, each overseeing 1,000 supercarriers. Ascending further, there were 20 elder island lords with a total of 100 invincible warships. At the pinnacle stood the 10 founding lords of the multinational alliance, each possessing an SSS-tier legendary creature, and every island lord held significant power. Chen ranked lowest among these 10 venerable lords, yet even he was formidable. The current leader of the alliance, as preliminary investigation suggested, was at the peak of the entry stage and on the verge of entering the water. He commanded an S-tier oceanic creature, undoubtedly a formidable contender within the vast ocean world, perhaps even the most elite within the Forbidden Sea. Goodness, the multinational alliance truly exceeds expectations, Yechuan exclaimed in astonishment. As Zhao Taizhan had remarked, confronting such beings indeed felt somewhat presumptuous. After all, if even half of the remaining 9 elder island lords were to emerge, it would be sufficient to overwhelm him. Despite his own entry-level prowess, the combined strength of just 2 could easily lead to his demise at the hands of the other island lords. Just then, a notification resonated in his mind. Island upgrade completed. Congratulations, host. Your island has been upgraded to level 21. You have received an upgrade gift package. Would you like to open it? Without further ado, Yechuan announced, Opening. Congratulations, host. You have acquired 4,000 evolution points. Absolute Defense Level 5. Island Stability Device Level 2. Super Shockwave Level 1. Island Thruster Level 2. Evolution Value Gift Package Level 2. And Basic Material Gift Package Level 2. Another Super Shockwave had arrived. With this, he now possessed a total of 4 Super Shockwaves, given that the system had granted him the right to use them consecutively. Should he confront the multinational alliance, he could unleash 4 Super Shockwaves in succession. Everything, save for the Elder Island Lords and the leader, would be obliterated, and he wouldn't even need to employ the Forbidden Vessel. However, the most challenging adversaries remained the Elder Island Lords and the leader. The only viable course of action now was to expedite Zhao Feiyu and the others into the fray. Since it seems they no longer need to search for anything upon entering the realm, they can simply await the accumulation of strength to cross the border directly. Why not elevate them to the threshold of entry into the multinational alliance before stepping into that dimension? During this time, the SSS-level beast cores I have acquired remain untouched, and I possess a considerable amount of S-level freshwater, which should suffice for their successful entry. With this thought, Yichuan promptly summoned everyone and distributed an SSS-level beast core and 5 liters of S-level fresh water to each person, while also sharing details about the multinational alliance. Brother, are you suggesting that we enter the realm right now? Xiao Feilong asked with surprise. Indeed, and there is no time to waste. Yichuan affirmed with a firm nod. You are all on the verge of entering. You merely lack a bit of energy. Allow me to give you a push, and I trust you will not disappoint me. Correct? Absolutely, we won't. Lanmei Guojiang nodded enthusiastically, a smile lighting up her face. To think that I would enter the realm without having truly fought much. It is quite unexpected indeed. Once you enter the realm, there will be battles to be had. Yichuan replied with a hint of annoyance. Your muscles need to be exercised, otherwise, they might stiffen from disuse. Lanmei Guojiang playfully stuck out her tongue, at a loss for words. By the way, didn't we have trouble utilizing the SSS-level beast cores? Zhao Feiyu suddenly raised a question. Indeed, but that was in the past. You are now on the verge of entry, and you can leverage this breakthrough. Yichuan shrugged. Thus, there is no fear that the SSS-level cores will harm you. At that moment, the 6 individuals retreated to their respective rooms with the cores and S-level fresh water to begin their seclusion. Yichuan roughly estimated that it would take about 5 days to reach the entrance of the multinational alliance dimension, though he was uncertain whether the alliance would dispatch personnel to thwart him beforehand. Soon, night fell, and the absence of their dining table rendered the atmosphere somewhat desolate. Yichuan merely consumed a piece of SSS-grade steak and a bowl of lychee mushroom soup, passing the time with a movie until he glanced at the public chat room messages before bedtime. Currently, at least 1/3 of the Western Island Lords in the Outer Sea have been eliminated, and their overall strength should now be on par with our Kyushu Island Lords. Is this not a good thing? I can't say whether it's good or bad. Establishing a new order among our Kyushu Island Lords will likely not be straightforward. Did not that novice powerhouse intend to dismantle the multinational alliance? If the alliance is destroyed, might we not establish a new, truly equitable order under his leadership? Buddy, are you out of your mind? Do you genuinely believe he can dismantle the multinational alliance? It's clearly just a dream. Essentially, this serves as mere conversation fodder after a meal, revealing little of true significance. Yet, it appears these island lords hold a certain disdain for themselves. Once Brother Yu and his companions achieve success, it would effectively signify the dismantling of the multinational alliance, wouldn't it? Regardless, it's time for sleep. At 6 in the morning, the system's voice, akin to an alarm clock, roused Yichuan. However, with nothing pressing to attend to, he had no intention of rising just yet. After briefly checking in, he drifted back into slumber. It wasn't until past 10 that Yichuan finally awoke, stretching lazily. To his surprise, the day's check-in yielded a lucky blind box, which he eagerly opened to discover a double amplification, much to his delight. Yet, he decided to hold off on utilizing the amplification for now, preferring to wait until he entered the multinational alliance. If he could truly conquer the alliance, the rewards would be plentiful, and doubling them would surely provide a delightful surprise. Time flew by, and 3 days had swiftly passed. Zhao Feiyu, who had been sitting cross-legged in meditation, suddenly opened his eyes. In an instant, he dashed out of the villa and arrived at the beach, unleashing a tremendous roar. The sheer force transformed into a sound wave that surged forward, parting the ocean waves as if they were mere curtains, traveling nearly a mile before gradually dissipating. Exhaling a breath of pent-up frustration, Zhao Feiyu finally relaxed, gazing at his hands in disbelief. Is this the power of manifestation? He murmured to himself. What does it feel like? Yichuan inquired, a smile gracing his face. Exhilarating. Absolutely exhilarating. Zhao Feiyu exclaimed, his excitement palpable. It's my first time experiencing such immense power. It feels almost unnatural for a human to possess such strength. On Blue Star, this would be a terrifying weapon. Indeed, we are destined to thrive in the oceanic realm. Yichuan chuckled, accustomed to the tumult of the ocean world. To return to Blue Star for a mundane existence would surely be a torment for them. Absolutely. Zhao Feiyu nodded earnestly. With such formidable power, we stand a better chance against the multinational alliance. Yichuan nodded thoughtfully, then turned his gaze toward the villa. Brother you can control your strength, but they may not be able to. We must urgently relocate them to prevent our dwelling from being destroyed. Zhao Feiyu, taken aback, nodded in agreement. The two promptly moved the 5 individuals to the island. Within an hour, Xiao Feilong and Liang Hongying awakened almost simultaneously. Upon waking, they struggled to contain the overwhelming power surging through their bodies. Waves of energy erupted outward, colliding fiercely and creating a chasm over 2 meters deep in the ground before their strength finally waned. You two nearly harmed my turtle, Yichuan exclaimed, his lips curling in anger. Chapter 473, The Serrated Shark Swarm? I must flee. Beneath a chasm over 2 meters deep, a shallow mark was etched upon the turtle's shell, a testament to the terrifying force exerted by the 2 individuals. The little dragon paused, then chuckled, sticking out its tongue. It was mainly due to my recent breakthrough. I couldn't quite control the strength within me. I never expected to cause such damage. Brother Turtle won't hold it against me, will he? If you are not careful next time, he just might. Yichuan shrugged in response. Brother, I never anticipated that the sensation of entering the frame would be like this. Lowering her gaze to her hands, Liang Hongying was still lost in astonishment. I feel invigorated, brimming with strength. I could contend with even an SS level, or even SSS level marine creature. Once you don your armor, you may stand a chance. Yichuan remarked with a slight shrug, glancing at the black bracelet around his wrist. After a period of nurturing, it had evidently grown significantly and pulsed with vibrant life. However, it had yet to fully regain consciousness. Otherwise, it would likely be able to communicate with him. In the ensuing hours, Lu Shuai, Blueberry Jam, and Lu Yue began to awaken, each reveling in the newfound power they had acquired. Particularly Blueberry Jam, who could hardly fathom that merely 6 months prior. She was a small streamer. Now, she had ascended to the realm she had always aspired to. The feeling was utterly exhilarating. She even altered her platform signature to read, I have entered the frame. However, most netizens and island masters were oblivious to the meaning of those 4 words, prompting many to privately inquire with Blueberry Jam. This day was destined to be one of celebration. Saturday once again prepared a lavish feast for everyone, and with their appetites significantly increased post-entry, the dining experience was nothing short of delightful. My drinking capacity has remarkably increased. It is getting late. Everyone should rest. Yichuan chuckled after a few rounds of drinks. In 2 or 3 days, we will reach the dimension of the multinational alliance. We must maintain our optimal condition. Absolutely. After such an exhilarating day, I feel a bit fatigued. Blueberry Jam nodded fervently, bid good night, and lazily made her way to the 3rd floor. Yichuan returned to his bedroom, perusing the messages in the public chat room as he drifted off to sleep. Did you notice that Blueberry Jam changed her signature today? I heard that entering the frame is a breakthrough achieved by island masters after a certain accumulation. It's incredibly impressive. Is it true? That internet celebrity, who can hardly lift a finger, has entered the frame. Who knows? She has a great brother who supported her during her novice phase. He is her brother by day and her husband by night. If her big brother can help her enter the frame, just how formidable is he in battle? Did you not witness the recent event where he effortlessly vanquished that SSS class creature, the Master of the Western Isles? It was dispatched in mere moments, surely surpassing even the most formidable of foes. Alas, I, too, possess a certain allure, and I yearn for a formidable ally. The following day, as dawn's light began to illuminate the horizon, the dolphins sounded their alarm, and the radar emitted a persistent beeping. Yichuan promptly activated his unique ability, allowing him to see beneath the surface, where a vast swarm of great white sharks, numbering in the hundreds of thousands, swirled ominously beneath the sea turtle, poised to strike at any moment. Even though these sharks were merely classified as A rank, their simultaneous assault on Turtle Island could indeed spell disaster for the turtle. This was nothing short of a tactical maneuver akin to a shark armada. What on earth is happening? Inquired Xiao Feilong and the others, who had arrived, bewildered by the situation. There are hundreds of thousands of great white sharks eyeing us, Yichuan declared. Goodness, is this some sort of shark conference? Xiao Feilong exclaimed incredulously. Are they plotting how to devour us? Regardless of their intentions, I firmly believe that engaging them would be unwise, as it would surely lead to a fierce battle. Yichuan shook his head, guiding the dolphins into the river of the island and instructing the sea turtle to employ its levitation technique, slowly ascending into the air. However, Xiao Feilong, stroking his chin, quietly analyzed, the critical point is that Brother Turtle can currently only rise to a height of over 2 meters. Yet if a great white shark leaps, it could be quite alarming. Before he could finish his thought, the sea turtle surged forward at a speed comparable to light itself. Even within the protective shield, the sudden rush caused several to struggle to maintain their balance, taking several moments to regain composure. Blueberry Jam exclaimed in astonishment, "My goodness, brother, what is happening?" "This is one of my turtle's abilities. On the basis of levitation, it can reach a speed of 1,000 nautical miles per hour. Yichuan explained. However, at present, it can maintain levitation for only half an hour, allowing it to surge out 500 nautical miles, which should suffice to evade these great white sharks. Impressive, Xiao Feilong exclaimed with enthusiasm. But brother, wouldn't utilizing the island's propulsion system in this scenario make us even faster? Yichuan paused, contemplating the suggestion, which indeed seemed plausible. He immediately activated an island propulsion system, and indeed, the speed of Turtle Island surged to an astounding 2,000 nautical miles per hour. Even with the protective shield in place, the terrifying sound of wind and occasional sparks, likely from the shield's friction with the air, could be heard. How exhilarating. In just half an hour, they had surged over 1,000 nautical miles. And then the turtle continued at a leisurely pace of 90 nautical miles per hour, making it appear as slow as a snail. Even if they maintained this speed, the great white sharks would be unable to catch up. Yichuan gazed ahead at the vast ocean, pondering whether the sharks had gathered of their own accord or were part of a multinational alliance's scheme. With such an immense number, surely it could not be a spontaneous gathering. It seemed likely that the multinational alliance intended to deliver a surprise. Zhao Feiyu shook his head and remarked, "Even a multinational alliance could hardly have anticipated our swift progress. Perhaps they have already calculated our arrival at the dimensional location. Nevertheless, we should be able to reach it approximately a day and a half ahead of schedule, likely by tomorrow morning. With such a sudden advance, the multinational alliance may struggle to pinpoint our position, possibly believing we have been devoured by the swarm of megalodons. We could catch them off guard. Ha ha ha." Little Flying Dragon snapped his fingers, his excitement palpable. "Why do I feel that we are nearing the entrance to the multinational alliance's dimension?" Yichuan, however, kept his gaze fixed ahead, murmuring softly. Chapter 474, What Twins? We are father and son what? The group was momentarily taken aback and turned to look ahead. Before them stood two identical middle-aged men, each atop a massive marine creature. As the onlookers regarded them with confusion, the two men returned their gaze in kind. Those marine beings appeared to be of SSS rank. Zhao Feiyu's demeanor shifted to one of seriousness. These two are also formidable fighters. Then they must undoubtedly belong to the multinational alliance, Little Flying Dragon declared, snapping his fingers again. "Big brother, you handle this pair of twins. We'll take on these two SSS-level marine beings." As he spoke, the sea turtle approached the men. One of the men inquired in a deep voice, "You have arrived a day early." "No, you miscalculated," Little Flying Dragon replied with a grin. "I didn't expect the multinational alliance to hold us in such high regard, sending you brothers to greet us." "We are father and son," the man responded once more. "Father and son look exactly alike." Little Flying Dragon exclaimed, bewildered. "Your genes must be extraordinarily impressive." "You are mistaken. I am the son, Little Robuz, and this is my father, Robuz." Little Robuz retorted, annoyance evident in his tone. "I genuinely doubt that with your intellect, you could decimate the Western Island lords or defeat Uncle Zhang Hu." "Brother, did you see that? Foreigners are always so peculiar and arrogant," Little Flying Dragon said, his confusion growing. Ultimately, he shook his head in resignation. "Forget it. You are about to meet your end, so I shan't waste time with idle chatter. It is you who will perish," Robuz coldly declared, extending a hand towards Turtle Island. Suddenly, the colossal creature soared into the sky and struck down fiercely upon Turtle Island. "Come on." Before the turtle could respond, Little Flying Dragon burst forth with laughter, his long blade flashing as he delivered a powerful strike against the gigantic being. Although merely a skilled fighter, he found himself outmatched against the SSS-level creature. Despite halting the creature's advance, he was sent flying back. Fortunately, the impact posed little threat to him. The two colossal creatures, grotesquely misshapen yet possessing terrifying strength, prompted Yichuan to inquire about their identities from the system, which promptly provided the answer: bloodthirsty giant troll, an SSS-grade terrestrial being in its growth phase, acutely sensitive to blood, which incites their ferocity. Their skill, water slam critical hit. Yichuan furrowed his brow, relaying the information to his companions. who were momentarily taken aback by the name's sheer absurdity and its unpleasantness. Regardless of its lack of charm, vanquishing them was paramount. Yi Chuan stated calmly, "You may proceed. Lu Shuai, Wei Wei, I will handle one of them with you, while you Gu and Hong Yingjie, along with Gujiang, will deal with the other." Little Flying Dragon twirled his long knife, laughing heartily as he charged forth. Yi Chuan, with a swift movement, ascended atop the protective barrier and beckoned to the two. "The old man you faced previously was defeated by me. You too shall meet the same fate. I admire your confidence, yet should you perish at our hands, it would indeed be a privilege." Little Robus retorted, as both produced identical long knives that shot forth with ferocity, hurtling towards Yi Chuan. With a shout, Yi Chuan countered with his spear, engaging the two in a fierce clash. One was at the initial stage of the mirror realm, while the other was at the latter stage. Having trained together for 40 years, their synergy surpassed even that of twin brothers. The explosive force unleashed in that instant was such that even Yi Chuan, in the transformation realm, found it somewhat challenging to withstand. He adopted a defensive stance, countering their attacks to familiarize himself with their combat techniques. Though the father-son duo exhibited formidable combat prowess, they felt a distinct inadequacy against Yi Chuan. Regardless of the intensity of their assaults, he effortlessly defended against them, elucidating why Uncle Zhang, who had succumbed to their might. This individual had not only attained the transformation realm, but his subordinates also possessed remarkable combat capabilities. Such a terrifying force had only come to the multinational alliance's attention during the Eastern and Western conflicts. Had they discovered them earlier, before they had fully matured, their elimination would have been much simpler. Bang! In a fleeting moment of distraction, Yi Chuan's long knife crashed down upon Little Robus with a resounding impact. Despite Little Robus attempting to block with his knife, the overwhelming force sent him plummeting into the sea. With a splash, just as he submerged, a dolphin concealed beneath the waves lunged forward, its sharp fate horn nearly piercing his calf. In agony, Little Robus let out a cry, swinging his knife wildly as he propelled himself upward, landing against the protective barrier, motionless thereafter. Son, propelled by Yi Chuan, he was flung several meters away, landing beside the young Robus. Observing the latter sprawled on the ground, tongue lolling and utterly incapacitated, Robus's eyes widened in disbelief. He could not comprehend how a mere plunge into the water could lead to such a dire state. Had he been stung by a jellyfish? "Son!" Robus roared again. But Yi Chuan had already launched another assault, a terrifying force descending as if to behead him instantaneously. With a fierce cry, Robus concentrated all his strength into his blade, striking upwards with a force he deemed unparalleled, only to have Yi Chuan effortlessly parry it. Following that, a kick sent Robus spiraling through the air. He spun rapidly before finally stabilizing upon the water's surface, just in time to witness Yi Chuan's blade mercilessly severing the young Robus's limbs, casting them towards Turtle Island with brutal force. No, Robus trembled, boundless grief and fury transforming into a monstrous power that surged toward the protective barrier above. Gripping his sword, he channeled all his might into a strike that rivaled the strength of a master. Die! His eyes turned blood red, as if he were burning through his very life force. "Go to hell," Yi Chuan scoffed, executing an aerial maneuver that unleashed a swift glimmer of his spear, crashing against the blade. A sharp clang resonated as the blade, despite its substantial momentum, was cleaved in two, the spear's trajectory unwavering as it aimed for Robus's throat. In that fleeting moment, Robus envisioned his own dismemberment, compounded by the grievous injury of the young Robus, leaving him devoid of any will to survive. He stood frozen, watching the spear's approach without a hint of resistance. Yet, at the last moment, this formidable strike diverted, grazing his shoulder. Blood erupted as his right arm was severed, and the spear swept sideways, crashing into him, sending him tumbling onto Turtle Island. As the young Robus hit the ground, the Tree King ensnared him with roots, and Robus could not escape this grim fate either. His complexion paled as he realized the turtle itself was an SSS-level marine creature, and to his astonishment, SSS-level terrestrial beings also inhabited Turtle Island. "How naive we were to underestimate you. Is it not too late to awaken to this reality?" Yi Chuan said with a smile. "You should have perished already. Such excellent genes of the Robus family would have been wasted. However, I have suddenly conceived a compromise. You shall trade all your possessions to me in exchange for your lives. Dream on." The young Robus, now nearly a mere husk, spat coldly at Yi Chuan. "Even in death, we shall not relinquish our belongings to you. Abandon any hope." "Son." Roberts cast a fierce glare at young Roberts, questioning whether he truly intended to sever their family's lineage at their own hands. However, Young Roberts was momentarily taken aback. Having become a mere shell of a man, even if he survived, he would be incapable of self-sustenance. Did his father intend to transform himself into a breeding machine? We shall comply with your wishes. Without allowing young Roberts to utter another word, Roberts declared loudly, "The super tablet is within the backpack behind us." Yechwan shrugged and, under the control of the Tree King, promptly retrieved the super tablet from the backpack. Within the super tablet was a storage compartment, which served as a form of benefit for the island master after entering the scene, and also acted as a security measure against theft. Following their instructions, Yechwan input the password, and soon a 16-grid storage compartment appeared before him, filled with blue steel essence, warships, and basic supplies. However, what astonished Yechwan was that both father and son possessed 5 or 6 incomplete treasure maps in their storage compartments. Unable to contain his curiosity, Yechwan inquired, "Are you two wary of each other?" Each possessing 5 or 6 incomplete treasure maps, yet failing to assemble a single complete one. Perhaps within these maps lies the secret to transcending, which could have spared you from this dire fate. What? Roberts's countenance shifted dramatically as he looked incredulously at young Roberts, who, engulfed in despair, remained unresponsive. At that moment, Yechwan swiftly traded for all items before turning his attention to the 2 bloodthirsty trolls battling young Phylong. "Are your pets not capable of calling for a ceasefire?" Roberts glanced at the distant combatants and shook his head helplessly. "I sincerely apologize. These 2 trolls have tasted blood, and their ferocity has fully erupted. There is no way to halt them. Moreover, they are not our pets. They became our battle companions merely by chance. This matter is beyond my concern. Are you prepared to depart?" Yechwan asked nonchalantly, causing Roberts's expression to darken as he questioned loudly, "What do you mean by that? Did you not just promise that you would not kill us?" "Not killing you is to ensure the Roberts family does not face extinction. However, among the 2 of you, only one may live," Yechwan replied, raising his hands in a gesture of indifference. "Therefore, I intend to keep young Roberts and send you away. You can choose to let me stay and kill my son." Roberts hastily exclaimed. Yechwan was taken aback. They often say that even a tiger does not eat its own cubs. This rogue was willing to sacrifice his son to save himself. "My son has been left without limbs, unable to care for himself. Living is merely a torment for him. I have only lost an arm and can still manage on my own," Roberts declared vehemently. "My son has long wished for release. Please, do him this kindness." "I harbor a deep disdain for those who fear death," Yechwan retorted coldly. With that, he swiftly transformed the forbidden spear into a long blade, and with a decisive motion, sent Roberts's head soaring into the heavens, followed promptly by his lifeless body being hurled into the sea by the Tree King. "Little Robuz, I spare your life. Are you pleased?" With a smile, Yechwan inquired as he regarded Robuz. "In return for my mercy, should you not reveal to me how to enter the dimension of the multinational alliance?" Robuz's eyes flickered with uncertainty as he let his eyelids droop, divulging everything to Yechwan. "Good boy, I shall send you on your way." Yechwan chuckled heartily, then waved his hand, causing the Tree King to once again swing, sending him back to the vast ocean several dozen nautical miles away. At that moment, Yechwan turned his attention to the combatants. The 6 individuals, once immersed in the fray, saw their fighting prowess surge dramatically. Notably, the almost inexperienced Blueberry Jam and Lu Yi Wei, under the guidance of their companions, began to engage with commendable skill. The bloodthirsty troll relentlessly pounded the water's surface, each strike unleashing a barrage of water arrows that rained down upon the combatants. While the broad area of effect diminished the attack's power, it significantly increased its accuracy. Fortunately, the team demonstrated a commendable level of coordination, and for the time being, they remained unscathed. Yechwan chose not to interfere with their battle, recognizing it as their inaugural encounter since entering this realm. It was essential for them to refine their combat skills, synergy, and techniques through rigorous practice, ensuring they would be well prepared for the forthcoming confrontation with the multinational alliance. Thus, Yechwan reclined on a beach chair, sipping on Rio while quietly observing the skirmish. System detected that the host has yet to sign in. Would you like to proceed? At that moment, the clock struck 6, and the system's voice chimed in. "Sign in." Yechwan replied with a grin. "Sign in successful. Congratulations, host. You have gained 2,000 evolution points and a super shockwave 1. The system's announcement stirred Yechwan's spirit. Another super shockwave. "System, you truly are remarkable, delivering 5 shockwaves at once. Now, we stand a fighting chance against the multinational alliance." Yechwan laughed, showering praise upon the system. Chapter 476. Fei Yu and the others are just children. However, whether the system was exasperated with Yechwan remained unclear, as it chose to ignore him. Unfazed, Yichuan continued to relish the spectacle of the ongoing battle. Approximately half an hour later, a furious roar erupted from the little flying dragon as it soared into the sky, only to plunge downwards with ferocity. Its long blade narrowly grazed the gaping maw of the bloodthirsty troll, slicing deeply from its throat downwards, effectively eviscerating its abdomen. The bloodthirsty troll let out a heart-wrenching wail, but it seemed all was lost. Its innards spilled forth, reeking horrifically, as it succumbed to the depths of the sea, ultimately dissipating into nothingness. On the other hand, Zhao Feiyu, in collaboration with his companion, achieved the first kill of an SSS-level creature. They returned to Turtle Island, discarding 2 inner elixirs onto the ground. It wasn't easy. The 3 of us, formidable as we are, took quite some time to bring this to an end. Was it half an hour? Perhaps just over half an hour. Yichuan remarked with a slight shrug. Blueberry Jam couldn't help but chuckle, saying, "Brother, now I truly understand how exhausting it must be for you to battle these creatures. I feel particularly fatigued myself, but I would love to help you massage your back and shoulders, if that is all right. Come on, we need to prepare breakfast for Saturday." Yichuan replied, slightly exasperated. "I just discovered how to enter the multinational alliance. It seems we can only do so at midnight. Since there's nothing else to do here, we might as well wait," Little Flying Dragon said cheerfully. "This can serve as a break. Let's eat first." Yichuan nodded, choosing not to elaborate further. Not long after their meal, Blueberry Jam suddenly exclaimed in astonishment, "Oh my, brother, we're in the news." "Is it unusual to be in the news?" Little Flying Dragon blinked in confusion. "It's not that it's unusual, but the multinational alliance is the one making the announcement," Blueberry Jam replied, handing her phone to Yichuan. Yichuan took it and glanced at the screen, discovering a statement from the multinational alliance branding him and his companions as more notorious than the marauders of the sea. They plan to use the full force of the multinational alliance to eradicate the criminal organization led by Yichuan, and they would broadcast the event live when he and his companions entered the alliance. Underneath this news, the island lords of Jojo and foreign islands were embroiled in a heated argument. The multinational alliance is utterly deranged, labeling our emerging new powerhouse as a criminal organization? How outrageous. The multinational alliance, as a dominant force controlling the oceanic realm, is formidable. If they take action, these individuals are surely doomed. How can you be so certain they'll fail? Their combat prowess is evident. Regardless, I'm convinced, and you Jojo Island lords are on the brink of extinction, aren't you? Ridiculous. Reading these comments, Yichuan couldn't help but shake his head and chuckle, unwilling to engage with their nonsensical chatter. He tossed the phone back to Blueberry Jam, stating, "We need not concern ourselves with their words. The only threats from the multinational alliance are those individuals. I possess a secret weapon that can capture them all, leaving just the 7 elder-level island lords and their leader, which will be much easier to handle. Regardless, following you, Big Brother, is undoubtedly the right choice." Little Flying Dragon grinned. "Big Brother, ignore the external opinions. They don't understand a thing." Yichuan shrugged slightly, not letting it weigh on his mind. After all, this battle was destined to take place, and it would be absurd to abandon it due to external noise. There were still mission tasks at stake. Let the dead birds fly upward. To hell with it. Time swiftly passes, and before one realizes, evening has arrived. After a sumptuous meal, a group of individuals gathered around to watch television, eagerly anticipating the arrival of midnight. Yichuan could not resist glancing at the public chatroom, where it appeared that everyone was engrossed in a discussion about the live broadcast. Oh my, is it true? The living quarters of the multinational alliance are astonishingly beautiful. Have you all tuned into the stream? It seems they are putting on a display for the novice overlords. It is said that 3 elder-level island masters have attempted to eliminate Yichuan and his companions, only to be countered by them. The multinational alliance is now in a rush to resolve matters swiftly, planning to strike the moment they enter the alliance's dimension. The novice overlords ventured into the multinational alliance to seek justice for Jojo. I now yearn to join them. Even if we cannot overpower the multinational alliance, contributing to Jojo's strength would be worthwhile. They are indeed a malevolent force. If you join them, you might not even qualify as mere sea raiders. Haha. The conversation buzzed with excitement as Yichuan promptly found the live stream and clicked in. Indeed, the multinational alliance was illuminated as bright as day, showcasing their might to all island masters. Be it ordinary warships, super aircraft carriers, or invincible battleships, they were presented in all their glory, with such a formidable fleet. Even the ultimate warships would likely meet their doom. Yichuan smirked disdainfully. They were attempting to intimidate him. Had they grown timid? Once you witness our true strength, you shall realize that all schemes and machinations are futile in the face of absolute power. In Jiuzhou, Zhao Taizhan had contacted Zhao Taifeng, and the two exchanged their perspectives. However, regarding Zhao Feiyu, Zhao Taizhan remained steadfast in his opposition to allowing these individuals into the multinational alliance's dimension. Seeing Zhao Taifeng still advocating for them, Zhao Taizhan could not help but snort disdainfully. The multinational alliance has stood firm for these years. How could it be toppled by this young man and a handful of others? Moreover, the alliance has the backing of those ancient figures. Each year, they offer a substantial tribute of gold, silver, and jewels. If the multinational alliance were to fall, would those old-timers simply stand by? Zhao Taifeng furrowed his brow and inquired solemnly, "Brother, are you suggesting that we contact the leader of the multinational alliance and let this matter rest?" Jiuzhou is willing to take a step back. Zhao Taizhan replied with gravity, "In both public and private matters, Feiyu and his companions are but children. All right, I will plead with the leader. As the backbone of the maritime world, I believe they will grant us some consideration," Zhao Taifeng said, pursing his lips before finally nodding in agreement. Meanwhile, as midnight struck, Xia Filong, who was watching from outside, suddenly noticed something unusual ahead and exclaimed in astonishment. Chapter 477. A terrifying strike comparable to nuclear weapons. Before him, under the night's glow, two colossal doors emerged, resembling a mirage, utterly ethereal. Surrounding these two grand gates, countless megalodons appeared to be irresistibly drawn, leaping from the depths of the sea, eager to breach the threshold. Reminiscent of koi fish striving to ascend the dragon gate, Yichuan let out a cold snort and spoke directly. Jam, commenced the live broadcast. Blueberry Jam was momentarily taken aback. The multinational alliance had indeed begun a live stream, intending to showcase the dire consequences of crossing them to all of Blue Star and the oceanic realm. Let us reveal to the world that the multinational alliance is not invincible, Yichuan remarked casually. All right. Blueberry Jam responded with a cheerful smile, promptly initiating the live stream. Not only would this boost her followers, but it would also allow her to receive gifts and promote their small team. Truly a trifecta of benefits. Almost instantaneously upon her broadcast's commencement, millions of viewers flooded in, and the viewer count escalated geometrically, with donations from Huazi and the Great Rocket nearly obscuring Blueberry Jam's graceful visage. Many viewers had transitioned from the multinational alliance's stream. After all, Blueberry Jam and her team were perceived as the underdogs. While they were eager to witness the grand battles of the multinational alliance, they were even more curious to see how Blueberry Jam would counteract them. With her signature sweet smile, Blueberry Jam warmly addressed the audience. Hello everyone, I am Blueberry Jam. The gate before me is the entrance to the multinational alliance. You guessed it right. We are about to launch an assault on them. Wow, this is incredibly thrilling. Jam, you are the boldest woman I have ever encountered, exclaimed a viewer. Initially, there were moral constraints compelling you to engage in the conflict between the eastern regions and the western island lords, yet not only did you participate, but you also aimed to dismantle the multinational alliance. I am now a devoted fan. I only recognize Blueberry Jam among female streamers. The multinational alliance is exceptionally formidable and has threatened to annihilate you. Are you truly prepared to confront them head-on? Despite my unwavering support, I find your actions rather reckless. And I must confess, I can only spare some Huazi. The viewers inundated the chat with comments at a staggering pace, reaching millions per minute, as the live stream's audience soared to 300 million. Thank you all for your support. We are about to enter this gate. I wonder if we will still have a signal in another dimension. Blueberry Jam took a deep breath and spoke with utmost seriousness. If we maintain a signal, I will enlist a friend to assist with the live stream, as I will also partake in this battle. If the signal falters, fear not, for you can witness my combat through the multinational alliance's broadcast. With that, Blueberry Jam summoned the bushy giant ape. Ever since the emergence of the Tree King, even the formerly ferocious, mutated bushy giant ape had lost its temper. Upon hearing Blueberry Jam call for it, it hurried over with an eager gait, clearly relishing its newfound sense of purpose. Subsequently, the colossal ape of the Boo clan was instructed by Blueberry Jam to assist with a live broadcast, which merely required directing the camera forward. Of course, aside from focusing on the grand battles for the majority of the time, the primary task was to capture Blueberry Jam herself. Being a mutated version of the Boo clan's giant ape, it possessed a modicum of intelligence and quickly adapted to the task at hand, initiating the live stream without delay. With a resounding crash, the sea turtle forcefully swung open the grand doors, revealing the vast expanse of the multinational alliance in broad daylight. The area was boundless, stretching nearly 1,000 nautical miles from east to west, adorned with various small islands, and even the clouds above were painted in vibrant hues. It was truly a breathtaking sight to behold. Almost instantaneously, as the Sea Turtle Islands surged into the multinational alliance, all warships, super aircraft carriers, and the formidable missiles from the Invincible Fleet began their assault on the island. Yichuan activated dual layers of temporal defense and, building upon levitation techniques, propelled himself using the island's thrusters. With ample equipment at his disposal, he was determined to annihilate the multinational alliance, deeming all efforts worthwhile. The terrifying velocity astonished the viewers online, rendering the Sea Turtle Island nearly indistinguishable, as if it had surpassed the speed of sound. Meanwhile, hundreds of thousands of missiles descended like a harbinger of doom, striking the island with catastrophic force, plunging it into a water pit hundreds of meters deep. The ensuing explosion generated towering waves a kilometer high, mercilessly crashing back onto the island. In that moment, the Sea Turtle Island resembled a fragile boat amid a tempest, enduring the onslaught of destruction. Following the shockwave, akin to the devastation wrought by nuclear weaponry, the island was thrust back into the ocean. Even the double-layered protective shield exhibiting slight fractures, suggesting that it might soon succumb to the next wave of attack. The sheer ferocity of the assault was astounding. This island had withstood the barrage of hundreds of thousands of missiles and shockwaves. It was no wonder it dared to challenge the multinational alliance. It truly possessed the means to do so, as evidenced by the resilience of its protective shield, which was not easily contestable. One could only wonder about the goddess's means of resistance. If this was all she had, they might indeed be outmatched. Alas, let us pray for the goddess, for I hold no affection for the multinational alliance. Perhaps to facilitate communication with the outside world, this dimension's signals had not been severed. The Bu clan's giant ape fulfilled its duty, broadcasting the horrifying spectacle in its entirety. Meanwhile, aboard a warship, after finishing a conversation with Zhao Taizhan and observing Blueberry Jam's live stream of the multinational alliance, Zhao Taifeng felt a tumult of emotions surging within him. He dared not delay any further and promptly called the leader of the multinational alliance, Ogatrovsky. Ogatrovsky could not help but sneer, mockingly remarking, "Isn't this my friend Zhao Taifeng? What a surprise to receive a call from you. Leader, I implore you to spare Fei Yu and the others." Zhao Taifeng spoke straightforwardly, acknowledging that although they had acted against the coalition of multiple nations and even dared to confront it, he implored, "For the sake of my Jiuzhou, please spare them." "Do you truly believe that is possible?" Ogatrovsky replied with a cold laugh. "Over the years, have you witnessed anyone bold enough to oppose the coalition? That is why I seek your forgiveness. Furthermore, Jiuzhou is willing to take a step back and offer 5 mines to the coalition," Zhao Taifeng replied solemnly. "To put it in perspective, they are merely children. Why should adults stoop to the level of children?" Chapter 478. The super shockwave shocks the world. 5 mines. Can that truly compensate for our losses? Ogatrovsky sneered. 10 mines. 10 mines. Zhao Tiefeng's expression darkened, and he quickly revised his offer. At that moment, Turtle Island was merely over 300 nautical miles from the coalition's headquarters. Ogatrovsky chuckled. "Once they enter within 100 nautical miles, I shall command another assault. If they can withstand it then, I will consider your proposal." "Lord Leader, is this not a bit excessive?" Zhao Tiefeng's tone grew increasingly frigid. "Even if they are children, there are consequences to every action," Ogatrovsky stated coolly. "Thus, whether they live or die is left to fate." Zhao Tiefeng's face hardened, his teeth clenched. Yet he uttered no words. As the sea gradually calmed, within half an hour, Turtle Island had entered the 100 nautical mile range of the fleet. True to his word, Ogatrovsky initiated another extensive assault, as hundreds of thousands of missiles, along with shells and artillery, rained down like the scythe of death. The hearts of countless netizens raced with trepidation. Clearly, this attack was more ferocious than the last. My heavens, with such bombardment, not just the island, but half of Jiuzhou would be obliterated. What are the deities thinking? Why have they not intervened? Even a counterattack would suffice. The coalition is truly despicable, bullying the weak. If there were Western Island lords among the deities' ranks, they would not be so ruthless. Go, deities. Stand firm. Zhao Taifeng clenched his fists, his gaze unwaveringly fixed on Turtle Island, fervently hoping that Zhao Feiyu and his companions could overcome this crisis. No matter what, he must convince his elder brother to bring Feiyu back. The time to witness a miracle was upon them. Just as Yichuan was about to unleash his ultimate move, Blueberry Jam turned to the livestream, elegantly declaring, "Here comes the moment of truth." As everyone was left in utter bewilderment, Yichuan unleashed a tremendous super shockwave. In that fleeting moment, a terrifying force, surpassing even nuclear weaponry, erupted with a thunderous roar, propelling forward nearly 100 nautical miles. The artillery stationed a mere dozen nautical miles from Turtle Island was instantly obliterated by the shockwave, yet the sheer explosive power surged onward, undeterred. What on earth is happening? The confident Ogatrovsky's expression shifted dramatically as he bellowed, "All defensive artillery, engage immediately." The ferocity of this force is beyond comprehension. In an instant, every defensive cannon, both distant and near, began their assault, but the shockwave's might was nearly invincible, relentlessly crashing into every warship in the multinational alliance headquarters. Let the storm come, even fiercer. Blueberry Jam, with her back to the camera, spread her arms towards the direction of the multinational alliance. In that moment, two additional super shockwaves erupted with devastating force. Propelled by the residual momentum of the first, unleashing a deluge of billions of tons of seawater in a cataclysmic wave. In the span of mere seconds, all defensive artillery became an extension of the super shockwave. The foremost warships, including the super aircraft carriers, lacked the capacity to withstand the onslaught, disintegrating into mere fragments. Although the invincible warships managed to endure, they too suffered varying degrees of damage. Ogatrovsky was furious, seething at the thought that an inexplicable shockwave had annihilated over 10,000 warships and aircraft carriers, claiming the lives of more than 2,000 island lords and hundreds of thousands of Western sailors. The losses were astronomical. Zhao Taifeng, have you ever witnessed such a powerful child wreaking havoc, inflicting such devastation upon the multinational alliance? Just as Zhao Taifeng had yet to hang up, Ogatrovsky shouted through gritted teeth, "This time, they all must perish, and you, Kyushu, shall pay for this." With that, he forcefully ended the call. Zhao Taifeng was utterly stunned, unable to fathom how Zhao Feiyu and the others could possess such terrifying power. With a single move, they not only thwarted all incoming attacks, but also obliterated over 11,000 warships and aircraft carriers, resulting in casualties in the hundreds of thousands, an event comparable to nuclear warfare. Just as everyone stood agape in shock, the two subsequent shockwaves erupted. The remnants of warships and aircraft carriers were completely annihilated, leaving no trace of their existence. Ultimately, the shockwave crashed against the invincible warship, which had once boasted impenetrable defenses, now reduced to a mere facade. The first wave of the shock had already dismantled it, and soon, beneath the towering waves, it was entirely submerged in the depths of the ocean. Yet the power of the shockwave surged relentlessly forward, causing all surrounding isles to vanish entirely. Despite the invincible battleship headquarters promptly activating their protective shield, it too succumbed to the onslaught, as nearly a square kilometer of the headquarters structure was obliterated, leaving only a barren isle in its wake. Moreover, when the third shockwave struck, the entire island was further diminished by 3 to 4 meters. Fortunately, the presence of those terrifying SSS-class beings spared the remaining 7 founders of the multinational alliance, as well as the leader, from substantial harm. The sheer destruction wrought by merely 3 shockwaves left the lords of the oceanic world bewildered. No wonder the goddesses acted with such audacity. They possessed such a formidable weapon. It utterly terrified me. With a single wave of assault, over 10,000 warships and aircraft carriers were annihilated. Who could possibly contend with such might? Although the multinational alliance was formidable, they paled in comparison to a solitary isle. Years of accumulated wealth were swept away in an instant, even interrupting the live broadcast. How amusing. Yet the most powerful among them remained unscathed, accompanied by 7 SSS-class beings, 1 Ultra-S-class entity, 7 formidable individuals, and 1 transcendent warrior. This seemed an invincible scenario. Ogtraflovsky, accompanied by the Ultra-S-class being, approached a few hundred meters from Turtle Island, gazing at the diminutive figures before him, and could not help but grimace as he declared, "I underestimated you. I had no idea you possessed such strength. Having depleted the resources of my multinational alliance, you shall each pay an unimaginable price." Chapter 479. The ultimate confrontation begins. The duel of alliances. I must say, there is one point on which I believe you are mistaken. Yichuan shook his head gently and replied, "You should recognize that it is your protection of the Western Island lords, your disregard for us of the 9 continents, that has led to this predicament. Ultimately, it is your unfairness and injustice that have resulted in your current losses. Is it truly so difficult for us of the 9 continents to seek equity? Several centuries ago, you 9 continents were merely a group of Eastern Asian invalids. It is only in recent years that you have begun to catch up. You should be grateful for your place in the oceanic world, yet you still demand fairness?" Otraflovsky scoffed derisively. "How laughable. You 9 continents are inconsequential. Fairness is reserved for us, the esteemed Western Island lords, not for you." Observing Otraflovsky's words, which appeared so righteous, Yichuan could not help but exclaim, "Do you possess such audacity to utter these words before the entirety of Blue Star? The live broadcast has already been interrupted. Do you believe anyone will hear you?" Ogtraflovsky sneered dismissively, "You shall soon meet your demise. Once you are gone, the 9 continents will be forced to deplete their resources to compensate us, and the multinational alliance will swiftly be re-established. All that you have done is in vain." A single statement left the vast audience of 700 to 800 million viewers in utter astonishment. In my eyes, the multinational alliance is a profoundly sacred entity. Yet their leader could be so vile. Even if we were to forego fairness, the way the multinational alliance treats our Jojo is utterly repugnant. Although I am a Westerner, I believe that all humanity is equal. How can there be distinctions between the elite and the inferior? These individuals are utterly despicable, and I wholeheartedly support these esteemed figures in their pursuit of justice against them. Under the assumption that no one is aware of the matters within this dimension, does this not reveal their true nature? Zhao Taizhan, originally opposed to the battle, now bore a grim expression. While it is true that 90% of the multinational alliance comprises Western Island lords, we have consistently adhered to many of their resolutions. How can they utter such words without fearing that we, the Jojo, might feel disheartened? Commander, should we not offer them our support? A woman beside him inquired softly. They are located within the dimension between the outer sea and the forbidden sea. Who do you think can enter that dimension the quickest at night? Zhao Taizhan said solemnly. Louis, the woman whispered, she should be nearby, executing a mission to eliminate an S-level marine creature, and she could assist in holding off a skilled opponent. Then let us dispatch her. Our military cannot remain entirely unresponsive. Zhao Taizhan nodded emphatically. This could indeed serve as a declaration of war between Jojo and the multinational alliance. Indeed, the woman saluted Zhao Taizhan and immediately set off to relay the orders. Zhao Taizhan, however, gazed at the backs of the 7, led by Yichuan, and murmured with a hint of anticipation, "I am eager to witness just how powerful you have become." Yichuan shrugged slightly and then spoke softly, "Friends, we are on the brink of battle. This time, both Saturday and Friday will also join the fray. I will unleash 2 additional super shockwaves shortly. Everyone must charge forward immediately. The Tree King will utilize all of his roots to manipulate the weapons on Turtle Island. United in our efforts, I believe we can dismantle the multinational alliance." Excellent. The others nodded slightly, their spirits finally heightened with tension. This is destined to be a fierce confrontation, and any misstep could lead to total defeat. No one dares to underestimate this. In that moment, Yichuan directed 2 shockwaves toward the enemy, followed closely by several super missiles that erupted forth. With Yichuan activating a double amplification, the final battle commenced. Although these SSS-level beings are terrifying, they are not yet at their peak maturity. Faced with the nearly superimposed shockwaves, they were left dazed and injured, their bodies riddled with numerous wounds. Furthermore, the arrival of the super missiles inflicted significant damage before the battle had even begun. The 7 founders also endured the onslaught of the shockwaves, feeling an indescribable force of attack that left them feeling powerless. Fortunately, the SSS-level beings shielded them, preventing any substantial harm. Several super missiles, at least 3, were launched towards the colossal S-class marine creature. This was a red koi fish, measuring a full kilometer in length. As the super shockwave surged forth, it instantaneously opened its massive mouth, releasing a torrent of seawater that surged forth like a shockwave, colliding with the super shockwave and generating towering waves that countered nearly 2/3 of its formidable power. Yet, Yichuan had long been aware of this red koi fish, recognizing it as the most powerful creature among those present. Only by annihilating it in an instant could he secure an absolute advantage. As the super shockwave struck, the forbidden gun had already been unleashed with great force, although it bore only 1/3 of its full might. The terrifying tip of the gun impacted the creature's body, prying off 3 of its enormous scales. This was an utter humiliation for the red koi, a creature of such exalted rank that only an entity of equal or greater strength could inflict harm upon it. Yet, this mere human, who had only just entered the realm of transformation, had managed to strip away 3 of its scales, despite its intentions to lead a legion of SSS-class minions to conquer the Forbidden Sea. Now, who could still submit to it? In that moment, the red koi opened its gaping maw and began to draw in water, unleashing a terrifying suction that struck like a thunderclap. Though Yichuan halted his advance in time, he could not withstand the force. Just then, a dolphin, stationed nearby, seized the opportunity. Observing that all of the red koi's attention was fixated on Yichuan, it charged directly into the koi, its horn colliding with a force of 20 tons against the creature's belly, fortuitously striking between the scales. The instantaneous shock rendered the red koi momentarily disoriented, though for merely a fraction of a second. Yet, for Yichuan, that was more than sufficient. With a low roar, he propelled himself upward, harnessing the immense suction of the red koi to launch an attack aimed at its cavernous mouth. He unleashed a peacock feather strike directly into the unfathomable depths of its maw. Just as the red koi began to regain its senses and a tinge of green flickered across its form, its intended counterattack was thwarted once more. Seizing this fleeting moment, Yichuan hurled a super missile from his inventory into its rapidly closing jaws. Chapter 480. Deception and Warfare, the Cost of Complacency. Dragonfish, spit it out. The ever-watchful Ogatrovsky's expression shifted dramatically as he shouted in alarm. After all, as an S-class marine creature, its terrifying combat prowess was not something a mere transformational warrior could hope to challenge. Initially believing that the dragonfish could effortlessly teach Yichuan a lesson, he was taken aback by Yichuan's cunning, especially upon witnessing the missile enter the dragonfish's mouth, prompting Ogatrovsky to finally voice his concern. In that fleeting moment, the crimson koi fish opened its mouth wide, seemingly intending to expel everything. Yet, the terrifying force generated in that act of inhalation and exhalation caused the super missile to detonate within its maw, shattering the massive fish head into fragments and rendering its colossal body motionless. Dragonfish. Ogatrovsky roared once more, his longsword emanating a faint glimmer of blade light. With a swift movement, he charged toward Yichuan. Yichuan was momentarily taken aback. After all, this was a super S-class marine creature. Even though the might of a super missile was formidable, it seemed implausible that it could annihilate such a being outright. This was, in every sense, inconsistent with its status as a super S-class organism. As Ogatrovsky launched his assault, Yichuan pushed aside his thoughts and, resolutely refusing to retreat, surged forward to strike back at Ogatrovsky. He employed the floating technique of the sea turtle and accelerated towards Ogatrovsky, unleashing an absolute gravity strike. Although Ogatrovsky might have been slightly stronger, under the enhancement of the miraculous little pill and the application of absolute gravity, he felt a terrifying force erupting from the spear. In that moment, he sensed that he could not withstand this blow, yet with the arrow on the string, he had no choice but to meet Yichuan's attack head-on. The overwhelming impact felt as though several 100,000 tons of force collided with him, leaving Ogatrovsky dazed. As the blade light surged toward Yichuan's head, he swiftly retreated. At that instant, he recognized that he had underestimated Yichuan. Despite being a novice who had only entered the marine world for less than half a year, even if he had forcibly elevated himself to the transformation realm, he should not have been capable of matching him. Who would have thought that this little heifer could soar to such heights? You are formidable, but not formidable enough, Yichuan declared, suspended in midair, and charged once more at Ogatrovsky with a thunderous shout. Damn! Ogatrovsky cursed under his breath, left with no choice but to defend. The forbidden spear expanded dramatically, resembling a colossal pillar aimed at Ogatrovsky. Having lost confidence after the previous exchange, he now felt a surge of terror as this strike approached. Channeling all his strength into his longsword, he forcefully retaliated against the spear from below. With a resounding clash, the genuine confrontation of Transformation Realm warriors unfolded for the first time. To Ogatrovsky's astonishment, he discovered that Yichuan's strength was not as formidable as he had anticipated. Despite the grand spectacle, he found himself evenly matched in combat, a realization that stemmed from his hasty engagement. If he were to confront Yichuan in a fair fight, it was clear that he would not be the one to perish. As he pondered, Ogatrovsky's confidence surged, and he couldn't help but let out a cold laugh, exclaiming, "You dare!" Suddenly, a faint sound of air being sliced filled the air, and a volley of arrows shot forth, hurtling toward him with fierce intensity. Just a few meters from him, they ignited into raging flames, causing him to furrow his brow and momentarily lose focus to defend himself. In that instant of distraction, Yichuan exerted his strength once more, forcefully pushing down, causing Ogatrovsky to descend several meters in haste, nearly grazing the surface of the sea with his feet. In that moment, a dolphin launched a surprise attack, its fateful horn colliding directly with Ogatrovsky's foot. A tremor coursed through his body, an indescribable numbness enveloping him, rendering him immobile. The several hundred meters of the long spear vanished in an instant, and Yichuan appeared before him, crashing against him and unleashing a flurry of close combat strikes. Just as Ogatrovsky began to recover, a flash of the long knife severed his legs, sending a piercing pain through his body, leaving him defenseless as he collapsed onto the water's surface. Damn you! Ogatrovsky glared with wide eyes, gritting his teeth in anger directed at Yichuan. He now regretted that his strength surpassed Yichuan's. he believed he could easily overpower him. Yet, under the initial terrifying assault from Yichuan, he had been led to believe he could not contend with him, losing the advantage and ultimately succumbing to the debilitating surprise attack, which resulted in his legs being severed by Yichuan's fluid and relentless assault. "Old man, what do you have to say now?" Yichuan coldly questioned as he approached Ogatrovsky. "You lack the skill. If it weren't for your deceit, it would be you lying dead." Ogatrovsky spat back, seething with indignation. "Hypocrites! How dare you Western Island lords bully the island lords of Jiuzhou, while the multinational alliance shields you? You call yourselves honorable?" Yichuan retorted with a scoff. "This is merely the art of war. Curse you." Ogatrovsky fumed. "Enough. You are already finished. Do not waste your breath." Yichuan replied curtly, suddenly thrusting his spear, intent on incapacitating Ogatrovsky. Just then, the roar of a colossal wave erupted, as a massive tail struck the water where the crimson fish had just sunk, sending a colossal splash soaring hundreds of meters high. What in the world? Yichuan's brow tightened. In the next moment, a golden dragon fish, over 300 meters in length, emerged from the depths, its scales shimmering brilliantly under the sunlight. Though its body had diminished considerably, it appeared far more agile, its strength seemingly magnified. "Dragonfish!" Ogatrovsky shouted in exhilaration, astonished that the recent attack had compelled it to reveal its true form. "Then go forth and slay these bastards." As per the command of Ogatrovsky, the golden dragonfish set its sights on Yichuan, launching a fierce assault. The sea turtle, undeterred, rose up fiercely, its claws poised to strike down upon the golden dragonfish, eager to engage in a formidable contest. Chapter 481. The Invincible Golden Dragonfish, Troublesome. In that fleeting moment, the golden dragonfish's massive tail twisted violently, delivering a powerful blow to the sea turtle. The sea turtle, refusing to yield, activated its full potential, combining rapid ascension with absolute gravity, unleashing a terrifying force that nearly surpassed hundreds of thousands of tons, colliding with the colossal tail. The impact stirred monstrous waves. Between the two, a vast chasm nearly a kilometer deep and several nautical miles in diameter suddenly materialized, unleashing terrifying waves that surged outward in all directions, layering upon one another to heights of several hundred meters, creating a colossal tsunami that surged forth in this dimension. After all, battling against an Ultra S-class marine creature, even with the triple effect in play, the sea turtle found itself at a disadvantage. Meanwhile, the Tree King commanded a direct assault, launching a volley of 180 small projectiles that accurately struck the golden dragonfish's abdomen. Cannons and crossbows accompanied the missiles, all converging on the dragonfish's belly. Despite the intricate and exquisite golden scales offering some protection, the sudden barrage, when it was still reeling from the previous impact, resulted in a small rupture in its soft underbelly. Although no blood was shed, the pain jolted the golden dragonfish into alertness, prompting it to unleash a powerful sound wave directed at the sea turtle. The sea turtle countered with water bullets and a reverse current technique, which nearly doubled the power of its water bullets, leading to another explosive clash in the water, causing the already massive water pit to plunge down at least another 100 meters. Roar! Seizing the opportunity, a dolphin unleashed a sound wave interference towards the golden dragonfish. Despite the dolphin's lack of rank, the sheer force of its attack spread out, momentarily disorienting the dragonfish. Yichuan, who had been waiting for this moment, leaped forth, the forbidden spear extending over 100 meters as it struck down toward the dragonfish's head. Boom! Almost instantaneously, as the golden dragonfish regained its senses, the spear crashed down. The dragonfish opened its mouth wide and bit down fiercely on the spear's tip. Damn! Yichuan was taken aback, never anticipating such a maneuver from the golden dragonfish, particularly striking where its razor-sharp teeth, several meters in length, which rendered Yichuan unable to withdraw his spear, even with all his might. Following this, with a powerful flick, the golden dragonfish reduced the spear in size, sending Yichuan flying several nautical miles away. Meanwhile, Blueberry Jam was entangled in combat with a foreign island lord. Although that SSS-class creature bore significant wounds, it still posed intermittent threats to Blueberry Jam, whose fair arms were now marred with scratches, revealing that this battle was far from the ease he had anticipated. Yichuan was sent flying, just as the Lord of the Western Island discovered a flaw in the Blueberry Jam. With a powerful kick to her abdomen, she was propelled hundreds of meters away. Yichuan couldn't help but let out a low growl as the forbidden gun elongated once more, descending like a vengeful deity. The Western Island Lord gazed at Yichuan with disdain, a curved blade over a meter in length shielding his entire body. His plan was clear. After blocking Yichuan's strike, a mere flick of the blade would severely wound her, achieving a double kill. However, reality diverged from his expectations. With a deafening crack, the blade that had accompanied him for decades shattered in two, and the shot struck his body, nearly cleaving his head in half. The founding master fell, a tragic end to his legacy. At that moment, an SSS-class creature emitted a mournful cry, its entire form lunging towards Yichuan, seemingly intent on avenging the fallen lord. The dolphin's sonic waves surged forth, but the SSS-class creature shrieked in agony. Yichuan unleashed a colossal super missile at one of its more significant wounds, resulting in a gruesome spectacle of flesh and blood, leaving the creature severely weakened. Suddenly, Saturday, engaged in battle with another island lord, erupted into a frenzy, leaping into the sky with a swift motion. The long blade carving a massive gash across the SSS-class creature's head before it collapsed into the sea. With a fierce shout, Friday swiftly positioned himself before the SSS-class creature, leaping into the air and yanking downwards. Together, they tore the creature's hide asunder, pitifully deprived of the opportunity to unleash its true power. Overwhelmed by the dual shockwaves and the super missile, it met its demise without even revealing a fraction of its formidable strength. Without delay, Saturday and Friday sought out other adversaries to continue their fight, leaving Blueberry Jam momentarily bewildered. "Brother, are they really dead? You should assist Lu Yuewei," Yichuan declared, then immediately charged towards the golden dragonfish. Meanwhile, the audience in the live stream was left utterly astonished, their frequency of commenting on the broadcast slowing to a crawl. Is this real? Can it really be this incredible? An SSS-class creature fell like a mere melon? The synergy among the fighters was nothing short of extraordinary, particularly the benefactor of Blueberry Jam, who had not only taken down the leader of the multinational alliance, but had also managed to slay a founding master and an SSS-class creature while contending with a super S-class beast. If I were a woman, I would certainly offer myself to him. No wonder they dared to challenge the multinational alliance, initially thought to be overreaching. It was now clear how formidable they truly were. The multinational alliance, I can confidently assert, is finished. At that moment, Zhao Taifeng pondered whether to deploy Lu Yi, as it seemed that these individuals could handle everything on their own. As I observed Yichuan engaging in combat against the golden dragon fish, I couldn't help but feel that their strength seemed somewhat inadequate. After all, the golden dragon fish is an ultra S-class creature. If Yichuan only possessed this modicum of combat prowess, it would be quite unreasonable. With a sudden clash, Yichuan launched himself at the golden dragon fish, only to be met with a powerful tail strike that sent him hurtling backward. My goodness, this adversary is indeed formidable. After retreating several nautical miles and feeling the ache in his body, Yichuan couldn't help but mutter under his breath. As a being of the transformation level, each of his strikes could be likened to the force of a super missile. It was one thing to be unable to inflict harm upon the golden dragon fish, but to be left sore and aching was utterly ridiculous. "System, do you have any more powerful weapons to lend me? I need to deal with this creature," Yichuan inquired softly as he shook his body. Chapter 482. The Awakening of the Minor Toxin and the Battle Against the Golden Dragon Fish. However, the system remained silent, seemingly experiencing another system failure. "Damn it, this is an Ultra S-class marine creature," Yichuan grumbled quietly, preparing to charge once more. At that moment, the black wristband on his arm began to pulsate, indicating that the tentacle monster had awakened. Starting from his wrist, black tendrils rapidly spread across his body, causing Yichuan to furrow his brow. The tentacle monster had gained sentience at this pivotal moment, yet the circumstances were quite perplexing. As the black tendrils enveloped his neck and began to smoothen into a sleek and stylish battle armor, Yichuan felt a surge of excitement. There was no sense of confusion or loss of will as previously indicated by the system. He was still himself. "Little tentacle monster at your service, my master." A magnetic voice resonated in Yichuan's mind, indicating that the tentacle monster was now communicating with him. Yichuan nodded in satisfaction. "What abilities do you possess?" "At present, I only feel as if I'm clad in a genuine leather bodysuit, with no other sensations. I am composed of countless black threads. Yet I can transform into a liquid form and possess potent toxicity, capable of launching poisonous spines," the tentacle monster replied. "While I currently shield your body, I can also morph into various weapons and shields to fight alongside you. It is no exaggeration to say that all physical attacks, under my protection, are rendered ineffective against you." Impressive, Yichuan thought to himself. If what it claimed were true, its abilities were reminiscent of the previous giant tentacle monster, which meant it had inherited some of its vulnerabilities as well. He then cautiously inquired, "So, are you also unusually sensitive to sound waves?" "When I amalgamate with you, I am not afraid of sound wave interference," the tentacle monster assured him. The tentacled creature promptly responded, stating that it would be affected only during solitary combat. The name tentacled creature is rather unappealing. Allow me to bestow upon you a more melodious title. Let us call you Little Poison, shall we? Each one exclaimed. Yes, that name is rather agreeable. I like it, the creature replied. Little Poison, indeed, possesses an aura of audacious flair. I find it delightful. Upon hearing this, the tentacled creature erupted into laughter, exclaiming, Truly, you are my master. The artistic merit of this name is undoubtedly towering. Without further ado, the battle commenced. Yichuan chuckled heartily as the forbidden spear elongated to 2 meters, lunging forward towards the golden dragonfish. The golden dragonfish firmly pinned down the sea turtle, causing the protective shield surrounding the turtle to develop cracks. As Yichuan charged, the golden dragonfish collided forcefully with the turtle, unleashing a dreadful force accompanied by a cacophony of sounds, ultimately shattering the shield under immense pressure. A terrifying shockwave surged towards Turtle Island, and just as the wave was about to strike the ground, Yichuan quickly conjured a temporal protective shield, successfully dissipating the devastating impact. The ground suffered only minor damage and began to gradually recover under the control of the Tree King. At this moment, Yichuan had also surged forward, relentlessly attacking the golden dragonfish's head with the spear. This time, however, the dragonfish did not attempt to block with its teeth. Instead, it twisted its body to lash out at Yichuan once more. With a resounding thud, Yichuan chose to forego resistance, allowing the tail to strike him. Just as Little Poison had mentioned, the weight of several 100,000 tons bore down upon him without inflicting any pain. In the split second before being flung away, Little Poison's 2 tentacles ensnared the dragonfish's tail, propelling back with even greater speed after traveling several hundred meters. Yichuan hardly exerted excessive strength. The forbidden spear had now extended nearly 100 meters, thrusting fiercely at the dragonfish's tail. A thunderous crash resonated as several scales shattered, eliciting a pained response from the golden dragonfish, which twisted its body at a 180-degree angle, revealing its cavernous maw. If the mouth of the previous red carp resembled a vast, dark abyss, then this dragonfish's gaping mouth was adorned with layers of menacing fangs, capable of rending anything caught within its grip into pieces. With a swift motion, Yichuan seized the opportunity as the tentacles released their grip, swiftly ensnaring the 2 whiskers beneath the dragonfish's mouth. He flipped onto the creature's back and brandished his great knife, striking down with force. While 2 tentacles remained anchored, dozens more extended in various directions, securely fastening Yichuan onto the dragonfish's back. No matter how the creature struggled, he continued to hack away at the same spot. You boast of your strength. You claim to be formidable. I shall persist in assaulting this very section of your body, and I refuse to believe I cannot carve a piece of your flesh away. Forged from materials such as blue steel and exquisite gemstones, the long sword is capable of slicing through hair and is indomitable in its might. Each strike reverberates against the back of the golden dragonfish, whose immense body, despite its size, quivers from the vibrations, driving it into a frenzy. In a moment of turmoil, the golden dragonfish thrashes in the ocean, creating a colossal whirlpool that extends for dozens of nautical miles. Yet, bolstered by the black tendrils, no matter how fiercely the dragonfish struggles, it cannot dislodge Yichuan. Instead, several scales from its back are severed, exposing the tender flesh beneath. Ha, master, do you see how formidable I am? Little Poison chuckles, boasting with delight. I do not. Yichuan replies almost without hesitation. Little Poison is momentarily taken aback, sensing a disconnection in their exchange. Meanwhile, the golden dragonfish, in agony from the blows it has endured, writhes in pain, emitting a series of mournful cries. As a super S-class marine creature, its scales represent the most formidable defense in this world, impervious to even the mightiest of forces. Yet now, it finds itself wounded by this persistent human who clings like a stubborn bandage. The dragonfish is enraged, and the repercussions are dire. In that instant, the golden dragonfish appears to relinquish its struggle, diving headlong into the depths, swiftly navigating towards the abyss. Yichuan furrows his brow. What is this maneuver? The dragonfish plunges deeper into waters that seem unfathomable. Even at a depth of 5,000 meters, the ocean floor remains elusive, and Yichuan finally feels a twinge of pressure. Chapter 483. The tug of war with the dragonfish and the blunder of the giant ape. Damn it. Is this creature intending to reach the deepest part, where I shall succumb to the pressure and meet my demise? Yichuan grits his teeth in frustration. Master, you can still speak underwater. Little Poison exclaims in astonishment. Naturally, I can breathe freely for at least half an hour beneath the waves. Yichuan retorts tersely. With my current strength, I cannot pull him up, Little Poison laments, unless we abandon our pursuit. Having come this far, do you truly believe we can give up? Yichuan snorts disdainfully. However, Little Poison's words spark a realization, prompting him to immediately notify the Tree King to deploy the super anchor. Since acquiring the super anchor, it had only been utilized once. Yichuan had thought that, given the strength of the sea turtle, it would not be needed again. Little did he know, another opportunity would arise. In an instant, the enormous anchor resembles a spear, hurtling through the water with lightning speed toward the depths. Just as the dragonfish descends nearly 500 meters further, and Yichuan's endurance approaches its limit, the anchor finally descends. Little Poison swiftly entwines the anchor with numerous strands, causing it to spin upon surpassing the golden dragonfish, wrapping around its form with remarkable speed. The golden dragonfish found itself momentarily immobilized, racked with excruciating pain in its back, blissfully unaware of the descending ship's anchor above. In its understanding, no tether could possibly reach the depths of over 5,000 meters. As it continued its descent, the anchor's pull suddenly created a tugging force that countered its momentum. Despite being an Ultra S-class marine creature with strength exceeding millions of tons, the golden dragonfish was forcibly drawn upward by the sea turtle, employing absolute gravity and levitation techniques. In a fleeting moment of struggle, the super anchor retracted by at least a kilometer. With the pressure alleviated, Yichuan let out a low growl and swung his blade once more at its back. Upon the disappearance of the golden scales, the vulnerable area exposed was incapable of withstanding the assault, swiftly becoming the dragonfish's Achilles heel, blood erupting forth. The pain ignited a renewed struggle within the golden dragonfish, propelling it downward once again. However, after descending nearly 100 meters, it stabilized, while the anchor continued its slow ascent. It turned out that the roots of the Tree King had ensnared the anchor, aiding in the upward pull. At that moment, the combined force of the anchor's retraction and the strength of two SSS-class beings temporarily surpassed that of the Ultra S-class marine creature, reducing the golden dragonfish's distance from the surface to just over 2,000 meters. Let us go, Yichuan commanded, retracting all of Xiao Du's tentacles. Like a cannonball, he burst forth from the water, swiftly operating the gigantic automatic fishing gun upon reaching Turtle Island. Mere seconds later, the fishing gun plunged into the sea, and Yichuan dove back into the water. The fishing gun shot downward with great speed, with Yichuan trailing closely behind to assist in targeting. Observing the golden dragonfish's continuous struggles, Xiao Du entwined itself around the fishing gun, augmenting its power by at least double, ultimately delivering a forceful strike into the tender flesh of the dragonfish's back. The barbed hook opened instantly, unleashing excruciating pain that intensified the dragonfish's thrashing. Its body spun rapidly, wrapping the reinforced steel wire around itself a dozen times before it plunged downward, culminating in a sharp snap as the wire was abruptly severed. Yet the agony in its back lingered, especially with the hook deeply embedded in its flesh, a sensation not easily grasped by all. In that moment, the golden dragonfish ceased its passive defense and initiated a fierce counterattack, surging upward to deliver a powerful blow to the sea turtle's abdomen. The sea turtle was propelled skyward, but unwilling to concede, it unleashed absolute gravity, delivering a crushing force of 100,000 tons upon the dragonfish's head, sending both beings plummeting back toward the ocean's surface. What a magnificent golden dragonfish! Its size, scales, and overall form are nothing short of perfection. This is an extraordinarily formidable S-class marine creature. Its power is indeed terrifying, and you dare to call it beautiful? Although it is an S-class marine being, its beauty is undeniable. I almost wish to keep it in my private reservoir. I wonder if this esteemed individual can truly prevail against it. After such a protracted struggle, it seems neither side has inflicted any damage upon the other. For now, it can only be said that they are evenly matched, with neither able to gain the upper hand, though the golden dragonfish has clearly sustained injuries. In the livestream, the giant ape inadvertently captured the moment the golden dragonfish soared majestically from the water, astonishing all viewers. Yet opinions diverged on whether Yichuan and his companions could triumph over the golden dragonfish. The giant ape merely glanced at the battlefield before redirecting the camera towards Blueberry Jam. At this moment, Blueberry Jam was collaborating with Lu Yiwei, battling a colossal creature reminiscent of a rhinoceros. This creature measured over 100 meters in length, with horns extending 7 to 8 meters, and during combat, it could unleash attacks akin to lasers. Any target struck would suffer grievous wounds, if not death. The two women had practiced their combined techniques, and their coordination allowed them to evade while continuously assaulting the rhinoceros. After the recent onslaught and super missile strikes, the creature had already sustained significant injuries. Now, faced with their attacks, its decline was evident, and even its laser strikes seemed to have diminished in power. It was merely a matter of time before the two women would vanquish it, thanks in no small part to Friday, who had managed to restrain the creator of the rhinoceros, granting them ample time. As the spectators admired Blueberry Jam's graceful movements, marveling at how the once sweet streamer had transformed into a valiant warrior, the giant ape's large visage suddenly loomed before them. What on earth is this? How did it turn into this ape's face? It's utterly terrifying. It appeared that the creature had inadvertently flipped the camera, intending to capture the goddess, but instead revealing itself. You foolish monkey, quickly turn the camera back. We wish to see the goddess, not you. How infuriating. This giant ape likely could not comprehend our words. What are we to do now? In that moment, the audience erupted into a chorus of complaints. Many wished to leave, but hesitated, fearing the giant ape might suddenly switch the camera back. Thus, they could only stare blankly at the giant ape's enormous face. Chapter 484. Yichuan is swallowed. Lu Yi emerges. Damn it, regarding this creature, I fear an internal assault might be necessary. Observing the golden dragon fish still capable of exchanging blows with the sea turtle, Yichuan could not help but exclaim. The key issue is that this creature not only possesses terrifying strength, but also boasts a defense that renders it nearly impervious to physical attacks. Even if we were to continue this way, it would take at least a day and night to exhaust it. Master, should I enter its belly? Little Poison suggested decisively. Yichuan shook his head and solemnly remarked, it would be more pragmatic to stuff a few missiles into its belly. Although its scales are impervious, I find it hard to believe that its abdomen is equally fortified. With a call of dolphin, Yichuan transformed his long knife into a spear and charged directly at the golden dragon fish. At this moment, the golden dragon fish was already in excruciating pain. Seeing Yichuan approaching with his spear, it did not hesitate to lash its massive tail against Turtle Island, sending it flying hundreds of meters away. Simultaneously, the fish leapt out of the water, opening its gaping maw once more to attack Yichuan. Yichuan was formidable, yet the golden dragon fish was convinced that if it could swallow him whole, its terrifying teeth combined with its immense biting force could surely eliminate him. The dolphin propelled itself forward at great speed, and as the distance between Yichuan and the fish diminished to nearly 100 meters, it soared into the air, piercing the wound on the golden dragon fish's belly with its fateful horn, injecting venom once again into its body. In that instant, Yichuan had dashed into the mouth of the golden dragon fish, but just as the fish attempted to close its jaws, it was paralyzed, leaving its mouth agape. Meanwhile, several ground-to-ground missiles from Yichuan's inventory were already deposited inside the golden dragon fish's body. Gazing down into the endless, dark maw, a few tendrils grasped the fish's teeth, preparing to propel him out. However, despite the missiles having entered the golden dragon fish's belly, there was no explosion. What the hell is going on? Yichuan's expression changed. No, we must go in. If the missiles don't detonate, the opportunity created by my dolphin will be wasted. Master, what are you doing? The little toxin exclaimed incredulously. You can't drag me down with you. That's not fair. Didn't you say to ignore physical attacks? Then what are you afraid of? Yichuan barked, severing the tendrils with his spear and leaping into the pitch-black belly of the fish. At that moment, the golden dragon fish awakened from its paralysis. Gazing around in confusion, the enemy seemed to have vanished, and it felt something had entered its belly, assuming it had devoured its foe. It swiftly turned its attention to the turtle, intent on eliminating it. However, upon reflection, the golden dragon fish decided to deal with the others first, realizing that the most formidable opponent had already been vanquished. If it did not swiftly eliminate the remaining minions, their forces would be further weakened. With this thought, the golden dragon fish dove towards Zhao Feiyu, who was engaged in battle with an SSS-level marine creature resembling a sea lion. Its massive tail struck Zhao Feiyu with tremendous force, sending him flying. Despite wearing combat armor, Zhao Feiyu felt an unbearable pain, as if his body had been shattered. The golden dragon fish surged once more towards the spot where Zhao Feiyu had landed, vigorously sweeping its massive tail and lifting him hundreds of meters into the air. It then opened its cavernous maw wide in his direction. In that fleeting moment, Zhao Feiyu's expression shifted dramatically. The enormity of the dragon fish rendered him incapable of any evasive maneuvers as it plummeted at breakneck speed. His only recourse was to fall into its gaping jaws and then devise a subsequent plan. Taking a deep breath, he grasped his weapon, preparing to confront the beast. Suddenly, a streak of light flashed in the distance, crashing violently into the golden dragon fish. exerting a tremendous force that sent it tumbling several hundred meters away and creating a colossal splash upon impact with the sea. Before Zhao Feiyu stood a towering mech, a magnificent fusion of gold and crimson, measuring 7 to 8 meters in height. The cockpit opened to reveal Lu Yi, who greeted Zhao Feiyu with an impressive demeanor. "Brother Zhao, it has been a long time." Lu Yi. Zhao Feiyu's expression shifted with disbelief as he waved at her, incredulous that she had acquired such an awe-inspiring suit of armor, imbued with formidable power. "This was bestowed upon me by Commander Zhao Taizhan," Lu Yi explained. "This mech is a military marvel, developed at great expense, capable of rivaling SSS-class beings. It was deemed perfectly suited to me, hence my receipt of it." "Have you joined the military?" Zhao Feiyu asked, taken aback. "Indeed, Commander Zhao Tiexin saved me during a perilous moment, and I subsequently enlisted," Lu Yi affirmed. "But where is Yichuan?" "I do not see him. He was swallowed by that golden dragon fish," Zhao Feiyu replied hastily. "What?" Lu Yi's expression shifted as she gazed at the approaching golden dragon fish, swiftly entering her mech and charging once again towards the creature. A surge of excitement coursed through her. "Yichuan, you cared for me when I first entered this oceanic realm. Who would have thought that one day I would descend like a divine warrior to rescue you?" Boom. The iron behemoth that had just sent her flying charged back at her, and the dragon fish abruptly flicked its tail, striking fiercely at Lu Yi. Yet, her reflexes were equally swift. She soared into the sky, wielding a colossal hammer, bringing it down with great force upon the dragonfish's tail. Bolstered by the propulsion of her fuel, the hammer struck with a force nearing 200,000 tons, landing squarely at the base of the tail, a location predicted by the mech's advanced technology to be its most vulnerable point. A thunderous crash resonated through the air as the hammer collided with the tail, causing the dragonfish to rear up almost entirely. However, it sustained no damage. Instead, its colossal maw twisted a full 180 degrees, lunging ferociously at the giant mech. Boom. Another deafening sound erupted as a shield materialized before Lu Yi, but the dragonfish's head collided with the barrier, shattering it into countless fragments. In a moment of urgency, Lu Yi hastily retreated, yet the colossal tail surged forward once more, crashing violently against the massive mech. The force of the collision left Lu Yi grappling with an indescribable impact, and soon she faced the gaping maw of the golden dragonfish, now wide open. Chapter 485. Lu Yi fails. Yichuan detonates the missile in that instant, Lu Yi shouted, her entire body unfurling as she unleashed a powerful thrust from her feet, propelling herself upward by 5 or 6 meters while grasping the upper jaw of the golden dragonfish, executing a deft jump outward. Crack! Though her movements appeared flawless, the golden dragonfish, an Ultra S-class marine creature, was not so easily subdued. Its terrifying teeth snapped shut instantly, clamping down on the calf of the giant mech with ferocity. "Damn it!" Lu Yi furrowed her brow, her body flipping instantly as she delivered a fierce kick to the dragonfish's head. However, this meager assault felt akin to mere tickling to the formidable beast. The crushing power of its bite intensified, and despite Lu Yi's utmost efforts, she could not break free, particularly as the massive tail executed a full 180-degree sweep. With a cry, Lu Yi felt her legs snap at the knee, propelling away from the oncoming tail's strike. Activating a small intelligent computer on her arm, Lu Yi conducted a series of operations before re-engaging in battle with the golden dragonfish. Yet, the loss of her calf rendered her giant armor incapable of reaching its peak performance, forcing her into a defensive stance. Observing Lu Yi's tenacity, the sea turtle momentarily abandoned its pursuit of the golden dragonfish and attacked another SSS-class marine creature. Despite the turtle's current SSS-class strength, it possessed an innate advantage, immediately overpowering its opponent and alleviating the pressure on the others. Meanwhile, the beast's giant ape seemed to realize something was amiss. Reflecting on whether he had inadvertently pressed something earlier, he fumbled with his phone, accidentally redirecting the camera back. In an instant, excitement surged among the crowd, with the millions who had previously departed returning within mere seconds to witness the unfolding battle, reigniting their fervor. Incredible. Has the battle reached a fever pitch? Our goddess is actually confronting an SSS-class creature. Absolutely astounding. However, it appeared that the esteemed figure had vanished. Was he gravely injured and thrown into the sea? Or was there another explanation? Had a new warrior joined the fray, the mech with a severed leg? Could she be a secret weapon? Without further ado, I shall recharge my account. I must support our goddess in her battle. At the Kyushu Marine World Command Center, Zhao Taizhan observed the scene with a grave expression, particularly noting the mech's missing calf. Though it could be reattached, it would still incur losses exceeding 10 million. Lu Yi, do not let me down. Narrowing his eyes at the colossal mech, Zhao Taizhan couldn't help but murmur softly, how infuriating. Why is this adversary so formidable? At that moment, Lu Yi felt increasingly alarmed. After 3 months of rigorous training, he had become completely attuned to the giant mech and had previously vanquished several SS-grade marine creatures. Yet, when faced with the golden dragonfish, he found himself utterly powerless. This was an Ultra S-grade marine creature. Although it had sustained injuries from Yichuan's attacks, its combat prowess remained formidable. What's that? Lu Yi's expression shifted dramatically as Zhao Feiyu's voice rang out from a distance. He had assumed it to be an SSS-grade marine creature, estimating its battle capability. Even in a wounded state, to be at the pinnacle of SS grade, something he believed he could contend with. Little did he realize it was, in fact, Ultra S grade. Moreover, the fact that Yichuan could engage in combat with such a creature and inflict harm was astonishing. Did that not imply Yichuan's combat strength surpassed his own? Having thought that possessing the giant mech and the backing of the military would render him sufficiently powerful, at the very least comparable to Yichuan, Lu Yi now felt a sense of inadequacy. Suddenly, in that fleeting moment of distraction, a thunderous crash resonated as the golden dragonfish launched a surprise attack, sending Lu Yi flying. Simultaneously, a flash of light appeared at a distance. It was the brand new lower leg of the mech, soaring through the air to reattach itself to the severed limb, thereby replenishing the mech's energy. Dozens of small missiles rained down upon the golden dragonfish, as Lu Yi, roaring in defiance, charged once more at the creature. Meanwhile, Yichuan had already infiltrated the belly of the golden dragonfish. Contrary to his expectations, the interior was surprisingly spacious, albeit somewhat slimy, easily accommodating 2 or 3 individuals walking side by side. Within its abdominal cavity lay remnants of weapons, swords, axes, and broken guns, likely remnants from battles with other humans, none of which had inflicted severe damage upon it. Master, look, there's even a skeleton over there, Xiao Du exclaimed, as several tendrils pulled the skeleton closer. Indeed, it was a human skeleton, embedded within the fish's abdominal wall, preventing it from being extracted. However, Yichuan's attention was drawn to a metallic necklace around its neck, from which hung a glass marble-sized orb resembling a crystal ball, containing what appeared to be landscapes of mountains, lakes, and forests, astonishingly lifelike. Without further contemplation, Yichuan yanked it off and tossed it into his system's inventory. We can commence our assault now, Yichuan stated with newfound determination as he located the ground-to-ground missiles. He turned to Xiao Du, solemnly inquiring, "Are you certain you can withstand the force of so many simultaneous explosions?" "Pretty sure," Xiao Du replied, albeit with a hint of hesitation, yet maintained a serious demeanor. The dark threads enveloped Yichuan's head, leaving only his large, white eyes visible. With no further delay, Yichuan brandished his long knife, striking down fiercely at one of the missiles. With a resounding explosion, the missiles detonated, triggering a catastrophic chain reaction that unleashed a terrifying force in all directions. The very essence of his being was violently disrupted by this overwhelming power, and Yichuan was propelled backward like a cannonball, hurtling towards the point of origin. In the wake of the explosion of several missiles, the golden dragon fish experienced an indescribable agony, opening its massive jaws towards the colossal mech. A deafening sonic wave erupted forth, and poor Lu Yi, who was poised to launch a few distraction missiles to confound the golden dragon fish, was abruptly thrown several dozen nautical miles away by the force of the impact. The exterior of the mech sustained significant damage. Although still operational, its responsiveness was markedly impaired. In the next moment, Yichuan was ejected as well, along with the visceral remnants of the golden dragon fish. Chapter 486. His demeanor is so nonchalant. "Master, I may need to enter a state of slumber for a while," Little Poison remarked to Yichuan, as its black armor rapidly retracted, ultimately transforming into a sleek black bracelet. At that moment, Yichuan realized why Little Poison exhibited such insecurity whenever the topic of ignoring physical defenses arose. It was likely still in the early stages of stabilization after awakening, and thus its physical defense capabilities had not yet reached their zenith. Although it had shielded him, it too had suffered grievous wounds, leading to its premature slumber. A wave of self-reproach washed over Yichuan. He had not anticipated this outcome. Yet, this was not the time for regret. Despite the internal organs of the golden dragon fish being utterly obliterated, it remained alive, thrashing violently upon the surface of the sea. The monstrous waves it generated caused the entire dimensional ocean to tremble. The surging tides crashed relentlessly, shattering numerous weaker marine creatures into fragments, and within mere seconds, the water began to take on a faint crimson hue. Was it a cornered beast fighting for survival? Yichuan's gaze hardened as he fixated on the golden dragon fish. Dismissing all other thoughts, he ascended into the sky, the forbidden lance surging to hundreds of meters in an instant, infused with all of Yichuan's strength, and struck fiercely at the creature's head. The golden dragon fish's eyes turned blood red as it beheld the approaching Yichuan, unleashing a roar before leaping into action. Its massive body twisted midair, and its powerful tail lashed out towards Yichuan with tremendous force. It was remarkable that it could maintain its composure amidst such chaos. Nevertheless, Yichuan did not relent. His strike landed forcefully upon the golden dragonfish's head, while he too was sent flying by the retaliatory force. Feeling as though his entire body was on the verge of disintegration, muttering curses under his breath, Yichuan was caught by Wang Kai after being propelled nearly a nautical mile. He promptly consumed 1 liter of SS-grade freshwater, feeling his body begin to rapidly recover, before Wang Kai carried him back to confront the golden dragonfish once more. At this moment, the golden dragonfish was struck squarely by a bullet from Yichuan, leaving it in excruciating pain and utterly bewildered. Noticing the dire state of the golden dragonfish, the sea turtle immediately rushed back, utilizing its suspended speed and absolute gravity to deliver a powerful blow, sending the golden dragonfish crashing into the water. The ever-watchful dolphin seized the opportunity and thrust its fateful horn once more into the belly of the golden dragonfish, eliciting a mournful cry that signaled the impending end of its life. Yichuan let out a low shout, followed by hearty laughter as he stored the golden dragonfish in his system's inventory, before returning to Turtle Island with a resounding thud, gasping for breath. After enduring 5 formidable shockwaves, along with super missiles and the collective efforts of so many, they had finally subdued this Ultra S-class golden dragonfish, a feat that had proven exceedingly challenging, far more so than dealing with the tentacle monster previously. However, having triumphed over this golden dragonfish, it was clear that any future encounters with Ultra S-class beings would necessitate a cautious approach, lest they strip the skin off everyone involved. Meanwhile, viewers in the live stream witnessed this astonishing scene, their disbelief palpable. Some were riding the subway, their startled exclamations going unnoticed as all attention was riveted on the live broadcast. It turned out that this formidable figure had not perished. In the face of the golden dragonfish's invincible defenses, he had ingeniously opted for an internal assault, and it had succeeded. The excitement was overwhelming. The most powerful leader had managed to defeat the Ultra S-class marine creature, signaling the end of the multinational alliance. Would the 9 provinces rise to replace the multinational coalition, establishing a new order of fairness, justice, and transparency in the marine realm? The prospect was utterly astonishing, exhilarating, truly exhilarating. On the island, Ogatrovsky was nearly rendered speechless. Bound by the Tree King, he had witnessed the entire process of Yichuan and his comrades slaying the dragonfish, and he could hardly believe that an Ultra S-class golden dragonfish could be so easily vanquished by these individuals. Truly inconceivable. Damn it, he muttered, unable to restrain his frustration. It was then that Yichuan noticed Ogatrovsky and, with a cold smile, asked, "Does watching your battle partner meet their demise bring you any satisfaction? You bastard. You have personally destroyed everything I painstakingly built. I will kill you. I swear I will kill you." Ogatrovsky screamed in a frenzy. "We shall discuss your hatred later. For now, I must attend to others." Yichuan replied with a grin, turning swiftly to leap from Turtle Island. The forbidden gun surged to a height of 100 meters, aimed directly at the head of the rhinoceros, which was currently locked in combat with Blueberry Jam. Sensing the imminent danger, the rhinoceros quickly turned its gaze towards Yichuan, its horn's laser beam instantly shooting forth in his direction. During the struggle against the 2 women, the rhinoceros had expended a considerable amount of its strength and was utterly incapable of resisting the fully revived Yichuan. The gun's tip cleaved the laser in 2, ultimately raining down from above and cleaving the unicorn in half. It was lamentable that the rhinoceros, while engaged in combat with 2 adversaries, had entertained a sense of significance, only to meet a grim fate in the end. "Brother, we are on the verge of defeating it," Blueberry Jam exclaimed, stamping her foot in dissatisfaction, her lips pouting. "Let us conclude this swiftly to avoid complicating matters," Yichuan replied coolly. Yichuan, turning around, he finally noticed the gigantic mech. Louis spoke up, revealing her true form, which momentarily took Yichuan aback. "Your battle armor is quite striking. You look impressive as well," Louis replied with a smile and a nod. Yichuan nodded slightly, choosing not to elaborate further as he resumed the fight. This left Louis momentarily stunned. It had been quite some time since they last met, and Yichuan's reaction seemed somewhat subdued. Nevertheless, as Yichuan had stated, A swift resolution was imperative, and without further contemplation, Lu Yi joined the fray. With the golden dragonfish eliminated, the previously balanced confrontation tilted dramatically in their favor with the addition of one person and one turtle. Their combat prowess surged, and what had once been a desperate struggle turned into a decisive victory within minutes. Aside from the SSS-level creatures that were vanquished and their inner cores extracted, the remaining 7 founders were all ensnared on Turtle Island, much like Ogatrovsky. Thus, the multinational alliance faced annihilation. Chapter 487. Surrender the treasure, and you shall be spared. Detecting that the host has eradicated the multinational alliance within a month, the dungeon task has been completed. A reward package is available. Would you like to open it? As Yichuan assessed the situation, the system's voice suddenly resonated. A wave of joy surged within Yichuan as he promptly responded. Open it. Opening the reward package. Congratulations, host. You have received Evolution Value Package 2, Resource Package 2, Temporal Super Defense 2, Island Propeller 2, Super Missile 2, Super Shockwave 2, Special Nutrient Solution for Rare Trees 2, and Tentacle Monster Exclusive Nutrient Solution 10. The system's voice followed suit. With the double amplification, all rewards were doubled. Wow. The sheer volume of rewards left Yichuan exhilarated. After all, previous dungeon tasks had not yielded such bounty. This time, he was bestowed with an abundance of items, perhaps due to the formidable challenge posed by the multinational alliance. Yichuan nodded, convinced that this was indeed the reason. Brother, why do you alternate between laughter and murmuring to yourself? What is going on with you? Blueberry Jam inquired, perplexed by Yichuan's seemingly neurotic demeanor. Nothing much. Just feeling exhilarated about achieving what most believed was impossible, Yichuan replied with a smile, shaking his head lightly. Very well then. Blueberry Jam shrugged slightly, then took the phone from the giant ape, smiling as he observed that the viewership had astonishingly reached 1 billion, with over 1,000 billion in gifts. Thanks to the platform's support for Blueberry Jam's livestream, his earnings had soared beyond 700 billion. However, Blueberry Jam did not express excitement. Instead, he spoke, "Thank you all for your support. The operation to dismantle the multinational alliance has reached a conclusion. I appreciate your backing for me and our cause." Jam is signing off now. In an instant, the livestream audience erupted once more. Goddess, you are incredibly powerful. You are the strongest streamer I have ever seen. I adore you. I will marry no one but you. Blueberry Jam, your benefactor is so handsome. Could you let him say a few words? I have secretly admired him. Jam, are you planning to establish a new order on your own? Will the multinational alliance still exist in the future? Goddess, look at me. I just sent you 100 Huazi. I love you. In response to the fervor, Blueberry Jam politely waved to everyone and then ended the stream. Meanwhile, Yichuan looked expressionlessly at the 7 founders and said calmly, "We could have easily killed you, but we chose not to. Do you know why? What do you want? Just say it. Whatever we can do, we will certainly do." One of them quickly replied. Having been in high positions for so long, their obsession with power and life surpassed everything. Hearing Yichuan's tone, they sensed a glimmer of hope for their lives. Yichuan nodded, smiling as he said, "It's not a big issue. Simply trade all your hidden treasures to me, and I will grant you a chance at survival. That is no problem." One of them immediately replied, "In my Super Tablet S storage, 16 slots are full. You can trade your items anytime. What are we waiting for? Let's get started." Yichuan gestured with open hands. At that moment, under the influence of the Tree King, the super tablets and hands of the 7 were temporarily freed, and they dared not play tricks, hastily trading items to Yichuan. A plethora of oddities was exchanged, particularly the incomplete treasure maps, which yielded for complete maps when pieced together. However, under the double amplification, apart from the identical treasure maps, everything else became doubled. Yichuan then shifted his gaze to Ogatrovsky, smiling as he inquired, "Leader, since everyone has shown their stance and set an example, shouldn't you also?" Ogatrovsky gritted his teeth, glaring as he retorted, "You should give up on that notion. Death is the worst that could happen. Just kill me." Indeed, death would be easy, a simple end. But do you not have unfulfilled wishes? Would you not find it regrettable if everything were to vanish with your demise? Yichuan shrugged and remarked, "As the ancient said, it is better to endure a miserable life than to embrace a noble death. Don't you agree? Leader, surrender everything, and we shall depart. A true man knows when to yield or stand firm. Indeed, as long as we remain alive, we can carve out our own destiny in the forbidden sea. Let us not get entangled in trivialities. It is not such a grave matter. Possessions can be regained. But life, once lost, is irretrievable. Do not overthink it. Let us proceed." The 7 founders, unable to contain themselves, began to interject with their own persuasive words. "Enough. Ogatrovsky, overwhelmed by their insistence, widened his eyes in irritation and exclaimed, "Is it merely my belongings you seek? Very well, take them, but return my super tablet. Had you agreed earlier, we could have resolved this issue swiftly." Yichuan chuckled, and with a grand gesture, Ogatrovsky promptly acquired the super tablet from the back. And negotiations commenced over 16 items, including the small safe mentioned by Chen Sanjin. However, the moment the transaction concluded, Ogatrovsky reached out and seized the safe, causing Yichuan to furrow his brow and inquire sternly, "My esteemed leader, what are you doing? This contains 5 treasure maps, 3 within the Forbidden Sea and 2 in the Life Forbidden Zone. They are of utmost importance to me, and I cannot relinquish them." Ogatrovsky responded coldly. "Did I not just state that all items must be handed over?" Yichuan pressed. "Indeed, but not this." Ogatrovsky remained obstinate. "Even if you were to kill me, I would never part with it. Do you truly believe I need to kill you to obtain that safe?" Yichuan retorted. "Regardless of the circumstances, you shall not lay your hands on it." Ogatrovsky maintained his icy demeanor. "Make your move." Yichuan's eyes narrowed as he barked in fury. In an instant, the roots of the Tree King and Zhao Feiyu surged towards Ogatrovsky. Chapter 488. Forgive me, I choose the military. As I have said, you will not obtain it. You simply cannot. Ogatrovsky shouted defiantly. "Even if it means destruction, I will not yield." With those words, a terrifying force erupted from Ogatrovsky's hands, obliterating the safe entirely, the treasure maps within turning to dust and scattering in the wind. "You." Yichuan's expression turned frigid as he glared at Ogatrovsky. "You are truly despicable. Death is not to be feared. What is truly terrifying is a life worse than death." Ogatrovsky, undeterred, met Yichuan's gaze and roared, "Come on. Kill me." Before he could finish, Yichuan swiftly drew his blade and severed his throat. Ogatrovsky trembled, incredulity etched across his features as he gazed at Yichuan. Though he bellowed defiantly, he could not truly believe that Yichuan would take his life. Lowering his gaze to the blood that gushed forth from his throat, his entire body began to quiver. In an instant, the Tree King hurled him violently with countless roots, casting him into the depths of the ocean. The 7 founders stood witness to this scene, their faces a tapestry of terror. One among them, in a pitiful tone, implored, "We have surrendered everything. This place should no longer concern us. Will you not allow us to depart?" "Depart? Where do you think you can go?" Yichuan retorted, his voice laced with fury. "It is your earlier persuasion that compelled Ogatrovsky to withhold the treasure map from me, leading to losses amounting to untold billions, not to mention invaluable treasures beyond monetary measure. What does that have to do with us?" An elder fumed. "You promised not to kill us. To go back on your word is a curse that will bring you dire consequences." "Indeed, I ought to have spared you," Yichuan replied dismissively. "Yet your words have doomed Ogatrovsky to withhold the treasure map from me, thus branding you with a wretched guilt." He waved his hand impatiently. "You wouldn't comprehend. So it is best if you meet your demise post-haste." With that, Yichuan turned away. The small dragon and his companions advanced, and amidst screams of agony, the founders had no time to utter further words as their heads fell, sent to the afterlife. "I attempted to reason with you, yet you chose to provoke my wrath. Why must it be so?" Yichuan sighed in resignation, shaking his head before turning to Lu Yi, a smile breaking his somber demeanor. "Old classmate, I did not expect you to return to lend a hand during our struggle against the multinational alliance." "Do not mention it, it is my duty," Lu Yi replied with a smile, "and this aligns with the military's intentions." "You have pledged allegiance to the military?" Yichuan narrowed his eyes, surprised. He shot a glance at Zhao Feiyu, then back at Lu Yi, who had gone missing since her departure from the island and had not been in contact, only to discover she had joined the military. Zhao Feiyu shook his head, indicating he had been unaware of her situation as well. Lu Yi cleared her throat and recounted the events of the island's assault, how Zhao Tiexiong had rescued her, and the subsequent occurrences. Yichuan listened, a hint of nostalgia in his smile as he inquired, "So, do you intend to remain with the military?" "I apologize, but I am now a member of the military, and must obey orders." Lu Yi saluted Yichuan. "Well then, I shall not keep you. Take care." Yichuan nodded, recognizing that their paths had diverged. It surprised him that despite the assistance he had rendered her, it paled in comparison to the singular act of rescue by Zhao Tiexiong. "Take care." Lu Yi nodded earnestly, entering her mech and turning to ascend beyond the dimensional veil. "Brother, this woman is utterly ungrateful." Blueberry Jam pouted, expressing her discontent, recalling how she had once assisted her. Yet now, not even a word of gratitude was uttered, and their relationship had grown somewhat distant. Has her military service elevated her status? Such arrogance. Regardless of her thoughts, Blueberry Jam harbored a profound disdain for her. That is not entirely fair, Zhao Feiyu interjected. Her actions are solely a reflection of her own character, unrelated to her military affiliation. Ultimately, it is her pride at play. Her self-esteem is excessively inflated. Lu Yue sighed, noting how Lu Yi had persistently sought validation in their presence, but found none. However, in the military, her ability to operate colossal mechs provided her with a heightened sense of significance, fulfilling her vanity. You wished to retain her. Yet she feared that staying would cost her the hard-won achievements she currently possesses. It is simply a matter of personal choice. No one can be blamed. Perhaps, Yechuan shrugged, choosing to remain silent. After this encounter, it seemed he and Lu Yi were destined for eternal separation. Dismissing such thoughts, Yechuan produced 2 ordinary treasure maps and handed them to Zhao Feiyu. Brother Yu, regardless of circumstances, the military has indeed lent us support. These treasure maps were obtained from the leaders of those islands located offshore. Please pass them on to the military. Upon hearing this, Zhao Feiyu's expression shifted, and he embraced Yechuan warmly. The act of entrusting the treasure maps to him, instead of Lu Yi, spoke volumes about his standing in Yechuan's heart. Surely, Lu Yi's choice of the military over Yechuan would prove to be her gravest error. In that moment, Yechuan cast aside everything else seized from the multinational alliance. Apart from the blue steel essence and treasure maps, scattering them across the villa courtyard with a hearty laugh. Brothers, take as much as you desire. Though you may not need these now, they will serve your families well, ensuring your futures as heads of households are even more secure. Big brother, little Filong exclaimed, overwhelmed with excitement at the sight before him. A nearly full warehouse of exquisite items awaited them, not to mention the weapons. Even each individual piece held a value in the billions. Consequently, little Filong, Lu Yue, and Liang Hongying each claimed a dozen items, while Blueberry Jam and Lu Shuai, lacking familial ties, took nothing. Furthermore, Blueberry Jam donated all the earnings from their recent livestream to Yechuan for the purchase of explosives, which genuinely touched him. Once the distribution was complete, Yechuan stretched leisurely and, with a smile, inquired, "So now, shall we return to the ocean world?" Chapter 489. Do you like your older brother? The group then returned to the ocean world, where the eastern sun had just begun to rise, casting its gentle glow across the sky, unmarred by clouds, accompanied by a soft breeze that imparted a serene atmosphere. With a grand gesture, Yechuan cast the magnificent golden dragon fish, measuring over 300 meters in length, onto the sandy beach. He called out to Saturday, cheerfully inquiring, "Saturday, how do you propose we best utilize this extraordinary S-class golden dragon fish that has just passed away less than 10 minutes ago? Given the sheer size of this creature, I suggest we scrape off the scales and refine them into fish oil, which we can then use for sautéing our dishes, ensuring an exquisite flavor," Saturday promptly replied. "Indeed, we can create a delightful broth from the fish bones, and as for the flesh, the culinary possibilities are endless. Whatever flavor you desire, it can be prepared," Saturday continued. "Then you and Friday shall commence the task. Do not discard the scales. Their defensive properties are substantial. If we do not wish to utilize them ourselves, we can sell them for a considerable sum." Yechuan chuckled, leaving the proceedings in the capable hands of Saturday and the others. At that moment, a voice from the system echoed. "Detection indicates the host has yet to check in. Would you like to proceed with the check-in?" Without hesitation, Yechuan declared, "Check-in. Check-in successful. Congratulations, host. You have received 2,000 evolution points and 1,000 kg of exquisite fish feed," the system announced. However, aside from the evolution points, the only other reward was a ton of refined fish feed. Yechuan pondered, realizing it made sense, as the recent battle had greatly benefited from the contributions of the sea turtle and dolphin, especially the dolphin's fateful horn, which had undoubtedly bought them precious time in their conquest against the formidable S-class marine creatures. Immediately, Yechuan allocated 20 kilograms of exquisite fish feed to the dolphin and 100 kilograms to the sea turtle, prompting joyous exclamations from both creatures. "Brother, where are we headed now?" inquired the little dragon, slightly puzzled after their breakfast. "We are off to the Forbidden Sea to seek treasure," Yechuan replied with a smile. "Those 3 treasure maps from Agatrovsky should lead us to a veritable bounty." "But didn't the maps turn to dust along with the small safe?" Lu Shuai questioned. "That was merely a ruse. The true treasure maps are right here with me." Yechuan laughed heartily, producing one of the maps. "I propose we first journey to this location. The Endless Sea Cape? What manner of place is this?" The markings on the treasure map piqued curiosity, leaving them somewhat bewildered. "This place is 10,000 nautical miles away. At the current speed of the sea turtle, we should arrive in 5 days," Zhao Feiyu remarked, assessing the journey ahead. "It seems quite straightforward, but the specifics of the location can only be discerned upon our arrival." Very well, let us set forth towards this destination. The little dragon exclaimed, snapping his fingers and laughing heartily. Have you all given your father the things? Yichuan suddenly recalled and inquired. Not yet. We just finished a major battle. And we deserve a moment of respite. The little dragon replied with a grin. This surprise can wait until later to reveal to my mother. I still possess 3 treasure maps from the outer sea, identical to the 2 that you holds, all acquired from those founders. Each of you shall take one to present to your families, Yichuan said, distributing a treasure map to each individual. Brother, Liang Hongying's expression changed, as she incredulously remarked, Isn't this a bit excessive? You have already bestowed upon us so much, and yet you wish to offer us a treasure map as well. We are a collective. Whatever we receive should be shared among us, and you have already taken so little. Yichuan chuckled and shook his head. As for the treasure map from the outer seas, compared to those in the Forbidden Sea and the absolute restricted zone, it hardly piques our interest. Rather than selling it, wouldn't it be more prudent to keep it within our circle? Hongying, when did you become so overly cautious? Very well, we shall accept it. Although Liang Hongying felt a tinge of reluctance, she was soon chastised by Yichuan, which compelled her to acquiesce. Upon contacting her family, the news of acquiring such a plethora of treasures, along with a treasure map, left the entire Liang family in a state of shock. Initially, when Liang Hongying mentioned becoming a subordinate island lord for another party and taking a fleet from home, there was a sense of internal resistance. However, as the most promising member of the younger generation, her decision led them to gamble on her choice. To their astonishment, Liang Hongying continuously brought them unexpected delights. The value of what she provided was likely beyond trillions, equivalent to the fruits of a decade of effort for the Liang family. Liang Chongtian, the head of the Liang family, tentatively inquired, Hongying, are these the spoils you acquired from your confrontation with the multinational alliance? Indeed, but this is merely a small portion. My elder brother insisted we take it, and we couldn't take too much, Liang Hongying replied candidly. Do you harbor feelings for your elder brother? Liang Chongtian asked suspiciously. Father, what are you suggesting? Liang Hongying was taken aback and felt a bit embarrassed. I know your character, and you are not one to be shy. If you truly like him, pursue him. Who says a girl must be reserved? When one encounters someone they admire, they must seize the moment. Liang Chongtian laughed heartily. If we were to gain such a distinguished son-in-law, it would be effortless for the Liang family to ascend to the ranks of the great clans of Jiuzhou. If that is your intention, then perhaps it is best to reconsider, Liang Hongying said, lowering her gaze. Just jesting. But rest assured, the position of the next family head will surely be yours. Liang Chongtian waved his hand with a smile. I am eager to see who would dare contest your claim to the position now. Meanwhile, Zhao Feiyu was engaged in conversation with Zhao Taizhan, directly handing over the treasure map and items to him, bypassing Zhao Taifeng, which brought immense satisfaction to Zhao Taizhan. Feiyu, you have finally matured. I am truly gratified. During my time in the oceanic realm, I have indeed learned a great deal, Zhao Feiyu expressed with a sense of reflection, and I have successfully entered the fray, experiencing a remarkable enhancement in my strength. All of this is owed to Yichuan. Zhao Taizhan replied with a smile. You have encountered a good brother who has greatly aided you in your journey of growth. He is also a benefactor to our military. Yichuan is indeed quite commendable. Zhao Feiyu nodded slightly, responding with utmost seriousness. Please invite him over. I wish to speak with him. Zhao Taizhan shifted the topic, continuing his conversation. This momentarily took Zhao Feiyu by surprise, yet he refrained from probing further and promptly departed to find Yichuan. Chapter 490. The military's request for assistance. A hidden mission. At this moment, Yichuan was beside the chicken coop, observing the newly hatched chicks. The previous brood had yielded only 2 roosters and 2 hens, so he was pleasantly surprised to see another batch so soon. Nearby, a 3-month-old lamb tilted its head, curiously regarding the tiny creatures, seemingly puzzled as to why they emerged from eggs and did not drink milk. Just then, Zhao Feiyu called out to him, and he followed Zhao Feiyu to meet Zhao Taizhan. Upon seeing Yichuan, Zhao Taizhan couldn't help but nod. No wonder Feiyu holds you in such high regard. You are indeed a remarkable young man. Uncle, you flatter me, Yichuan replied with a courteous smile. You are a talented youth. Have you ever considered joining the military? Zhao Taizhan asked with a friendly smile. Would it not be better to fight for the glory of the 9 provinces? Even if I do not enlist. I have fought for the glory of the 9 provinces, Yichuan replied, shaking his head with a smile. Thank you for your kind consideration, uncle. But I must admit I have not contemplated this matter. A true man should aspire to far-off places. I admire your spirit. Zhao Taizhan laughed heartily. By the way, Feiyu mentioned you are heading to the Forbidden Sea. There is a matter I may need to entrust to you. Please feel free to speak. If it is along our route, we shall gladly assist. Yichuan responded without hesitation. It is not a significant matter. Merely someone our military has been pursuing, a man named Lung Yu. He is a formidable island lord with a fleet at his command and has been operating within the Forbidden Sea. Moreover, he has secretly trained many assassins for various criminal activities on Blue Star, Zhao Taizhan explained solemnly. Therefore, I hope that if it is convenient, you can help capture or eliminate them. Dad, can't Louis handle this? Zhao Feiyu inquired directly. With her current capabilities, it is not feasible. Her mech has sustained severe damage and requires repairs, Zhao Taizhan replied with a wry smile. It is rare to find someone so compatible with combat mechs, and the military is quite protective of her. At that moment, the system unexpectedly emitted a sound. Hidden mission detected. Will the host accept? What hidden mission? Yichuan asked, startled by the sudden announcement from the system. Hidden mission. The host must eradicate the threat by eliminating Lung Yu within 1 month to secure a substantial reward. Will you accept? The system stated directly. What does eradicate the threat mean? Yichuan pondered, confused, as he believed he had not offended this Lung Yu. The host may choose to accept or decline. The system reiterated. I accept. Yichuan replied, scratching his head in suspicion but still speaking promptly. Detection confirms the host has accepted the hidden mission. Please complete it as soon as possible. The system responded immediately. Yichuan, is there a problem? Noticing Yichuan's perplexed demeanor, Zhao Taizhan could not help but inquire. Absolutely, I will assist with this matter. Yichuan promptly nodded. However, I wonder if there exists any coordinates or similar information regarding this individual. No, Zhao Taizhan regretfully shook his head. If we had such information, we wouldn't find ourselves in this predicament. Leave it to me, Yichuan confidently declared. Although he was still uncertain about the meaning of the system's instruction to eradicate the root of the problem, the emergence of a hidden task compelled him to act. After conversing with Zhao Taizhan for a while longer, Yichuan took his leave. Yet, he found himself devoid of any recollection of the person named Lung Yu. Even inquiring the system, which simply ignored him, shaking his head slightly. Yichuan promptly sought out the island master from the Ocean Intelligence Association to inquire about Lung Yu's information. The individual was quite forthcoming, yet this time did not request S-class freshwater. Brother, I noticed that enormous missile you wielded during battle. Might you spare me one? Yichuan inquired with a stern expression. What do you need that for? The Ocean Intelligence Association has previously offended a foreign island master, and he may attack us soon. We are currently in urgent need of weaponry, the individual responded, shrugging. Since you possess such formidable weaponry and are investigating, I see no issue with this. Provided you do not intend to use it against us island masters of the 9 provinces. Yichuan nodded in agreement and promptly traded a super missile package to him. In 3 hours, I will provide you with comprehensive information regarding Lung Yu, the individual remarked before falling silent. Seizing the opportunity, Yichuan opened the public chat room. To this day, I have not forgotten the goddess's graceful combat. She has become the woman of my dreams. Come on. She belongs to a major figure, not to you. You can only dream about it. I've heard the 9 provinces military is spearheading the plan to re-establish a multinational alliance. This time, they are likely to conduct it with utmost fairness and transparency, right? That remains uncertain and holds little relevance to us. In any case, the oceanic world has undergone a transformation. The island masters engaged in idle chatter, seemingly lacking any useful information, prompting Yichuan to divert his attention. He stepped outside to observe the progress of their work on Saturday. The duo worked with remarkable speed, with Lu Shuai and others assisting. They had already scraped off all the scales from the golden dragon fish, each oval-shaped scale measuring approximately 0.4 to 0.5 square meters, meticulously arranged to form thousands of pieces. Although these scales held little personal utility, others would surely regard them as priceless treasures. Considering they were scales from an Ultra S-class marine creature, Yichuan promptly listed 1,000 pieces for sale in the oceanic market. This served as a benefit for everyone, as one could acquire a piece for merely 100,000 units of certain basic materials, inciting a frenzy of purchases among the island masters. In the public chat room, where casual conversations had just been taking place, the atmosphere was suddenly invigorated by Yichuan's recent actions. Goodness, this is actually a scale from that Ultra S-class marine creature. It is an invaluable treasure, unattainable at any price. However, I possess only 50 or 60,000 units of basic materials for each type, which makes it impossible to gather the required 100,000 units. What am I to do? You can only watch as we seize it. I have enough and plan to procure several more scales, which I could sell for tens of millions, even billions. Envy and resentment brewed among the onlookers. At that moment, Many island owners began to bombard Yichuan with messages. Although Yichuan was not particularly attentive, he did notice one message. Master, while I lack sufficient basic materials, I possess intelligence that is nearly worth 1 million units of basic materials. I wish to exchange it for 5 scales. Chapter 491. Gigantic Warplane. Similar beings? Yichuan, intrigued, promptly replied, what sort of intelligence could possibly be valued at 1 million units of basic materials? A raid, a targeted assault against you, came the serious reply. Though you are formidable, your adversaries are no pushovers. Upon reading this, Yichuan chuckled. Yet he was not stingy and immediately sent 3 scales in response. I will give you 3 scales now. If your intelligence piques my interest further, I shall grant you 2 more. A gigantic warplane, measuring 1,000 meters in length, is hurtling towards you at a speed of 500 nautical miles per hour. The other party responded promptly. They must have observed your battles, believing you to possess many valuable items, and intend to seize them. Is that so? Yichuan asked, astonished. Indeed, and this warplane is equipped with an extremely advanced defense system. They will be the ones attacking you, while you will have no opportunity to retaliate, the informant continued. It is estimated to arrive in approximately 2 hours. Take heed. All right, that information is worth 5 scales, Yichuan remarked, sending an additional 2 scales. He was unperturbed by the possibility of deception, as the super radar possessed automatic identification capabilities. If the information were false, even if Yichuan wished to reward the informant with scales, they would be unable to claim them. As he pondered this, the super radar emitted an urgent alarm, causing Yichuan to shift his expression. They have arrived? The others quickly gathered around as they spotted a warplane racing towards their location. Little Flying Dragon exclaimed in astonishment, is this fellow a fool? Does he not realize the extent of our strength? How dare he come to his demise? If they lacked absolute confidence, they would not dare approach recklessly. Yichuan replied with a smile, recounting the informant's message to the group. This revelation left everyone genuinely astonished. Is this true? Can modern technology support the creation of a warplane over 1,000 meters long? Can modern technology support the construction of a 3,000-meter-long warship? Yichuan countered directly. While it may not be feasible, they cannot possibly compare to you, big brother. Little Flying Dragon chuckled. However, this left Yichuan momentarily speechless. After all, those island lords were indeed incomparable to him. He possessed a system capable of supporting the construction of such formidable warships. Yet, Yichuan could not help but solemnly inquire, System, do you perhaps have any companions? The system remained silent, unresponsive. Yichuan let out a cold snort and pondered for a moment before articulating. This may indeed be a challenging battle. We must engage them in earnest. One in the sky, the other in the sea. This is undoubtedly a formidable contest, Zhao Feiyu stated gravely. No, we shall ascend directly. I will temporarily withdraw the Sea Turtle Island, Yichuan replied, shaking his head. Guojiang and Wei Wei, you two remain on Sea Turtle Island for now. We will have the 3 little ones along with the wind god pterosaur take us to the skies, lying in wait for our prey. As he spoke, Zhao Feiyu and the others mounted the wind god pterosaur, soaring into the heavens, while Yichuan and Lu Shuai climbed atop Wang Kai and Wang Yun. Blueberry Jam, with a cheerful grin, chimed in, Brother, what about Wang Fu? Let him take me along. Even if he can't fight, he can surely protect me. Very well, but remember, we will be high above, stay alert. Yichuan cautioned, temporarily sealing Lu Yi, Wei Wei, and Sea Turtle Island within a bottle. The 6 of them swiftly ascended into the sky aboard their flying creatures. Soaring at an altitude of over 10,000 meters, they approached the colossal warplane, which was situated at an elevation of over 8,000 meters. Despite the vastness of the sky, the enormous aircraft loomed like a behemoth. With a sudden maneuver, the 6 flying creatures dove downward, ultimately landing atop the giant warplane. What is happening? The 6 of them had inexplicably penetrated the protective shield, entering the aircraft directly. The terrifying currents outside were entirely blocked, allowing them to stand steadily atop the warplane. Logically, the protective shield should not permit us to enter so easily, Liang Hongying remarked, casting a doubtful glance at Yichuan. Could this be an enemy scheme to lure us in? There's another possibility. The 2 protective shields share a common origin. Yichuan promptly proposed. This means the shield did not recognize us as foes, allowing us to enter effortlessly. The enemies might be unaware of this, thus providing us with an opportunity. If that's the case, this becomes quite interesting. Little Pterosaur chuckled. These adversaries are indeed our equals. It remains to be seen who will triumph. Let us find a way inside and subdue the enemies within, Yichuan whispered. The 6 divided into 3 groups, communicating through their headsets as they swiftly sought methods to infiltrate the aircraft. Blueberry Jam cautiously inquired, "Brother, why do I feel that the owner of this warplane is of a similar ilk to you? It's quite terrifying. Am I frightening in my usual demeanor?" Yichuan turned and asked with a smile, "Not at all, but to the enemies, you must appear quite formidable." Blueberry Jam recoiled slightly. "Now, it is truly just the two of us together. I almost wish to hide with you somewhere and engage in some mischievous activities." Yichuan sighed helplessly at the Blueberry Jam. "Sister, do you not realize the gravity of the situation? Might you refrain from speaking inappropriately given your esteemed status as a super internet celebrity?" Uffed. Blueberry Jam pouted, choosing to remain silent. Yichuan, focusing intently, swiftly led Blueberry Jam to a small entrance of the aircraft, where they encountered 3 patrolling island lords. With a flick of his wrist, 2 blazing feather arrows appeared in Yichuan's hands, shooting forth in an instant. 2 of the men were struck in the temples, collapsing unconscious, their bodies engulfed in terrifying flames. The last man, bewildered by the sudden turn of events, was seized by Yichuan, a knife pressed against his throat. "You will answer my questions, or you shall meet the same fate as your companions, understood?" The sheer terror in that moment caused the man to nod vigorously, his eyes wide with shock, still struggling to comprehend the situation. "How many individuals are aboard your aircraft, and what are your intentions?" Yichuan inquired in a hushed tone. "There are a total of 2,000 island lords. Our captain has spotted a lucrative target and plans to bomb and seize it," the man responded without hesitation, fearful of any trickery. "How many formidable individuals do you have on your aircraft?" Yichuan pressed further. "The captain is rumored to be a newly ascended superpower. Among his subordinates, one has attained the realm of perception, while 3 or 4 others are close to achieving it," he replied. "The rest of us were recruited from the blue planet. We lack strength and knowledge. Please, let me go? You scruffy fellow, in your 40s, and you dare call me brother?" Blueberry Jam exclaimed in astonishment, her anger flaring. "Sister, I did not mean to." The man looked pitifully at Blueberry Jam, but before he could finish, she plunged a knife into his heart. "Must you be so violent?" Yichuan expressed his bewilderment. There are still many questions left unanswered, and now he is dead. This is utterly frustrating. He called her sister. She hasn't even celebrated her 20th birthday yet. Blueberry Jam lamented. "We must proceed. Remember, no matter who we encounter, we must kill without mercy," Yichuan advised quietly. "Although I say this, the truth remains uncertain. We cannot trust anyone." "Understood." Blueberry Jam nodded earnestly, and together they quickly ventured further into the aircraft. From the outside, the aircraft appeared colossal, but inside it was a labyrinth of complexity, far more intricate than an ant's nest. Navigating through the convoluted pathways, they communicated with 2 other teams while neutralizing all who crossed their path. After dispatching over 100 adversaries, they finally located the technical chamber and discovered several structural diagrams of the aircraft. After sharing information with the other teams, they proceeded with Blueberry Jam toward the command center. In but a brief span of mere minutes, the 2 arrived at the command chamber. However, since their emergence from the technical section, they had encountered no one until they entered the command room, where a man in his 40s unexpectedly appeared before them. "I never anticipated that as I came to assault you, I would be ambushed instead, resulting in the demise of over 100 of my employees. Impressive indeed. Who exactly are you?" Yichuan inquired in a grave tone. "We bear no grievances against each other, yet you choose to attack us? I believe we are fundamentally similar. Though I merely arrived at this juncture before you did," the man replied with a slight shrug and a smile. "Now that we stand face to face, let us speak candidly. Let us collaborate and dominate the entire oceanic realm. What say you?" "System, who is this individual?" Yichuan fixed his gaze on the man, pressing the system for answers. A failure of the system, the response came promptly. "His system has been compromised. He was discarded by the system and has since been rendered a mere experiment with no further prospects." "Am I also an experiment?" Yichuan countered. The system fell silent once more, uncertain whether it could elucidate the matter or if it tacitly accepted Yichuan's inquiry. This caused Yichuan's brow to furrow. Could it be that he too was an experiment? "I wish to know everything," he stated, fixing his gaze upon the man. "Of course, provided we establish a partnership first," the man asserted. No. I will subdue you, and only then will you divulge your secrets," Yichuan retorted. The man, taken aback by Yichuan's words, had little time to respond as Yichuan unleashed a terrifying speed, striking before the man could react. He was sent flying, crashing into the thick hatch door, leaving a colossal dent. "You are far more formidable than I had anticipated," the man remarked, astonished. "In merely 6 months, if you continue to develop at this pace, you may very well achieve success in your endeavors." "I cannot say, but you are destined to be incapacitated," Yichuan replied, shaking his head nonchalantly. At that moment, two more individuals emerged, their skills reminiscent of Zhao Feiyu prior to his entry. Your adversaries are here. No, no, no. I am your opponent. Blueberry Jam interjected with a grin. 3 against 1. Don't you find that shameful? Allow me to join you in the fray. Then we shall have to unleash our full might. The two said, their expressions shifting at the sight of the alluring Blueberry Jam, their mouths watering in anticipation. They had not expected to encounter the real deal so quickly, and they felt compelled to relish the experience. Let us see if you possess the ability. Blueberry Jam scoffed, beckoning them with a finger. The two exchanged glances, chuckling as they charged towards Blueberry Jam. Meanwhile, Yichuan engaged in combat once more. Despite the formidable strength of his adversaries, they had only recently attained their prowess, lacking stability. In contrast, Yichuan, who had long since entered the fray and endured multiple battles, was not to be underestimated. Moreover, Yichuan discovered that although the individual before him possessed formidable strength, his body had not been augmented by any miraculous pills or enhancements. It seemed that he had never even ingested the SS-grade freshwater, rendering him utterly outmatched by Yichuan. How could this be possible? Once again, his opponent was sent flying by Yichuan, crashing through the hatch behind him. In disbelief, he gazed at Yichuan and exclaimed, even if you have not been abandoned, your power should not be this overwhelming. I have previously slain 7 individuals favored by the system, and none exhibited your level of strength. How have you achieved this? How would I know? Yichuan retorted, somewhat exasperated. This was indeed a question he could not answer. He had merely followed the system's directives, progressing step by step to this point. It appeared he possessed nothing particularly special, or perhaps the system had a particular favor for orphans. Damn it. Observing Yichuan's bewildered expression, the opponent gritted his teeth and said, I, young Baiba, once shared your youthful vigor. I originally believed I could dominate the oceanic realm by harnessing the system's power, only to become a discarded pawn in the end. I refuse to accept this fate. I refuse to accept it. So, you are aware of the system's purpose in selecting us? Yichuan inquired, unable to restrain himself. That I do not know. Perhaps you could ask that esteemed individual who has not been abandoned by the system and successfully reached the Sky City. Young Baiba shook his head. He is the only other person, apart from you, who has evaded abandonment by the system. Being chosen by the system ultimately leads to the Sky City? Hearing Young Baiba mention the Sky City piqued Yichuan's interest. Then do you know the purpose of our journey to the Sky City? I am uncertain. Young Baiba shook his head again. I only know that those of us selected by the system will undoubtedly go to the Sky City. But the specific reasons may only become clear once we arrive there. What exactly is the Sky City? Yichuan asked. I do not know. Young Baiba shook his head once more. Uninformed about this, unclear about that. What do you actually know? I know nothing at all, but I know that you are about to perish. Young Baiba's expression turned cold, and as his words fell, he darted toward a certain direction. To his astonishment, a heavy cannon was positioned by the hatch, which immediately fired upon Yichuan with tremendous force. Chapter 493. On the road to the Yellow Springs. I await you. With a thunderous roar, Yichuan found himself unable to evade in time. The reverse flow technique combined with an air blast surged forth, colliding with the cannonball, resulting in a cataclysmic explosion that obliterated everything in the vicinity, descending at least 2 levels beneath. Young Baiba emerged from the shadows, laughing maniacally, and snarled, You dare to challenge me? You, little hunter, think you can compete with this old fox? Yet, in that very moment, he suddenly noticed that Yichuan stood and scathed in place, causing his expression to change dramatically as he incredulously shouted, How is this possible? How can you be completely unharmed? What could possibly happen to me? Did you really believe such an attack could injure me? Yichuan regarded Young Baiba as if he were a fool. A flicker of ruthlessness crossed Young Baiba's face, but upon reflection, he could not help but let out a cold laugh. I almost forgot that you are now a being of the entry transformation level, even at the entry vision tier. Such artillery shells cannot harm me. All my actions are merely instinctive reactions, understand? Yichuan sighed helplessly, remarking, Your strength is undeniably feeble, and it is no wonder the system has forsaken you. To put it bluntly, your current capabilities pale in comparison to the combat prowess of my companions before they even entered the realm. One may be killed, but one must not be humiliated. Hearing these words, Young Baiba's face contorted with fury. Even if you are formidable now, should you fail to reach the Sky City in the end, your fate will be no different from mine. We are ultimately mere subjects of the system's experiments. Your aspirations are excessively optimistic. Yichuan burst into laughter, asserting, Do not presume to question whether I can reach the Sky City. Even if I have to crawl, I will make my way there. What do you mean? Young Baiba inquired, bewildered, to which Yichuan replied with a sneer, his form blurring like a flash of lightning as he charged fiercely towards Yang Bai once more. Damn it! Yang Bai gritted his teeth in frustration, utterly at a loss. He had grossly misjudged Yi Chuan's strength, after all. He had not witnessed Yi Chuan and his companions in battle against the multinational alliance. He had merely concluded that they were chosen by the system, and considering they had only entered the oceanic world half a year ago, he assumed they lacked formidable combat abilities, leading him to plan a perfect ambush to eliminate them. Little did he know that Yi Chuan's combat prowess had escalated to such a terrifying level. Even if he were to double his own strength, he might still not stand a chance against him. After being sent flying once more, Yang Bai shouted, "Wait, do you have any dying words? Say what you will." Yi Chuan replied nonchalantly, "We are all chosen by the system. At the very least, we can consider ourselves compatriots," Yang Bai declared loudly. "We are of the same origin. Why must we hasten to harm each other? Spare me." Boom. No sooner had he spoken than a burly man was sent flying by Blueberry Jam. Despite her diminutive appearance, the energy contained within her could unleash tens of thousands of tons of force in an instant, utterly overpowering the two adversaries. Observing Yi Chuan and his companion merely posing, Blueberry Jam couldn't help but shout, "Brother, what are you waiting for? Finish him off. Did you hear that? My little sister is urging me to take you down. How can I refuse her?" Yi Chuan replied, shrugging as he charged towards Yang Bai. Yang Bai gritted his teeth and leaped into the crater created by the explosion, plunging down as if a heavy weight, creating a large hole in the warplane and heading towards the ocean's surface. He could hold his breath underwater for at least half an hour, and fighting in water was just as effective as on land, which was one of his trump cards. Although Yi Chuan was immensely powerful, he did not believe he was without weaknesses. Perhaps his flaw lay in the depths of the water. Trying to escape? Yi Chuan let out a cold laugh and leaped from the aircraft, pursuing with astonishing velocity. In mere moments, he had caught up to Yang Bai. The sudden acceleration sent Yang Bai into a frenzy. All his strength converged upon his weapon as he unleashed a furious attack on the approaching Yi Chuan, bellowing, "Die!" The impact was thunderous, resonating for hundreds of kilometers. Yet, to Yi Chuan, who had invoked absolute gravity, this formidable strike was but a jest. He distinctly felt the force of the collision. His arms tingled from the shock, and he sensed a dislocation within his very core, as his descent accelerated to at least 3 times the speed of sound. In an instant, as he plunged into the water, a long, slender horn pierced through his left rib, only to be swiftly withdrawn, rendering Yang Bai completely paralyzed. In just 3 seconds, as Yang Bai regained his senses, Yi Chuan had descended beside him, smiling as he asked, "What did that feel like?" "Numb. Paralyzed," Yang Bai replied, shaken. "Are you cursing me?" Yi Chuan asked. Taken aback, "I meant that horn made my body go numb," Yang Bai quickly clarified, realizing the ambiguity of his words. "That is my companion, a dolphin, equipped with a horn known as the Horn of Fate," Yi Chuan explained nonchalantly. "Moreover, I possess a concealed weapon called the Peacock Feather, an SSS-grade projectile from an aerial creature. Once struck, you will succumb to its poison." Yang Bai clenched his fists, glaring at Yi Chuan. Fully aware of the ominous implications of those words, there was no escape from death. Yet, defiance surged within him. "I refuse to accept fate," Yang Bai shouted vehemently. "You say I am doomed, but I shall challenge you." With that declaration, he darted towards the water, summoning every ounce of his strength, hoping to gamble on Yi Chuan's inadequacy in the depths. However, in the next instant, a terrifying force erupted from beneath the surface. The dolphin's 20-ton strength collided with Yang Bai, who had scarcely entered the water, sending him careening back. Yi Chuan could hardly contain his amusement, as he unleashed an overwhelming power. The forbidden gun infused with his combat prowess, piercing through Yang Bai's body. Yang Bai, in disbelief, found himself mere inches from the water's edge, yet ultimately unable to enter. His frustration boiled over. "Kid, even if you kill me, I stand by my words. You are destined to meet my fate." Yang Bai gritted his teeth, declaring, "I will await you on the road to the underworld." Chapter 494. Seizing the aircraft, casting all into the sea. Accompanied by this utterance, Yang Bai's body was pierced through, his gaze fixated intensely on Yi Chuan, before his entire form ultimately plummeted into the water. "You fool, I am destined for heaven, not the path to the underworld," Yi Chuan retorted with annoyance, then swiftly ascended into the sky. Once caught by Wang Kai, he transformed into a streak of light, quickly returning to the hovering warplane. At that moment, Blueberry Jam had just dealt with the 2 adversaries and was now eagerly preparing for action. Grinning as she exclaimed, "Brother, did you see how impressive I am?" "Impressive," Yi Chuan responded, giving her a thumbs up. The two then entered the command room, where several technicians were stationed. Yang Baibo is dead. I am now in command here. Those who wish to live will heed my orders. He commanded assertively. Please don't kill us. We will follow your orders. The technicians immediately raised their hands in surrender. I will provide you with a coordinate. Steer the warplane in that direction, each one instructed, sharing the coordinates of Endless Cape with them. The group promptly redirected the warplane, swiftly heading towards the designated location. Each one then noticed a wall in the command room and was momentarily taken aback. The cameras here could capture nearly 70% of the warplane's interior. It seemed that once they entered, Yang Baibo had already been aware, using the lives of his subordinates to test the combat prowess of Yichuan and his companions. Consequently, Yichuan activated the warplane's loudspeaker, solemnly declaring, "Attention all personnel aboard the warplane. Yang Baibo has been slain by me. Those who do not wish to share his fate should cease their resistance immediately or face merciless retribution." "Brother, you're amazing." Xiao Feilong, engaged in combat with a skilled opponent, burst into laughter. "So cool." However, the opponent's expression darkened, struggling to fathom how the accomplished Yang Baibo could have been defeated. Nonetheless, he had no intention of surrendering. As he hurled his long sword at Xiao Feilong, he made a dash towards an escape route. "Still trying to flee?" Xiao Feilong scoffed, immediately pursuing him. Yet, as both were equally skilled, the man ultimately managed to break into a small warplane and initiated its launch to escape. "Brother, that little brat got away," Xiao Feilong shouted upon witnessing this. "Don't worry, I see him. He won to escape," Yichuan whispered, instructing the technicians to activate the attack measures. In an instant, dozens of missiles were launched towards the fleeing figure. Despite the man's attempt to deploy countermeasures, he was ultimately struck, and as he was ejected from the cockpit, 2 more missiles struck him directly. "Is he dead?" Xiao Feilong inquired through the intercom. "There are still over a dozen missiles awaiting him. Even if he survives, he will be knocked unconscious," Yichuan replied coolly. "Thus, even creatures like the great white shark of the sea will learn their place." Accompanied by these words, a barrage of missiles was unleashed, mercilessly striking the unfortunate man. Despite possessing formidable strength, he was bombarded repeatedly, enduring numerous explosions before ultimately plunging into the depths of the water, rendered oblivious to everything. "Brother, I reckon he hasn't perished. Are you not concerned about his potential retaliation against us?" Blueberry Jam inquired anxiously. "If I were afraid, I would have simply gone over and eliminated him," Yichuan scoffed. "What can a mere combatant do against us?" He continued, "You have 10 seconds remaining. If you do not surrender after this time, you shall meet the same fate as him." His pronouncement left the crowd in utter shock, yet they dared not voice their thoughts. Whether engaged in battle or not, they all obediently raised their hands in submission. "Now, jump from the aircraft," Yichuan commanded once more. "What? You want us to jump? How is that any different from executing us? If we surrender, surely we can keep our lives." The others protested vehemently. "Forcing us to jump is tantamount to signing our death warrants. It's inconceivable. Just kill us outright." Their outcry resonated with fury, and the atmosphere teetered on the brink of rebellion. Yichuan coldly retorted, "If you jump, you stand a significant chance of survival. But if you refuse, your demise is inevitable. Consider your choices. Leap into the unknown or await slaughter." His words cast a pall over the crowd, their expressions grim. Yet, better to live than to die without a fight. After a moment's hesitation, they chose the former, leaping into the sea en masse. Within mere seconds, only a handful of technical personnel remained in the command center. Yichuan said nothing further, summoning Xiao Feilong and the others to join him in the command room. Xiao Feilong could not contain his excitement, laughing heartily. "Incredible, big brother. This colossal aircraft now belongs to us." Yichuan was momentarily taken aback and immediately queried, "System, since all of this belongs to Yang Baibo, why is his aircraft still here after his demise?" The system promptly elucidated that upon the death of a selected individual, all their possessions would transfer to another host. Furthermore, the powers of the defeated host would also become the property of the new host. Such a fortuitous turn of events. Yichuan exclaimed joyfully, noticing a glimmering orb in the system's inventory, which must be the embodiment of Yang Baibo's strength. He erupted into laughter. "System, I am pleasantly surprised by your humanity. You even have an elimination and absorption mechanism. If I absorb this orb, will my cultivation not ascend to the water entry realm?" As the most successful subject of the current trials, the system decided to impart a crucial message. Should the host absorb the energy of a defeated opponent, future progress will become stagnant, and you will only be able to grow stronger by consuming other hosts. Yichuan was momentarily taken aback. At present, he was oblivious to the exact number of experimental subjects. In this vast oceanic realm, He had scarcely encountered entities endowed with systems. Now that he had ventured into the Forbidden Sea, Yang Baiba was the first he had encountered. If there were only one or two, or perhaps three, would he not find himself unable to ascend to the moon realm? It seemed this orb of light was not destined for him to enjoy. He promptly inquired, "What if I decline it and instead offer it to the little dragon? Would that be feasible?" Chapter 495, The Endless Cape, Arrival. "The power is restricted to use among hosts," the system promptly replied. Well, the path was clearly blocked. Yichuan nodded slightly, and then discarded this power. "I prefer to enhance myself through gradual self-improvement. Such unearned power is a bane, better left untouched." Subsequently, Yichuan examined Yang Baiba's belongings, noticing that the aircraft was indeed impressive, but aside from that, there were no other valuable items. Not even a handful of blue steel essence, leaving him baffled as to how this individual managed to survive in such a state. To possess a system yet end up like this was truly perplexing. Disposing of some useless items through trade with the little dragon, Yichuan then noticed the damage incurred during combat and immediately asked, "System, can the aircraft be repaired using basic materials?" The system swiftly responded, "Damage to the aircraft, 5. Requiring 50,000 metal sheets, 1,000 plastic, and 50 glass pieces." Without further hesitation, Yichuan proceeded to repair the damaged sections of the aircraft, subsequently bringing Lu Yue aboard. Upon first seeing such a large aircraft, Lu Yue was genuinely astonished. "Brother, this aircraft is truly extraordinary in size. Living aboard it indefinitely would pose no issue." This aircraft operated on a supernuclear battery, providing an almost inexhaustible power supply. The notion of it remaining airborne indefinitely was plausible. Yichuan shrugged slightly. "However, for now, we shall merely utilize it to reach the Endless Cape. Other matters can wait." Lu Yue nodded vigorously. To be candid, no place could rival Turtle Island in comfort. It was the epitome of closeness to nature. If they were to spend an extended period aboard the super aircraft, they would likely find it unbearable. At noon, everyone dined on the boxed meals from the aircraft, presumably a reward from the system. However, both the flavor and quality paled in comparison to Yichuan's culinary creations, rendering it rather tasteless. It was merely a makeshift meal. It wasn't until the afternoon that Yichuan noticed a message from that fellow at the Ocean Intelligence Association had already been sent, detailing the situation of Cold Rain. Cold Rain is unexpectedly a woman in her 40s, possessing not only the prowess to command the camera, but also leading the 4 heavenly kings, each a formidable presence in their own right. Under her command lies a fleet of over 130 super aircraft carriers, forming a formidable armada that has navigated the Forbidden Sea for the past decade. Moreover, she is accompanied by a terrifying beast of a grade known as the Water-Earth Claw Dragon. This creature boasts an extraordinary S-class strength. Appearing fearsome and exhibiting alarming combat capabilities, few dare to engage it even in the perilous waters of the Forbidden Sea. Damn! At this revelation, Yichuan could not help but exclaim in frustration. He suddenly recalled the juvenile Water-Earth Claw Dragon he had slain in the Sea Dragon Palace. According to the accounts of the shrimp and crab soldiers at the time, that juvenile had a father of S-class caliber. Could it be this Water-Earth Claw Dragon? Furthermore, Yichuan stumbled upon a crucial piece of information. Cold Rain is the master of Ice Fire Island on Blue Star, a notorious assassin base that has trained operatives of silver, gold, and diamond ranks. Among them, the gold-ranked Cold Foam, who is on the verge of ascending to diamond status, is indeed Cold Rain's son. However, he met his demise at the hands of an enemy in the novice zone, prompting Cold Rain's relentless pursuit of the culprit. This revelation left Yichuan speechless. Not only had he killed the son of the Water-Earth Claw Dragon, but he had also slain Cold Rain's offspring. Who would have imagined that fate would entwine them in such a manner? It seems that even in the absence of this hidden mission, he must deal with both adversaries. Otherwise, he might find himself caught off guard when they come seeking vengeance. Upon checking the coordinates, it became evident that this individual was indeed deep within the Forbidden Sea. If one were to consider the location of the Endless Cape, it would require traversing an additional 20,000 nautical miles to reach Cold Rain's base. However, with the colossal aircraft at his disposal, he estimated that he could arrive within a day and night. Once he concludes his treasure hunt at the Endless Cape, he will first settle scores with these 2 old enemies. At the terrifying speed of the aircraft, he arrived at the location marked on the treasure map by dawn the following day. It was the middle of the night, and the technical staff dared not disturb them, allowing the aircraft to circle above the coordinates until morning. "Host has not yet signed in. Would you like to sign in?" With the system's voice, Yichuan awakened leisurely. Despite being high in the sky, the massive aircraft almost disregarded the effects of airflow, and he found his slumber surprisingly restful. Stretching his body, Yichuan promptly declared, "Sign in." Sign in successful. Congratulations, host. You have received 2,000 evolution points and Super Shockwave 1. The system spoke again. Wow. This reward is quite substantial. Yichuan was taken aback, astonished that signing in could yield such a powerful ability as Super Shockwave. Could it be a reward from the system for relinquishing Yang Baiba's power? Yet, the system offered no explanation, leaving him to conjecture. After washing his face with clear water, Yichuan exited his quarters, realizing the aircraft had been circling. He promptly made his way to the command center. Without waiting for a question, one person immediately replied, "Report." The aircraft arrived at the designated location just past 3 o'clock yesterday morning and has been circling at high altitude ever since. Indeed, it was remarkably swift. Yichuan couldn't help but nod. This speed was nearly 6 times that of the sea turtle. Thus, their arrival in such a short span of time was entirely anticipated. Well, your mission is complete. You may take a moment to rest now. Yichuan decisively commanded, allowing Zhao Feiyu and the other 5 to leap from the aircraft while he temporarily sealed the plane within a mystical bottle. 6 flying creatures caught the 6 individuals, while Yichuan himself descended in free fall, releasing the sea turtle just before hitting the ocean, and they all landed safely on Sea Turtle Island. "Brother, have we arrived?" Little Flying Dragon asked joyfully, gazing around. It felt like just a brief moment. That was incredibly fast, at 500 nautical miles per hour. Can it be anything but swift? Yichuan replied tersely, "This is the Endless Sea Cape. I expected it to resemble an island, yet there is nothing here? Could it possibly exist in another dimension?" Zhao Feiyu inquired further. According to the treasure map, this treasure does not lie in another dimension. It exists within the oceanic realm. Yichuan shook his head. Perhaps we should explore beneath the water. The so-called cape may actually be submerged? Lu Youai speculated. Chapter 496. Entering the stone door. The statues awaken. I will dive down to investigate. Yichuan contemplated briefly before speaking. The peculiar aspect was that he had forgotten to allow the dolphins to enter Sea Turtle Island. Although everyone had arrived, the dolphins would take their time swimming over, leaving him no choice but to plunge into the water himself. With that, Yichuan dove head first into the ocean. In this area, the seabed was not particularly deep, only about 4,000 meters, and Yichuan quickly reached the bottom, where he beheld 2 colossal stone doors, each over 1,000 meters high and 500 meters wide. Embedded in an underwater mountain, an extraordinarily magnificent sight. Yichuan propelled himself forward, exerting even absolute gravity, yet the doors remained immovable, showing no signs of shifting whatsoever. After some contemplation, he turned and returned to Sea Turtle Island. Little Flying Dragon immediately inquired, "Brother, what did you find?" "There is an immense stone door, but beyond that, I discovered nothing else," Yichuan replied, shaking his head. "I exerted all my strength and could not open that stone door." "You have attained such formidable power after transcending, and yet you are unable to open the door? That is truly hard to believe." Little Flying Dragon exclaimed incredulously. "But the size of these stone doors is simply overwhelming." Yichuan shrugged. "Some mountains on our blue planet likely do not even match its height, over 1,000 meters. Is this truly a stone door? Could it be that someone intentionally carved it into this shape?" Little Flying Dragon exclaimed, his voice rising. "It seems like a ruse. This treasure map must also be a deception. Therefore, I plan to have my turtle give it a try." Yichuan promptly stated, "The strength of my turtle, combined with my own, may indeed be sufficient to unlock this door. If it fails, we shall devise another plan." With that, after enveloping themselves in a protective shield, the enormous form of the sea turtle plunged into the depths of the ocean, swiftly making its way towards the stone doors situated 2,000 meters below. It was the first time in the history of Turtle Island that a sea turtle had ventured so deep into the ocean. Yichuan was astonished to discover that the creature's speed underwater surpassed that of its movements on the surface, reaching the 2,000-meter depth in less than a minute, where the colossal stone door awaited. "In my lifetime, I have never seen a door of such magnitude," Little Flying Dragon remarked, scrunching his face in disbelief. "Is this truly a door? It resembles a behemoth." Without further ado, Yichuan declared, "Let us both exert our strength and see what transpires." He and the turtle pressed against the stone door, with the sea turtle channeling its absolute gravitational force. With a rumble, a slight crevice opened in the door, releasing a powerful gust of air that sliced through the water like a knife, propelling it several nautical miles away. Fortunately, the turtle's protective shield safeguarded it from the onslaught. Otherwise, everything on Turtle Island would have faced annihilation. Another thunderous sound echoed as the door swung wide open, revealing an unexpected sight, a vast corridor, both broad and tall. flanked by stone pillars and enormous statues resembling humans. However, despite the door being ajar, a colossal membrane of air obstructed entry, rendering the interior a self-contained realm. What is this? We have opened the stone door, yet we cannot enter? Little flying dragon exclaimed, approaching the membrane to gently touch it. It felt akin to resilient rubber, yielding slightly, but rebounding forcefully when pressed too hard. Yichuan regarded the immense membrane with grave seriousness before retreating, pulling out the treasure map and placing it in the center of the opening. To everyone's astonishment, the map began to merge with the membrane, revealing a 2-meter square void. Everyone enter, Yichuan commanded, swiftly sealing the turtle back into its confinement before leaping into the void. As the 7 of them jumped simultaneously, the empty space vanished, and the treasure map floated back towards Yichuan, eliciting astonishment from all. Incredible. Is the treasure map the key? I decided to give it a try, and it seems I stumbled upon the solution, Yichuan shrugged. As the group turned their attention to the towering stone statues on either side, the statues bore a striking resemblance to humans but exuded a decidedly peculiar aura, perhaps even malevolent. Brother, why do these statues seem as though they are about to come to life? Blueberry Jam asked, shrinking back slightly and speaking in a hushed tone. How could a statue possibly come to life? Little Flying Dragon burst into laughter, waving his hand dismissively. Come now, Jam, don't jest. However, the statues undeniably appeared animated. They must be the guardians of this place, Blueberry Jam insisted vociferously. At that moment, a faint sound echoed, and dust fell from the statues, leaving the 7 in stunned silence. That last movement had indeed been caused by the statues shifting. Could it be that they truly could move? Everyone, be cautious. These statues are rather ominous, Yichuan cautioned in a low voice. Almost simultaneously with his remark, a cacophony erupted as the statues sprang to life, charging fiercely towards the group. These statues stood approximately 10 meters tall, and to their astonishment, they moved with surprising agility as they advanced. Boom! Yichuan shouted, his spear elongating to several meters as he struck one of the statues with tremendous force. The statue appeared momentarily bewildered by Yichuan's sudden assault, but soon retaliated with a punch aimed at the spear. However, before it could connect, the spear had already slammed into its body, sending it hurtling nearly 100 meters away. Be alert. These creatures possess an incredibly hard exterior, Yichuan warned, his brow furrowed. What are these stones made of? They are astonishingly tough. Little Flying Dragon muttered in disbelief, donning his battle armor and leading the charge. His formidable prowess struck a statue, but it merely inflicted a minor dent. The statue's subsequent punch landed squarely on Little Flying Dragon, propelling him several hundred meters away. Even through his armor, he felt a searing pain coursing through his body. It was not merely the hardness of the statues that was alarming, but the sheer agony of being struck. Chapter 497. The Endless Cape. In another dimension, as the words left his lips, the group surged forward, each unleashing their most potent abilities in an offensive onslaught. The statues exhibited a level of speed, strength, and agility that was utterly astonishing. Although they had not yet reached the strength of the adept, their inherent physical advantages allowed them to contend on equal footing with the skilled fighters. Amid the resounding clamor, it seemed that even more statues began to awaken from the seemingly endless corridor ahead. What in the world are these creatures? Why are there so many? Little Flying Dragon bellowed. With such a multitude of statues, could they not dominate the entire marine realm? Yet, the issue lay in the fact that these statues could likely only move within this domain. Beyond this place, they would falter, Yichuan murmured, observing the statues rushing towards them. He quickly shouted, to Sea Turtle Island. In an instant, the 7 retreated hastily, and as they leaped onto Sea Turtle Island, the giant turtle unleashed an air blast paired with a reverse flow technique, temporarily repelling several statues back. Invincible laser cannon, Yichuan bellowed, and the little dragon followed Zhao Feiyu directly toward the towering mountain. With the aid of the green gem, just as the stone statues began to react, they unleashed their laser cannons. In an instant, dozens of green beams surged forth, and the terrifying rays swiftly cleaved through the foremost dozen statues, rendering them into countless fragments that ultimately collapsed to the ground, reduced to mere rubble. Is there hope? Upon witnessing this scene, the little dragon's expression shifted, urging, continue. Consequently, it unleashed a barrage of green beams, transforming nearly all of the relentless stone statues into debris. For a full 10 minutes, the vast corridor fell eerily silent once more, as if the previous turmoil had never occurred. Brother Yu, why do I feel that these green beams are more potent than before? Gazing at the green gem, the little dragon could not help but voice its suspicion. Perhaps it is due to its master's significantly enhanced strength? Zhao Feiyu replied, glancing at the nine-tailed demon fox, which had sprouted 3 tails, shrugging slightly. It seems so. The little dragon nodded in agreement. Not knowing how much farther lay ahead, Yichuan suggested, "Let's allow my turtle to advance." As he spoke, the sea turtle employed its levitation technique and began to move swiftly forward. Even while levitating, the turtle maintained a speed of 90 nautical miles per hour, propelling them nearly 20 kilometers in just 10 minutes. Yet still, no end was in sight. Blueberry Jam quietly inquired, "Is this what is meant by the endless sea? This path stretches infinitely, seemingly never reaching a conclusion? What treasure can we seek then?" The little dragon raised its hands in exasperation, stating that if we were to follow your reasoning, we might never escape. "System, what is the situation here?" Yichuan asked, unable to contain his curiosity. "Host, please be aware that another dimension exists here. You must break the barrier to enter," the system promptly responded. "Break the barrier?" Yichuan exclaimed, suggesting that we are likely seeking treasures in another dimension. "Everyone, be vigilant for anything unusual around us." The group paused, immediately beginning their search. But aside from the stone walls and the immense stone pillars, there was nothing else in sight, leaving everyone puzzled. However, Lu Yue, stroking her chin, proposed, "Brother, do you think this barrier could be the membrane beyond the stone door?" "What do you mean?" Yichuan countered. "If we had shattered that membrane directly when pushing open the stone door, rather than using the treasure map as a key, wouldn't we have entered another dimension?" Lu Yue theorized that perhaps using the treasure map as a key to open the membrane was a misdirection, or perhaps even a trap set to eliminate treasure seekers. "Your hypothesis holds a degree of possibility." Yichuan nodded promptly, yet the turtle was not in an optimal position to turn around in its current state. So he temporarily stowed it away, only to release it once more, urging it to swiftly return. In a swift display of speed, the sea turtle surged back within mere seconds. It unleashed several air blasts coupled with a reverse flow technique against the air membrane ahead. The formidable force resembling missiles erupting forth, instantly shattering the membrane. A thunderous roar resounded as the ocean water surged furiously into the space, prompting the little dragon to exclaim, "Lu Yue, have you miscalculated? The water is about to engulf us." However, in that fleeting moment, everything around them began to undergo a dramatic transformation, akin to bolts of lightning striking. Just as the water was poised to crash upon Turtle Island, it abruptly vanished. The passage appeared unchanged. Yet the rubble of stone statues that had accumulated on the ground had seemingly disappeared. "What is happening with the seawater?" the little dragon queried suspiciously. "We have entered another dimension." Lu Yue pointed towards the distant air membrane, "and this dimension still possesses an air membrane. It contains stone statues as well. But I believe those here will remain immobile." Yichuan cast an appreciative glance at Lu Yue. Despite her lackluster combat skills, her analyses of the situation were astute, potentially saving them from unnecessary detours. Promptly, Yichuan instructed the sea turtle to proceed, utilizing levitation. The turtle advanced for less than 3 minutes before arriving at the conclusion of the passage. Contrary to expectations of treasure, they were met by a towering figure over 2 meters high, adorned with a triangular headpiece and wielding a large blade, exuding an eerie aura. "Brother, could this creature be the guardian of the treasure?" the little dragon speculated. "I suspect that defeating it will lead us to the treasure." With a clang, as soon as the words left his mouth, the triangular figure stirred slightly, as if it had not moved in ages. Each movement produced creaks from its body until it fully extended, brandishing the large blade and charging towards Turtle Island. Boom! The sea turtle did not relent, launching an air blast that struck the creature forcefully, sending it staggering back several dozen meters until it collided with the wall. Yet it remained unscathed and charged once more towards Turtle Island. Chapter 498. Fierce Battle with the Executioner. The Final Wall. "What on earth is this creature?" the little dragon whispered, observing the oncoming triangular figure, donning his battle armor and charging fiercely at the beast. The terrifying force collided with the creature, the long sword clashing against the triangular blade, unleashing an invisible shockwave that propelled the little dragon backward. "Be careful!" Zhao Feiyu rushed forward to steady the little dragon. "Damn! This creature is extraordinarily powerful," the little dragon exclaimed in shock. "Brother, it must be at least at the transformation level. If we all attack together, we can surely defeat it." Blueberry Jam, grinning with excitement, eagerly brandished her petite dagger, suggesting that perhaps her elder brother could take a moment's respite. If they could vanquish their foe, surely there would be no need to trouble him. Lu Shuai also drew his weapon, and in an instant, the 6 of them surged forward, splitting into 6 directions to assault the triangular monstrosity. "System, what is this creature?" Yichuan inquired quietly, observing the clash of the combatants. The executioner, a transcendent level of mindless undead, devoid of independent thought, solely dedicated to the guardianship of treasure. The system promptly replied. Firstly, this being was once human, yet akin to a zombie. It lacked autonomous cognition and operated solely under the directive to protect its horde. Nevertheless, its formidable power at the transcendent level was truly astonishing, leaving one to ponder whether the six would prove adequate adversaries. 6 aerial entities, the nine-tailed demonic fox, accompanied each one on the periphery of the sandy shore. Watching the skirmish unfold, the executioner, as expected of a transcendent entity, held its own against the 6 attackers, even managing to retaliate with fierce energy. It was unclear whether it had lost its capacity for pain or if it merely felt it to a negligible degree. Even when struck by the 6, it emitted no sound. The massive blade in its grasp resembled the scythe of death, relentlessly seeking to reap lives. And when it detected a significant opening in Blueberry Jam's defense, it unleashed a terrifying strike aimed directly at her. Oh my goodness! In that moment, Blueberry Jam felt as if her very breath had ceased. With 5 others engaged in their own assaults, there was no chance to assist her. She let out a shriek as the dagger pressed against her arm, colliding forcefully with the menacing blade. Clang! Accompanied by a sharp sound, Blueberry Jam was propelled several dozen meters away, nearly colliding with a sea turtle. Ultimately, it was the turtle's symbolic use of a reverse flow technique that ensured her descent was gentle. Despite the dagger's protection, a wound had formed on her arm, blood flowing profusely. This is so frustrating. Will this leave a scar? Blueberry Jam fumed, stamping her foot in irritation, her lip bitten as she muttered. Pour the water on the wound. Yi Chuan, feeling exasperated, reminded her that they were in a life-or-death struggle, and a moment's distraction could invite the executioner's wrath. Yet, this girl was still fretting over the possibility of a scar. He tossed her a vial of 100 milliliters of SS-grade freshwater. With a puzzled expression, Blueberry Jam accepted the freshwater and poured it over her wound. To her astonishment, she witnessed the injury healing at a visible rate within mere seconds. It returned to its original state, leaving no trace of a scar. Overjoyed, she exclaimed, "Oh my goodness, brother, this is incredible. This isn't S-grade water, is it? This is SS-grade freshwater." Each one replied curtly. "Now hurry up. This is an excellent opportunity for you to hone your skills." "All right," Blueberry Jam replied with a cheerful grin, gripping her dagger once more as she charged back into the fray. The battle rapidly escalated into a fierce confrontation. Despite the executioner's unparalleled combat prowess and lack of pain perception, his speed gradually diminished under the relentless assault of 6 attackers. Zhao Feiyu seized a significant opening, unleashing a tremendous force as his long blade plunged into the executioner's abdomen, then violently slashed to the side, resulting in a deep gash. A foul stench wafted through the air as blood instantly soaked the executioner's legs. He staggered back a few steps, momentarily ceasing his aggression. Yet, mere seconds later, the executioner appeared to revive as if reborn, disregarding his abdominal injury, and resumed his assault with an unyielding, terrifying strength. What is happening? How can he still fight like this? Xiao Feilong muttered in astonishment. This guy is at the transformation stage, but he is merely a soulless husk, incapable of feeling pain. Yi Chuan exclaimed loudly, "I reckon we must sever his head to subdue him." A soulless being at the transformation level certainly looks intimidating. Xiao Feilong nodded slightly. "Hong Ying, let the 5 of us engage, giving brother you a chance for a decisive strike." Understood. Despite the executioner's apparent revival, the earlier skirmish had instilled considerable confidence in the group, prompting them to rally to Xiao Feilong's proposal and initiate a new wave of assault. Although the executioner seemed to be in a state of restoration, his combat ability was still compromised by the abdominal wound, blood oozing from the injury, rendering him far less formidable than before. In just half a minute, Xiao Feilong had created an opportunity for Zhao Feiyu, allowing the executioner's fearsome blade to swing toward his head. The long knife thundered down, intending to clash directly with the executioner. Zhao Feiyu leaped above the executioner, his body inverted as his blade found its mark beneath the triangular helm, striking the softest point. He unleashed all his might, delivering a powerful horizontal slash. With a resounding thud, the massive helm and head plummeted to the ground, and the headless corpse finally lost all strength. After stumbling forward for several meters, it collapsed to its knees before crashing down, lifeless. One must admit, this fellow's strength could rival that of an SSS-grade creature. Lu Shuai remarked quietly as he sheathed his weapon. "Why do I feel such an overwhelming sense of confidence in our ability to have slain such a foe?" This clearly indicates that a coalition of 5 or 6 at the entry stage can indeed vanquish a formidable adversary at the transformation level, Zhao Feiyu replied calmly. Meanwhile, Lu Yiwei approached the wall at the end of the passage, meticulously searching for something. The wall was adorned with various illustrations, resembling murals that depicted the executioner's encounters with treasure seekers. Lu Yiwei confidently asserted, Brother, I believe the treasure we seek lies behind this wall. The question is, how do we open it? Xiao Feilong remarked, striking the wall with his long knife. Yet the wall remained unyielding, not even a mark left in its wake. Chapter 499. To acquire the treasure, one must guard the cloud plate. Could this possibly be yet another wall of blue steel essence? The young dragon couldn't help but inquire while caressing the wall. Congratulations, you are correct. Yichuan replied with a subtle shrug, speaking in a nonchalant manner. Indeed, it is a wall of blue steel essence. Simply this wall alone makes our journey worthwhile. But how are we to unlock this wall? The young dragon asked again, evidently excited about the treasures that might lie within. Have you noticed that this mural has several indentations that correspond to the triangular head, the large blade, and the square stone on the chest of this triangular creature? At that moment, Lu Yiwei spoke up. So, you mean if we place these 3 items in the indentations, we might be able to open the stone door? Blueberry Jam immediately inquired with anticipation. Whether or not that is the case, we shall find out by trying, Yichuan remarked, gesturing with his lips. At that, Lu Shuai, the young dragon, and Lu Yiwei each took one item and fitted it into the respective indentations of the stone wall. Suddenly, a rumbling sound echoed as 3 protrusions emerged from the wall, pushing the items out. Subsequently, the mural began to change rapidly, ultimately forming a protrusion that resembled an executioner, absurdly standing on the mural and exuding a rather eerie sensation. What on earth is happening? This fellow is already dead. How can it appear on the mural? The young dragon approached, bewildered, and asked Lu Yiwei, Do you know what this means? Push it back. Lu Yiwei stated with seriousness. Are you sure? The young dragon was taken aback. Come on, Lu Yiwei said as she initiated the push. The young dragon, Lu Shuai, and Liang Hongying also moved forward to exert their strength, and with a series of cracking sounds, the stone figure was pushed back flush against the wall. Simultaneously, another rumbling sound resonated as the massive wall began to rise slowly, eventually revealing the true nature of the stone chamber behind it. Gold coins, jewels, diamonds, golden artifacts, and an array of precious weapons, all piled high in a chamber over 200 square meters and more than 10 meters high. Am I dreaming? So much treasure? The young dragon rubbed his eyes vigorously, realizing that this seemed to surpass the total of all the treasures they had previously discovered. Bro, we've struck it rich. Yichuan was equally astonished by the vast amount of treasure, feeling an overwhelming excitement. The value of all these treasures must be in the trillions. Bro, there are also over 100 bottles of wine from 500 years ago. Lu Shuai exclaimed loudly at that moment. Let us temporarily relocate the items. We can discuss them once we exit. Yichuan chuckled heartily. Then with a grand gesture, he stored all the treasures into the system's inventory, leaving the room utterly empty. Before the group, however, the mural revealed yet another image. The mural appears to narrate the origins of these treasures, indicating that they were left by the powerful who entered the Sky City. It suggests that whoever obtains these treasures must aid in guarding the Cloud Tablet, or else they will suffer the curse of the undead, becoming mere walking corpses. Lu Yiwei immediately began to interpret the mural. What is the Cloud Tablet? Asked the little dragon. I am uncertain. It merely mentioned the Cloud Tablet, but did not elaborate on what it is, its purpose, or its appearance. Lu Yiwei replied. Her brow furrowed. Brother, if we do not guard the Cloud Tablet, our fate may resemble that of the triangular creature outside. System, what is the Cloud Tablet? Yichuan inquired, equally curious. The system promptly displayed a white, jade-like stone, measuring 20 centimeters in length, 5 centimeters in width, and 1 centimeter in thickness. While explaining, the Cloud Tablet is the token for entering the Sky City. Only those who possess the Cloud Tablet can hold a place there. Otherwise, they will be expelled. Yichuan frowned. He recalled that there was one among the treasures, and logically, it should have been taken to the Sky City. Why was it still here? He promptly directed this question to the system, but it remained silent. Well, since we are tasked with guarding the Cloud Tablet, I shall temporarily place it in the system's item inventory, ensuring that no one else can access it. Yichuan decided, placing the Cloud Tablet in a separate slot, planning to unravel this mystery when the opportunity to enter the Sky City arose. All right, this adventure is concluded. We can return now, he remarked, stretching lazily. The group then returned to Turtle Island, prompting the turtle to swiftly navigate back to the air membrane. How do we get back? The little dragon asked, puzzled. We likely need to break through this air membrane to return to the previous passage, Lu Yue softly analyzed. Let us give it a try. Yichuan commanded the turtle. The turtle unleashed a massive air bubble, instantly rupturing the membrane. At once, a terrifying rush of seawater surged forth, but contrary to Lu Yue's expectations, there was no lightning-like phenomenon. Instead, the seawater crashed directly onto Turtle Island. Fortunately, the island was protected by a shield, sparing them from disaster. Wei, you were mistaken, Yichuan exclaimed, rolling his eyes. Even the wisest can err. Lu Yue sheepishly smiled. System, how do we return to the ocean world? Yichuan directly questioned. The end of the path is the way out. The system replied succinctly before falling silent again. Yichuan pondered for a moment and declared, let us head back to the stone chamber where the treasures are hidden. With that, he stored the turtle and swiftly redirected his course towards the stone chamber. Upon entering, he immediately felt a terrifying upward current lifting the seven of them. The path ahead was blocked, and above loomed a stone wall. The little dragon's expression changed dramatically as he shouted loudly. The force was overwhelming. Even if the little dragon wished to resist, there was no way to do so. Ultimately, with a faint sound, the group effortlessly passed through the stone barrier. They seemed to soar into the air, as if burdened by several tons of gravity, before plummeting back to the ground. This must be the passage we entered earlier, Zhao Feiyu observed, surveying the surroundings. The air membrane has shattered. Hasn't this place already been submerged? How did we return to the moment before the sea turtle broke the membrane? Could it be another dimension? The little dragon asked, smirking. Another dimension? How many dimensions are there? The little dragon replied, somewhat irritated. I think, brother, you should bring out the treasure map and give it a try. It might prove useful. That makes sense, Yichuan nodded slightly, but we should first head to the air membrane. With that, Yichuan requested the sea turtle's assistance. After releasing it, they quickly surged forward. This time, the sea turtle, familiar with the route, utilized its buoyancy and speed, covering several hundred nautical miles at a terrifying pace, until they finally reached the end of the passage. Yichuan promptly placed the treasure map on the air membrane, and, just as before, a hole appeared. The seven of them swiftly made their way through the membrane and ascended towards the ocean surface. Damn, this feels incredible, the little dragon exclaimed, laughing heartily as he inhaled the fresh air. It had been ages since he felt so exhilarated, especially upon returning to the surface, where a gentle breeze swept over him. The key is that we have acquired a wealth of treasure, Yichuan said with a broad smile. Indeed, without a doubt, money is the ultimate power. The little dragon nodded vigorously. However, Yichuan's brow furrowed. He suddenly received a warning from the dolphin, or perhaps a call for help. Immediately, he activated the shared vision ability and saw a massive, fleshy sphere pursuing the dolphin. The sphere was nearly 100 meters in diameter, brown on top and white on the bottom, dotted with small bumps, resembling an inflated pufferfish. Yet its speed rivaled that of the dolphin, despite being several hundred meters apart. The distance between them was steadily diminishing. System, what is that creature? Yichuan inquired. It is a rampaging pufferfish, an SSS-grade early-stage marine creature, highly toxic, capable of exploding instantaneously with a force comparable to that of a super missile, the system promptly responded. The pufferfish is currently 500 nautical miles away from us. The sea turtle will soon catch up with it using its buoyancy and speed. Yichuan murmured to himself and immediately urged the sea turtle to race towards the dolphin. Brother, what is happening? Liang Hongying asked, noticing Yichuan's serious expression. Yichuan shook his head slightly and said with a serious demeanor, the dolphin is being pursued by a Class SSS early-stage marine creature. We must hasten to its aid. It seems the dolphin has endured much suffering during our treasure-hunting escapades. Blueberry Jam couldn't help but sigh, lamenting the plight of the seemingly innocuous dolphin, which had faced such hardships. Indeed, it stirred a sense of pity. We dispatch even the peak of Class SSS with ease. What more a mere beginner? Little Flying Dragon scoffed. Let's take it down. Exactly, hee. Blueberry Jam nodded vigorously, her smile radiating excitement. At that moment, the sea turtle immediately activated its floating acceleration, propelling itself toward the dolphin's location. Seizing the opportunity, Yichuan produced the treasures acquired from this venture, save for the cloud token, and remarked gravely, previously, you each took a meager share. With so much treasure at hand, not taking more would be a slight against me. Brother, it's not that we don't wish to take more, but Lu Shuai and Jam always take so little. We feel awkward taking more ourselves, Little Flying Dragon chuckled. I've saved all of theirs. Each can receive at least 50 trillion. Yichuan retorted, a hint of annoyance in his tone. Whenever they wish to venture out on their own, they may take their share and depart. Uft, I would never leave my brother. Blueberry Jam rolled her eyes and declared loudly, that would be sheer folly, humph. As for the future, who could predict? Yichuan shook his head slightly. The four then divided nearly half of the vast treasure among themselves, each likely receiving 1 to 2 trillion, before promptly contacting their respective parties to begin the transfer of riches. Yet, Blueberry Jam, with a touch of melancholy, inquired, "Brother, do you truly intend to drive me away? When did I ever say I would send you away?" Yichuan was taken aback. "Weren't you just speaking of us establishing our own domain? I plan to stay with you for a lifetime." Blueberry Jam replied sweetly. "Are you not planning to marry?" Yichuan asked, perplexed. "Marry you? Do you find me lacking?" "I have said, my first time is reserved for you." Blueberry Jam's cheeks flushed, her shyness evident. "What are you rambling about?" Yichuan playfully flicked her forehead, glancing at the time. "We are about to reunite with the dolphin. If your enthusiasm has no outlet, direct it toward that formidable creature." "Oh," Blueberry Jam pouted, then turned her gaze toward the horizon. Indeed, in the distant sea, a massive sphere was rolling rapidly, soon revealing the dolphin ahead. The sea turtle unleashed absolute gravity, charging fiercely at the rampaging dolphin. The rampaging dolphin, noticing the turtle's approach, was taken aback by the ferocity of the attack. It retaliated with its strongest strike, resulting in a tremendous explosion upon collision with the turtle, creating a massive crater in the surface of the water, several miles wide and nearly 1,000 meters deep, akin to the impact of a super missile. Despite the sea turtle exerting absolute gravity, it was still propelled several dozen nautical miles away by the force of the explosion. Even with the island stabilization device in place, Turtle Island trembled violently, and the tremors were distinctly felt within the villa. Fortunately, a protective shield mitigated the explosion's impact, sparing Turtle Island from harm. Meanwhile, the rampaging pufferfish, after unleashing this terrifying strike, began to shrink from its previously spherical form, resembling a pufferfish, yet still measuring over 100 meters in length. The surrounding seawater had turned a deep brown, advancing towards Turtle Island. "What are these substances?" Xiao Feilong and the others had returned to Yichuan's side, gazing at the enormous rampaging pufferfish, their voices low with concern. "Venom," Yichuan replied sternly. "This creature possesses deadly toxins, but our protective shield will shield us from any harm. Nevertheless, we must remain vigilant." "I hear a hissing sound. The venom must be corroding the protective shield," Yichuan remarked, activating the levitation technique once more. "Our turtle can float for 10 more minutes. We need to resolve this battle within that time." "I'll handle it," Blueberry Jam exclaimed, drawing her short blade and charging forward. Chapter 501. Defeating the Rampaging Pufferfish. An uninvited guest. Why has Blueberry Jam suddenly become so fierce? Has she lost her mind? Xiao Feilong was taken aback by Blueberry Jam's commanding presence. "She is filled with passion, yet has no outlet, so I encouraged her to unleash her energy," Yichuan chuckled. Despite her typically delicate demeanor, Blueberry Jam was indeed a formidable presence at the entry level. Although the opponent was an SSS-class marine creature, she held her ground in battle, her movements graceful and agile, allowing her to navigate effortlessly. Even if the rampaging pufferfish attempted to strike her, it found the task quite challenging. While the initial explosion and venom attack were formidable, the pufferfish seemed to be of an explosive nature, becoming significantly weaker in sustained combat. Yet, as the battle progressed, its previously deflated belly began to slowly inflate again. As it grew rounder, its defensive capabilities strengthened, ultimately allowing it to disregard Blueberry Jam's attacks. This development caused Blueberry Jam, who had initially been brimming with confidence, to pout in exasperation. Yichuan, equally serious, remarked, "Did you see that? Once it becomes as round as before, it will unleash another explosion comparable to the power of a super missile. Does it have a skill cooldown?" Xiao Feilong asked in astonishment. Yichuan couldn't help but smirk slightly, realizing that his own absolute gravity was also a skill with a cooldown. With a slight shake of his head, he retrieved the forbidden gun and declared, "We must swiftly conclude this battle to prevent this creature from causing any further impact on Turtle Island." With that, Yichuan leaped high into the air, wielding the forbidden gun, which extended several dozen meters, and charged towards the rampaging pufferfish. As Yichuan charged forward, the rampaging porcine creature seemed to sense impending danger. Its diminutive tail swiftly swatted away the Blueberry Jam, and in an instant, its hefty body sprang upright, exposing its white belly before Yichuan, as if it were a shield. Yichuan did not relent. He concentrated over 100,000 tons of force into the tip of the forbidden spear and struck fiercely at the belly of the rampaging beast. With a resounding boom, the moment of contact erupted, and the rampaging porcine creature was obliterated. Although the explosive force did not rival that of a super missile, it was nonetheless comparable to the combined might of 5 or 6 ordinary missiles. instantly sending Yichuan hurtling backward. The sea turtle immediately invoked absolute gravity, generating a tidal wave that collided with the oncoming surge, soaring 1,000 meters high, thereby neutralizing the terrifying power of the explosion. Meanwhile, Wang Kai had already ascended into the sky, catching Yichuan, who promptly unleashed his formidable strength again, charging toward the now normal-sized rampaging porcine creature. The spear elongated once more by several dozen meters, yet this time, Yichuan did not employ the spear's tip, but rather brought the shaft crashing down upon the creature's head. The rampaging porcine, momentarily dazed by the sudden explosion, after